Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a new series that is only going to have one episode because the manga is so short, Devilman. And this is something I've heard about for quite a while, and I'm here with an expert who's seen this before, Kyle Entertainment.
I know everything about all things, especially Devilman. You will have remembered it from the title of that one video. Oh, wait. That was what I was going to ask you. I just had a whole thing with
Oh
EliteAri
boy.
where I was like, I forgot something to ask you. I was going to ask him if he watched the video I sent him, my own video, and then I told him not to watch it. Did you watch it anyway?
No, I haven't, but I have seen this in the past. Yeah.
Yes, that video is my chapter 122 Attack on Titan review, and I thought it was called Everything is Devilman, but that's not the title, EliteAri. The title is Ambiguity in Action, of course. Now, this video fucking sucks because I rewatched the Devilman portion in case it was relevant to today's discussion, and I guess it kind of wasn't, so it doesn't matter anyway. But I tried to get EliteAri to watch it so I didn't have to watch it, because when I watch my old stuff, I really hate it, and I hate myself, and I hate everything, and I want to kill people. Killing people, that's a theme here with Devilman. We love that. But yes, that's what I remember. Now, before that, I was going to say something. I think it was a joke about me knowing everything, especially about Devilman. But I've talked about Devilman and some things. I made a whole video on the old channel called My Favorite Manga Panel Ever, and it was a Devilman panel that we'll talk about shortly. It was like a 4-minute video. I'll remake the video someday. Hopefully soon, maybe soon. Maybe it'll also be a short video. But we're here to talk about Devilman. I can't believe I made EliteAri do this. The 1972 5-volume classic. And here we are.
All right. I guess I should. In terms of what I knew, I don't even remember where I first heard about Devilman. It might have literally been from Kyle, or I might have just like heard about it through like popular culture or something. I don't know. But I watched like the first 5 minutes of Devilman Crybaby, something like that, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. But then I just stopped for some reason. And the only other things I really remembered were. I think the only thing I remembered was like Everything is Devilman, basically, which is something, I don't know if it's like a big thing other people say or if it's just a thing Kyle says, but I have heard that before. And as I was, go ahead.
Yeah, keep going.
Well, as I was reading, I did, like, there were two things that came to mind. One of them, like, I didn't remember this at the beginning.
All right, hold on to him.
Okay.
The thing I was going to interrupt you with first.
Go ahead.
Don't forget him. But I was like, I just talked about this. Why is EliteAri saying this? But I was talking to Minty about it. What a change of pace. Where we were saying, we were making a joke about this because I looked up the video to find it. Because, sometimes I just look up my own videos with the titles to see if they come up. So I type in Everything is Devilman. My video didn't come up. Later, I would learn that I didn't title the video that, you fucking idiot. But a video by Digibro did pop up called Everything is Devilman. It was one of her weird series that were like weird podcast things, and I only rewatched the first 5 minutes, and there was a song about Devilman at the beginning. She used to do songs and raps and stuff like that, EliteAri. You don't remember that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, because I didn't watch the whole video, so I don't know if they make the point in that Everything is Devilman. I definitely got all my Devilman knowledge from Trixie, so the former Digibro, keeping everybody up to date here. So I definitely stole it from somebody, but I wasn't as directly, because when I saw it today, I sent it to Minty, and I totally forgot I stole this. But maybe I didn't, or maybe I arrived at it independently. That's another Madman joke that Minty would get that Ari doesn't get. What a shame. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I stole it.
All right, well, it's a very interesting idea that I think I don't know if I agree with it, but I probably agree with it. I don't know. We'll see. But back to what I was saying, there were two things where, as I was reading, things came to mind where I didn't even cross my mind when I started. One of them was, I remember there was something called the Devilman ending, which was like a big deal with when Attack on Titan was ending. I think Kyle was talking about it, which is like, are we going to have a blah, blah, blah ending, or is it going to be like a Devilman ending? Which I didn't really know what that meant. I assumed it would be like a bad ending or something, like which is, I guess, exactly what happens in this, probably, depending on your reading of themes or whatever, but I think this was a bad ending. Mm-hmm. Like, bad in terms of like, oh, no good stuff happened, whatever. Anyway, That's one thing. The other thing is, which luckily it didn't impact me at all, but the fact that Akira's friend was literally Satan. That came to me, like, a minute before the actual reveal that he was Satan. I'm like, I feel like I've heard this before. I was like, there's something here where I'm like,
you remembered, yeah.
I definitely, I don't know where, I don't know if you've said it or if I've like seen it in a video or something. Yeah. But luckily that also wasn't a big deal, because I will talk about theories of it, but I was thinking throughout this whole thing where I'm like, this guy is like evil. There's something wrong with this guy. But yeah. Anyway, that's all I knew about this.
It's, I also tweeted some things that I told you not to look at, and you didn't look at my
No,
Devilman
I didn't.
related tweets, did you? Now, I actually since deleted this one because there was a typo in it. But it was the last scene of Volume 4, the last panel rather of Volume 4, where Rio is driving back to his mansion,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like, and the caption is like, "Oh, so I'm gonna find something out," and the tweet was like, "Lil bro about to be shocked for real, or something." That's pretty
Mm,
funny because he's about to figure out he's Satan Lamau.
yep.
So if you would, I was wondering if you saw the tweet and that maybe prompted it. But that's a funny old meme. He ends up being Satan. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yep.
But yes, these are all things that are interesting. I've definitely had that moment before where I remembered the spoiler that I had forgotten, like right before the reveal, but I can't
Mm,
remember the example right now. But it is a little funny thing because it almost makes it doubly cool. Where you're like, oh, that's that thing and this thing, and they're doing it. Holy fuck.
yeah.
Um, there was something else I wanted to say that compounded off of what you were saying, but I've also forgotten it. So, what was that? Oh, what we knew before going in. So you watched 5 minutes of Devilman Crybaby. Was that when it was first coming out, or a little bit after that?
No, no. It was on Netflix. I think I saw it, and I'm like, this is interesting.
Yeah, because yes, Devilman Crybaby was a Netflix original production, I believe, because a lot of the content in it would not be allowed on Japanese television,
Sure.
including some very strong gay scenes that were
Oh
very
no, wait.
revolutionary at
I
the
just
time.
remembered there was one other thing I know about Devilman, which I think is now that I've seen the whole thing, I think it's only from Devilman Crybaby, which is that Devilman runs or something, and he runs in a really weird way. And I was like, oh, that's really
There are a lot.
interesting.
There's lots of running stuff in Devilman Crybaby,
Yep, none
which
of
isn't
that
in
in
the manga
this.
at all.
Yeah.
No, but yes, that is a thing too. As well as the very graphic gay sex scene. That was pretty
Oh.
cool too, bro. Lots of very graphic sex in that one, which you kind of stay away from in Devilman. A very a visceral lack of rape in this, which was
Hmm.
kind of cool. Um, oh, I was about to go into. Oh, I watched Devilman Crybaby first, EliteAri. I was a
Oh
big
my
illiterate
god.
fuck. It sucks. No, it doesn't suck. It's pretty cool. The aesthetic's pretty cool. It kind of butchers the ending, famously.
Hmm.
It has the dinosaur thing in the final episode instead of at the beginning of
Oh,
EliteAri. Can you believe
awesome.
that? But yeah, some weird decisions are made. The crying aspect is played up a little bit, which should be something I hated, but I didn't. That's why it's called Devilman Crybaby or something, because Akira is so empathetic.
Hmm.
It's definitely a different take, and they modernize it a lot. There's cell phones and stuff, which they didn't have in 1972 EliteAri.
True.
You got to say 1972 a bunch because it's really cool that you read something really old. Um,
Hmm.
51 years old. Can you believe that,
Yeah,
EliteAri?
it is crazy to think about how long ago that was, isn't it? Oh my god.
Yes. And what they're talking about the bomb, and it's like irrelevant. Japan got bombed like 30 years before this, EliteAri.
Yeah.
Less than 30 years before that. That's crazy. But
Yep.
yes, we'll talk about all this when we get to the Devilman context section. But I did watch Devilman Crybaby first. I don't know why. As soon as it was very close to it coming out, and by that point, I was kind of. I've never really done that too. I remember watching Erased as it came out. What a show!
Hmm.
Uh, you even know what Erased is, EliteAri? That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
I've
very
watched
big
it.
thing on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was a very big thing for like a month and a half, and then it kind of fell off completely. Um, but besides like Attack on Titan or something, I don't know if there's anything else I've ever really watched while it was coming out. Obviously, this came out all at once, but right around it was the big fervor around Devilman Crybaby, and I watched it. 2018 would be my final year of high school. My goodness, what a time to be alive! But yeah, I remember watching the Did You Bro video again. And in that video, she talks about how great the manga is and how crazy the ending is. And I was like, was the ending even that crazy in Crybaby? Because it's a little weird, right, EliteAri?
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, I got to read this manga. It's only 5 volumes. And I don't think I read it for like another 8 months. But in my head, it happened like the next day.
Sure.
Because I remember, because I was writing about it on the old website. Those articles probably still exist of me, like, I probably didn't update two volumes into Devilman. I didn't look that up to see if it would be relevant to this discussion, but that could be
Hmm.
fascinating. Don't look it up. They're full of typos and terribleness, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, and then I read the manga and I was like, that's fucking sick, bro. And ever since then, I've been Devilmanning out. Everything is Devilman. I love Devilman. And I haven't gone back. Oh, I've tried to reread it like a million times and always got like halfway through the first volume uh, and failed, I think twice. And so
Hmm.
here we are, finally having reread it. Crazy times. So I guess that's my history with Devilman.
Okay.
Not that different, I guess, but yes. Fun times. Uh, so do we do overall thoughts? Do we
Sure.
do the
Yeah.
panel? Well, I guess we're doing overall thoughts now. Do we do the panels first or a little bit afterwards? I think a little bit afterwards. Overall, EliteAri, what are your thoughts coming out of all? I nearly said Chainsaw Man,
Yeah.
Devilman.
Okay. I actually have 3 overall thoughts written down. But let me think without reading those. Um, I guess this is not at all what I was expecting. And I don't know why I had expectations, I guess, but for some reason I was expecting a very dark, serious story. But this is not serious. This is a very like it has conventions of like very serious horror stuff like Berserk, but it has a lot more comedy and humor and I would say anime-ness to it, I guess, in the characters.
Like camp?
Not even camp. I think very like it feels like I could see this as an anime, where the characters are very cartoonish and like there's four bullies or whatever, and they all like look like I don't know stereotypical bullies and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't
They
know.
look.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I don't want to do a whole tangent on what they look like, but they look like Western like comic strip villains.
sure, yeah,
So it's very interesting to see how that's like bleeding over into the very early like era of manga here. Um,
yep.
but yeah, there's other fascinating things like that where it's like, oh, it definitely looks very 70s, even though this is the only 70s thing I've ever ever read. But that's the impression I get, just like the hairstyle and I don't know. I think
Yeah,
it's
I
really
guess that's
cool.
another thing where it's like, I don't know if this is a volume related thing or I don't know how this got released or anything, but the first few pages of volume 1 are like crazy detailed art and all this like crazy demon
Yeah.
stuff, and then it like goes to this weird like pretty not bad I guess actually I'd say bad pretty like bad like character drawings and everything, and they all look weird and like very
Yes.
cartoonish, and I don't know I definitely wasn't a fan of it initially. But it is a very jarring change from those first few pages to the actual characters. But yeah, anyway, that was fine.
I guess the shading's different. I don't think because there are instances where it's like weird looking, but that's at the beginning of volumes, but that's because like the first 2 pages are meant to be in color and they're not.
Sure.
All the Berserk scans also have this issue, I think. But I don't think that first part is that. And I don't know, again, if it's, you might be right with it's like a volume thing. But I guess I didn't feel like it was that jarring, but I don't know. Maybe I thought that the first time. But I really, really, really like the art style. So of the more cartoonish, like
Jesus.
what I
All right.
describe as 70s shit. So yeah.
Interesting. I would say I'm fine with it. Like I grew to be like, okay, this is Devilman. This is its identity here by the end of it. But it's definitely not. It's not like a Fujimoto or anything where I'm like, this is the greatest art thing I've ever seen in my life. But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it leans as it goes on. It leans more towards a lot. You see a lot more horrific stuff, which I like the way that's all drawn. That's all really great.
Yeah.
But
I was
yeah.
as I was collecting my panels, I did note that I think they're all from 3 onwards. But
Sure.
I don't know, I like that fucking art shit.
Actually, I think mine might be as well.
The but what about that first double page spreader, like the party underground? That looked pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Probably not the first one. But yeah, we're not
Yeah.
up to that yet. Why are you bringing it up?
Okay, so that was my first general overall thought. I guess related to that kind of
What was the thought? Just that the art was weird.
No, that it was a lot different to what I was expecting in terms of tone
Oh yeah,
and art,
okay.
I guess. It was a lot goofier, I guess. Not goofy. Yeah, actually I guess goofy is probably a word. And I guess what I was
Devilman
thinking
is a
of
shonen EliteAri. You remember?
Is it really?
Yes. I don't know. These
Damn,
segments-
I definitely wouldn't have expected that. Because it
Yeah,
feels
that's
a
the
lot
big
more
thing.
like mature themes and stuff, and
If you really love shonen, you can say your shitty seinen like Berserk ripped off shonen, which is Devilman.
Sure,
So
yeah.
Lamau, Berserk sucks, and Naruto is better.
Why on
Just-
earth would this be a shonen? I wonder. What a strange thing.
It's dumbing for little kids, obviously.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
seinen
don't know.
existed in 1972.
Yeah, that could be
these
it.
magazine. Actually, I have details about this in Devilman
Okay.
context about when Shonen Jump started and how Go Nagai is a part of that. We're not up to Go Nagai yet. You don't
Yeah.
even know who that is. You fucking
I
brainlet.
have no idea. I would assume that's the author or something.
The
I don't know.
author.
Yeah,
Maybe,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, continuing on from the goofy thing, I kind of related this to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in a way, where it's a very cool kind of goofy, where a lot of weird stuff happens, but I buy it completely, and it doesn't feel goofy in a bad way. It feels goofy in like a this author's like a really good author kind of way. So I don't know how to explain that, but that's the vibe I got. So if anyone's seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it feels similar to that. But like not
The
at all because it's way darker than that. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I even think it's. I think I don't even know what campy means. I don't know if I think it's goofy. I think we'll get into specifics about this, and it could be
sure.
interesting. Um, it's definitely like I don't even want to say tropey, but and I don't want to say shonen-y. There's a better word. There's like a
It's very
maybe it is
generic,
just
right?
stupidity to it. No, not at all.
Sure.
There is maybe it is goofy. There's like a word that's like goofy and campy, but it's not goofy and campy that it is. But there is something to it. But I guess we'll flesh this out later. We're only
Yep.
talking in vagaries here and achieving nothing. So
Yep.
next overall thought.
Next overall thought. I was very engaged. This is definitely an engaging story.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually interrupting again. We weren't going to do this. We were planning on doing this tomorrow, and then EliteAri got sick and said
Yeah.
earlier in the week he had read one volume. He was like, nah. And then this morning he was like, I made a joke about how he's got to read everything quick for tomorrow, basically making a big joke about how he's not going to do it and almost
Yep.
doing the unless ... thing. And then he said, I just read another volume. And then he didn't send a message to me for like 2 hours. And then he said, want to do it tonight? And I was like, oh, he must have read like the whole fucking thing in one sitting or something. So that's why I'll lead RE, proof that he was engaged. I'm just bolstering your point, you know?
Yep.
Is that actually what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I guess I wonder, like, if I wasn't like sick or whatever, I wonder if I would have read this all in one sitting. Probably not. But yeah, I also do feel like I read this a bit too fast, maybe, because it's all blurring in my mind as like one big story. You know, there's no like no separations
Oh,
of
good
like
thing.
chapters or anything. I don't know. It's interesting.
Good thing we're here to talk through and remember.
Yeah, very true. And my last, I've actually written this one. The last overall thought is about how if I just wonder if I didn't know that this is like a famous, influential, well-respected story, I don't know if I would have given this a chance. Like, I would have read chapter one, I would have been like, this is a weird story. I don't know what it is. I'm not incredibly like captivated to keep reading. I just wonder if I would have keep reading, you know, if I didn't know it was famous. But I did, and I'm glad I did. It was overall, I guess my summary overall thought, I thought it was very good. Looking retrospectively, I think my like retrospective view of it is better than when I was reading through it initially, like for the going through it. I guess now looking back on it, I'm like I really enjoyed that. So yeah.
Okay. Interesting. We will, well, yeah, on yesterday's stream, I went back to my Mal and saw that I'd only given it a 9 out of 10 the first time and changed it to a 10 out of 10. So that's what
Nice.
I thought of this reread. I was like, yep, everything's fucking sick, and I love it. Maybe even more. Though I thought I'd given it a 10 previously. But also that might be recency bias, so who fucking knows? But I loved it the first time, and I'm loving it the second time.
Cool.
But I think that's all I'm gonna say for overall thoughts. Do we do the things? We're gonna do the images now, but we're not gonna talk about them that much. Maybe we'll talk about them artistically a little bit.
Okay.
Should we do all of yours and then all of mine? Because the way we've done it in our chat is they're segmented differently. I think that
Sure.
might be a better way because it's probably better if I had organized them. Now I don't have them all open to send them again. Me and EliteAri in the Discord, all right? We put spoiler tags over them so we can't see them until we reveal it in the big moment here. If you haven't been watching our previous ones, we did this for Chainsaw Man 2. We're supposed to pick 5 each, but I chose 6 and EliteAri chose 4 because we're cool like that. And we complement each other like that. So yeah, I think we'll do all of yours first.
Okay.
So are you
I don't
hovering?
think I'll have that much to say. But yeah, the top left one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Oh,
Well, I know
so
what
it's
it
a
is.
little. I gotta open it. Okay. Yes, I
Do you remember
this.
what?
They're
Sorry,
at the
I
dinner
should.
table.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna edit these in, so we don't have to.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But it's from for some context, you've
The
got
dinner
these two devil people thing, or devils, I guess, literally. They're having a dinner and they're talking about how much they love humans and they're so delicious and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Look at these little people here in white darkness. So cool.
Yes. This is like again, I'm gonna say 70s thing with no context if that's true. But of like I feel like the because they do this in old anime, especially in Pokemon, when there's like an action shot, so they don't have to animate the background, they'll like have it flash like a moving color or a moving pattern or something that's clearly like a preset and they'll reuse it episode over episode. and it's sort of like I think it's supposed to emulate this old manga thing of having like the background,
Hmm.
this big swirl thing. Devilman will do this a lot, where it'll have like a swirl thing in the background of like a character's like this is menacing, this big flame behind him of people that he's eaten. What an
Yep.
evil bastard devil! We're gonna kill them all. Um, but yeah, it's cool. I like it visually a lot too. It
Excellent.
wasn't on my short list, so we don't have overlap here, but it's fucking sick. I like that little chapter thing. It's got a really cool foreshadowing bit at the end with Rio. But we're not up to that,
Hmm.
EliteAri. Stop bringing it up.
Okay, panel two then. Top right.
Are we going down or over?
No, to the right. Top right.
You know I don't know my lefts and rights. But all right, 3, 2, 1. Oh my god, it's another long one. It's Miki's skirt and Akira is looking out the window. I do remember this one. Detail on her
Indeed.
skirt, EliteAri. Is that what you liked?
I just like the framing of this. It's so cool. I don't think I've ever seen something like this. Under the shot, under the what do you even call it? Under the leg shot, I guess. To the window, cool lighting. He's like glowing, but he's not. It's just the light from the window. It's great. Like even like the context doesn't really matter here. I think it had to do with like the spiders or something taking over, and she was confronting him.
Spider stuff.
I just like the art.
Sick.
I think it's so cool.
Yes. The fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh, I can't wait to talk about Miki EliteAri. Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What a character.
Yeah, what a character.
But yes, this one's sick. And cool. And look at the detail on the inside part of her skirt. On the inside fabric is what I'm talking about.
Crazy.
EliteAri.
Yep.
Takes a genius to think of that.
Yep.
Go Nagai. Can you believe it? All right, the next one. We're going over and down. I think this might be one we have a mutual thing on, though I'm not certain. If it is the one I'm thinking
I
of,
doubt it.
it is the greatest manga panel of all time. Okay, it probably isn't then. 3, 2, 1. It's not it. My goodness, you disappointed me.
Do you remember what this is from?
I do remember seeing it and thinking it was cool. Oh, this is when they're first running over to Miki's house. Uh-oh.
Yes. So they're having a witch hunt, basically. They're carrying torches, and this is the first page, I think, we get of that whole scene. And I guess I liked it so much, because I was like, oh my god, where are all these devils coming from? I actually thought they were devils, but I think that's the intention here, where they're meant to be portrayed as devils, so it's like, oh, the humans are turning into devils or whatever. Like, I thought it was really effective. So I thought, love this panel. Page, I guess.
I think it's this one dude, because I think this might be the dude that decapitates the thingy and kills the other one.
Sure.
Because you can remember like the sharp lines on his face and his nose and stuff. And he's scary, EliteAri, and evil.
Yep.
But yeah. Oh, I had something else to say about this, but I forgot. And I accidentally opened the next one. The next one is Miki's mum upside down. This was one I shortlisted but didn't get to choose. It is the first of the... Oh, I love Devilman's face and the light up here. It's so good. And he's screaming no. This is the first instant shock of like, oh, we're not getting a happy resolution to this little conflict here with the family.
Yep.
And it's such a great setup. We're going to talk about tension, EliteAri, when we get to it. But my goodness, I love Devilman. Yep. Arm off, blood dripping down, so violent.
Very surprising, I guess, is the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I shortlisted this one, the very next one, and then the very next one after that. Because the next one I think is a close-up of her, and there's another one of her where she's all fucked up. The mum has just been such a like quiet background character. She's always hugging Tare when he's scared. She's like, oh, what a protective mother. And there she is, upside down, naked, dead, and tortured, EliteAri.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, we're not up to it. We're not going to talk about it yet. So we had 0 overlap, which is amazing. I think all of mine are double-page spreads because I love Devilman. So we're scrolling up to mine now. The first one in the corner. Let's hope they ordered them correctly in Discord. We got 6 going. 3, 2, 1, clicking it. Oh, the first one is the only one that isn't double-page spread. Don't you just love Akira Fudo, EliteAri? He can't just sit here and watch the world burn. He's got to go and fight, and he's got a tear run down his face. I was like, what a bloke. I love Akira Fudo. That's what I thought when I was rewatching this.
Where is this from?
There's like... it's right. It's like the demons have just started their big attack, and Rio's like, "No, you can't go out and fight now. You'll just die meaninglessly." And he's like, "Just watch, and like there won't even be a second attack." Rio's predicting everything, EliteAri. I wonder if that's leading up to anything. But yes, I think this one, the shading, they do the shading thing, the silhouette shading thing with like the light, the white in the eyes and the mouth being the only thing. And it's always cool, and this is maybe the coolest time. There was like something around this that I also chose, which I think was a very similar panel of Akira, like being like very adamant about going outside. He's a big, dumb, tough fuck, EliteAri, and he protects the people, and he's a good person, right?
Really? Okay, sure. That's an interesting take.
We love him. He's so empathetic. All right, the next one. I swear these are all double page spreads. Oh,
All right.
also, the last one isn't out of order, and it is the greatest manga panel of all time,
Okay.
said by an old Kyle Entertainment video. The next one, oh my goodness, all of the demons redescending on Rio's house when they're all gonna
Mm.
the cat's gonna be out of the bag, EliteAri. Greatest moment of manga history. I love it so much. Look at them
Yep.
all. Millions of them, thousands of them. This first location here is so cool, just a weird cliffside. What a goofy like sci-fi supernatural thingy. Big fucking little house that's got a whole thing underneath it,
And a modern
a
looking house
nightclub
as
underneath
well.
it or something. Yes. It's just looking so cool, and the demons are all descending in. Because they had a bunch of images from the scene, the scene of like him dropping the mask thing, and it's
Mm.
all cracked, and you like see his reflection in all the cracks, and it's like, oh, his mind's being shattered because he's realizing the truth, etc., etc. There was,
Yep.
I think, another one from this little bit, but I ended up choosing this one because it's just silhouette and ominous and stuff, and I like that. And I think we cut away from the scene right after this, and you don't actually see it. You don't actually see Rio realizing, which I actually remembered us seeing. But that's besides the point. On to the next one. The next one over here. Let's see what it is. Oh my
All right.
goodness, this one's just here because of the art, because I don't know if this moment works as well as I remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But this is part of the moment when Akira is it's revealed on the Rio reveals on the news that Akira is a devil, and like the Makimura family initially freaks out of him. The father points the gun at him, and Miki even doubts him for a second. And there's like two shots of Devilman reaching out of the TV to grab Akira and like drag him like to ruin his life basically. I don't think it works that well because it's like I don't like this isn't a conflict that lasts very long. He kind of gets kicked out of the house, kind of for a second. Um, but yeah, it's supposed to be like Devilman coming down on Akira. Isn't that crazy? They're the same person, what? But I just like the imagery, and I think it's a really cool art thingy, and he's dripping into
I
him
think I
and dripping out of
completely
him, and that's
agree.
cool.
Where when I read this, I was like, this is really cool art, but also in the context of what it's shown as, I think it's a bit too good of an art for the context, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
feel
yeah.
like that big of a moment. Look at
Yep.
us agreeing on a thing. On to number 4. Oh my goodness, this is after. Oh no, this is
Oh,
in the.
yes.
This is not the Miki situation, which you might be thinking, Alito. This is when he's. This is after he finds the parents dead, and
Yeah.
he's in the that weird
The
that weird
facility.
fucking building. Yeah, the evil human facility.
Yep.
Um, and it's like Devilman basically becoming a devil for a moment and telling the humans to go to hell as he burns them for torturing the Makimura family. And they try to get out of it beforehand to EliteAri by saying, we didn't hurt any demons because they think he's a
Yeah.
demon, not a Devilman. What a bunch of domies. And then they get flamed. I think Devilman looks really cool here. Probably the coolest. Yeah, that's not true. Maybe it is true. There are so many cool looking Devilman things, like the one from the very first volume at the end with the wavy things that I used as my image thing for my media thread. That's pretty cool. But this one's pretty cool too. On to the next one. What's the 5th one? Oh, it's just the last panel. My goodness.
Yep.
Iconic EliteAri. Everybody remembers this. We are not going to talk about this one iota
I
right
love
now.
this as well. Looks
Devilman
cool.
end in the corner. Kira blends into the darkness. Oh, my goodness. In Devilman Crybaby, they made the sea red because they were referencing Evangelion that was referencing this when it had
Wow.
its own ending. And it was one of those circular things. Uh, where there was an old video idea, and I'd forgotten that this was one of the examples of it because I thought it was Devilman into Berserk into Devilman, but it was Devilman into Ava into Devilman, and my other example was Ava into Razafand into Ava. Now this
Jeez.
is confusing to you, Alita. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yep.
But what I'm saying is that the original Devilman ending obviously influenced Ava's ending because it's two people on the beach and they're looking over the water and some flashy stuff is happening and there's big bodies in the background, like there's big rays in the background at the end of Ava in the final scene. But in Devilman Crybaby, when they decided to adapt this scene, they made the sea red like it is in Ava. So it's like Ava was influenced from this, which then influenced the remake of or the adaptation of Devilman. You following? Does it make
Yep.
sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
And then in Razafan, let's bring this up out of nowhere because fuck you. Everybody that has seen it is on their seat right now. If we don't explain it, they're going to be mad. In Evangelion, there's a character called Asuka, and then in Razafan, now EliteAri doesn't like it when you compare the Tsundere character always to Asuka.
Yep.
But then in Razafan, there's a fucking Asuka character shows up, same age as the protagonist, is mad about everything, has nearly red colored hair. It's kind of pinkish. And then at the end of Razafan, she has a moment with the protagonist because she doesn't actually get chosen by the protagonist. The Shinji character in Razafan chooses Misato. Crazy. Pedophilia. EliteAri likes that too.
That's terrible. No, I hate that.
No, he doesn't. We hate pedophilia. We shouldn't joke about things like that, but that's crazy. Chooses Misato character. She's got purple hair and she's older, EliteAri. That's how you know. At the end, the Asuka character to the Shinji character in Razafan has a moment where she says, I think I had a crush on you initially, and that's why I was mean to you, but I'm moving on, and then waves to him and runs away. And then in the fourth Rebuild Ava movie that came out in 2021 or whatever the fuck, or last year or some shit, they do that scene with Asuka. So it was like the Razafan was influenced by Ava, and the Razafan then influenced the new Ava. I was like, my goodness. It's
what a crazy
I don't know what
that's awesome.
The original title of that video was going to be, but it had a clever title. It was there's a few ideas that Minty has fallen in love with of mine over the years, and he always brings them up even when I forget them. That's one of them. And the Devilman ending video, which was the one I was referencing to you before stream, EliteAri, which we're not going to talk about yet, is another one of those. All Devilman related, even though he hasn't read it. What an idiot. And now, EliteAri, your hand is hovering over the spoiler button to be revealed the greatest manga panel of all time. And we open it, and it's Akira's fourth wall break. Can you believe this happened?
We gotta talk about this.
EliteAri. We won't talk about this now, but it is the greatest manga panel of all time. Actually, I will say I was slightly disappointed I didn't feel it as much this time. But I think it's because I was anticipating it too much.
I felt it for you, right?
I actually felt the panel right before this, which is the Tare's friend's decapitated head on the ground. The whole dog eating him story, and then he comes home and he thinks the father's going to save him, but the father's a demon too now. And then there's just a decapitated head sitting on the ground. I nearly chose that one, not over this one, but for a shortlist thing as well, because that was such a fucking cool moment. I didn't remember that fucking kid got decapitated. I did remember the dog story and being like, man, when you're a kid, that's like the scariest thing in the world, when your parents aren't protecting you because you're at their mercy and they're evil and stuff. Crazy. But do you have anything else in overall thoughts before we get to Devilman context? Then we can go through things in chronological order and get some real thoughts.
That's it. That's all I got.
We seem to be vaguely on the same page right now. So this is going swimmingly. I'm taking a drink, EliteAri. Vamp for 3 seconds.
Devilman. Do
you know what vamp means, EliteAri? What a word that is.
I just assumed you meant fill in time. I don't know.
Yes, it means to stall on stage if like somebody's having a costume issue backstage or something, I think, and like plays and stuff.
Right.
A podcast taught me that a long time ago. Sometimes when they're getting links up or something, and the H3H3 podcast, which is EliteAri's favorite podcast for those not
so
to know.
True. Yeah.
Maybe they vamp sometimes.
They just like go dead air. They say that out loud, and just that's what happens.
Like Tare, like the little brother character. That's almost the same word, except not really.
What? I don't make the connection there. What?
Well, they say dere, like
no, dead air, dead air.
Oh, well.
What?
See, I'm just Japanese, EliteAri. When I heard that, I was just like, yeah, that's what they said. That's from Mushoku Tensei, remember?
Yeah, I do
learn
remember
what that word meant.
True.
Everything ties in. Devilman context, EliteAri. You got your learning cap on?
I'm ready.
I got Wikipedia paste outs in my document here. Now this one's a little. I gotta get in close to fucking read it. So you don't know much about Devilman or Go Nagai. You didn't even know that was the
No,
one.
I know nothing. All I know is it's in the 70s. That's all I know.
You heard Go Nagai's name before, EliteAri, or not?
Never.
You just act fraud. Oh my goodness, the most famous mangaka of all time, EliteAri's like, oh, I don't know who he is, guys.
Yep.
I don't know. I just made up all the genres, and I'm Go Nagai. I made every manga ever to exist, every trope to ever exist. I created anime. Actually, that was that Tezuka guy, I think. Oh, a bunch of old pricks. All right, so at first I've got some context on old Go Nagai here. He wrote Devilman.
Yeah.
He wrote some other things, but I've just got the first paragraph of his Wikipedia pasted here, and I'm going to read it out because it'll probably do it better than I can do it.
Sure.
Kiyoshi Nagai. What? Was born on September the 6th, 1945. He's 77 years old. He's still kicking. Wow. I saw him recently at a wrestling event, and he looked like 50. He's not that old. But this ties into wrestling. We'll get back to that in a second if you remind me, EliteAri. Better known by his pen name, Go Nagai, is a Japanese manga artist and prolific author of science fiction, fantasy, horror, and erotica. He made his professional debut in 1967 with Maki Shimiya Pikachu, not Pikachu, Pikachichi or something. But is best known for creating popular 70s manga and anime such as Cutie Honey. Ever heard of that one, EliteAri?
Nope.
You're an idiot. Devilman, you heard of that one?
Yep.
Mazinga Z, you heard of that one?
Never. No.
Okay, and Mazinga Z. He also made Violence Jack. Probably heard of that one, right, EliteAri?
No. Never. No.
Oh my goodness. EliteAri just doesn't know his anime history. He is credited with creating the super robot genre, which is mecha EliteAri. Catch
Sure.
on.
Okay.
And designing the first mecha robots piloted by a user from within a cockpit. That's a funny word. With Mazinga Z. That's why you should know Mazinga Z, EliteAri, the first mecha anime, you fucking idiot.
Right. Okay.
And for pioneering the magical girl genre with Cutie Honey, the post-apocalyptic anime/manga genre with Violence Jack, and the ecchi genre with Harakenshi Gaiken. Now, Harakenshi Gaiken, you might know famously as being the biggest manga, I think, in the first ever edition of what magazine, EliteAri? But Shonen Jump, Weekly Shonen Jump, the first ever. They're on their 7,000th volume. Old Gona guy invented that shit, EliteAri. This is apparently the first ecchi manga. I was looking it up. Now, the trouble with all these things is you're like, oh, this is like his first hit, this ecchi one here, that apparently ends in a war or something I was reading on the Wikipedia page. You go over to try and read it, and only 4 chapters out of like 60-something have ever been translated. So
Jesus.
That's the difficulty when you get back into this old shit, EliteAri. They're just, you got to read them in Japanese, or you got to read them not at all. Most of the other ones, I think, are translated, but not this ecchi one. This first one that jump-started Shonen Jump, apparently.
Do you think that Devilman is his most popular work?
I'm not sure. I think people say that Cutie Honey is. Now, I actually thought Cutie Honey and this ecchi one were the same thing. I thought Cutie Honey was the first ecchi one and was his first work, but it's not. It's a magical girl thing. Now, this is going to tie into something later, which I think I'll just bring up now. Now, we've still got 1 or 2 more sentences left in this Wikipedia thing. But the next thing me and EliteAri are going to be doing is Madoka Magica, which is a magical girl show. And in the legacy thing down here, there's a specific quote from Gen Urobuchi, who is, you know who that is, EliteAri?
Nope, no idea.
He made Madoka Magica. He was the director and showrunner or something. And he says that Devilman directly inspired him or something in that. And so that ties into all the things. And I didn't even know that. And when I saw it, I was like, haha, I'm going to bring this up to EliteAri in the fucking video. And he's going to be so surprised. And it's all going to tie in because everything's connected. And I guess everything is Devilman, huh?
I can see the connection, definitely.
Oh, you fucking spoiling shit, you idiot?
Nope, not at all. Yeah, I think you'll be surprised what the connections are.
I know one of the girls dies in episode 2 or something about Madoka Magica. It's the big twist where it goes from being a magical girl show to being something more. That's all I know about that. We should have saved that for next time's video.
Yeah, I think
that's funny because it's the next thing. Yeah, I definitely said that before. But that's a little connection. Magical girls and stuff. In 2005, he became a character designer professor at the Osaka University of Arts. He's been a member of the Tezuka, I just said that dude's name, Osamu Cultural Prize nominating committee since 2009. I assume that's some big manga award thingy. There are manga awards like the Oscars and stuff. Best Guy ever brings them up sometimes.
Yeah, the Crunchyroll Awards,
Neuro won one, and like, yes, that I believe is exactly what they're called.
Oh my god.
Fuck, I could probably remember the name if I thought hard enough. But I can't. But I know Miura won it in 2003 or something, and the Vagabond dude won it twice or something. So if you're a Vagabond fan, you say Berserk sucks because our dude won it twice. You're learning all the talking points here today, Alito.
Yep.
So that's a little background on old Gona guy. He invented every genre. He's except for Tezuka over here, he invented every anime. I think this Tezuka dude did Astro Boy. I think that's the one. You ever heard of Astro Boy? It's pretty famous.
Yeah, it's the first anime. I think I even watched an episode of that in high school, like in English class or something for some reason. I don't know why.
That's crazy. Yeah. I know my mother says that she used to watch Astro Boy when she was little, but she would have been growing up in the 70s. And that shit came out in the 50s, I think. But yes, did you learn anything interesting there, EliteAri, about Gona Guy? Now you know.
Yeah, I had no idea he was this influential. Yeah, I don't think I ever will forget this name again.
I think,
but, yeah,
I just know all this shit from YouTube stuff. But yeah, I knew all this stuff. I'm pretty smart. Oh, you were supposed to remind me to bring up wrestling. He also wrote a manga called Jushin Liger, which you might remember. as the famous Japanese professional wrestler. Japanese professional wrestlers sometimes would just become manga characters in the canon of wrestling. It's weird. It's not cool. And usually they fail horribly. But Jushin Thunder Liger became one of the biggest wrestlers of all time in Japan. And he just had a dumb manga name the whole time. And he had like the outfit. If I cared enough, I would find an image. I'm going to find an image of Jushin Thunder Liger.
When you say he becomes a manga character, what do you mean?
He wears the outfit, and it's like wrestling's supposed to be real, EliteAri. You're supposed to pretend it's real, but it kind of breaks it when you're pretending to be a manga character. That's kind of stupid.
Okay, sure.
But then to overcome all that shit and then become like the greatest junior heavyweight of all time is pretty cool and kind of a testament to the wrestler, not to the character. But there is a manga called Jushin Liger. It's not one of his most famous works. I'm pasting this to EliteAri. If he wants to edit this in, he can. Look it up yourself. You should know it off the top of your head, you fucking idiots. But he is Jushin Thunder Liger, EliteAri. What a fella. Wears a mask. Wrestlers do that sometimes.
Looks like a
oh my god,
character.
look at him in a suit here. Yeah, they kind of look similar, huh? I think Jushin Liger is a violent manga and stuff. We got him in a suit here, being older. He retired one time. One of the greatest. Yeah, I made videos about this bloke in some of his matches before because he was still wrestling in like 2019. I think he retired at the beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic. I remember Wrestle Kingdom. You remember EliteAri?
Yeah.
What a famous fella. But yeah, so his everything is Devilman, even wrestling. And by Devilman, I mean another Gona guy thing.
Wait, I have a question for you then. Particularly about Berserk, I guess. What did you read first, Berserk or Devilman?
Berserk. But Berserk is coming up later.
Okay,
Quit
okay.
getting ahead of us. Do you think I don't have a whole fucking section about Berserk parallels? I got two images.
Known.
I didn't even do any Ava stuff. You're fucking lucky, though I already brought up one of them.
I have a strange parallel we'll talk about later.
We got parallels coming out of our fucking asses around here. But is that where we were coming to an end? Or was I saying something else about Jushin Liger that was funny or endearing or something? Just connecting it to wrestling, I guess. Isn't that funny and wacky?
Yep.
You'll never forget the name Jushin Thunder Liger ever again. What a funny name, huh?
Yep. Very Japanese name.
Okay. My next Devilman context note is Devilman Iterations, EliteAri. We are... I was going to say we are reading the original here, but I got a funny thing about that at the end. There are many other iterations of Devilman. There are adaptations of Devilman, EliteAri. I was gonna say I'm sure you know that, but you probably didn't.
No, I don't know anything. I know there's Crybaby, the anime. That's it. You mean like other manga or like what other?
Yes, there are other manga, etc., etc. I'm about to read out a list to you, EliteAri. You fucking shut up and let me go here.
Go ahead. You got
Actually, I was gonna ask you another question, but then I forgot. It's like any franchise, EliteAri. We gotta milk this thing dry and make $1 million.
Sure. It doesn't feel like a franchise at all. I wonder how you could.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that, huh?
No.
It doesn't feel like there's much iteration to happen. But
like
then you
characters.
think about this great idea. The idea is going to be in the title, or your mind's about to be blown by this 1997. Gona Guy's still writing manga. There was another Devilman thing. The next one is from 2014. He's still fucking writing this shit. At 70 years of old, year of age. But this one, EliteAri, you just didn't think about this concept, but we got Devilman Lady. Genius.
That's all. That is awesome. Oh my goodness.
1997. What if Devilman was a girl? Now,
that is actually
did
great.
Skim through the first chapter of this because I do want to read this unironically.
Yep.
It is one of the only other Devilman on Manga-C. There's a bunch of other ones here, but they're not all on Manga-C. That's probably what we both use to read this. Don't pirate chat. You should pay for it, though I don't know if you can pay for Devilman because I don't think there's an official translation. Did you know you were reading a scanlation, EliteAri? You probably did because there's credits at the bottom.
Yeah, I would never admit that, but there were also a few mistranslations or like missing letters in words, and I was like, interesting.
Oh yes, there was a few times. It was like one volume was particularly bad. I think it was like 4. Where there's like a that, but it was just a hat.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't good. There was other things too where the grammatical things didn't always make sense.
It was fine overall.
But yeah, you're lucky the images look good. Yeah, it was overall pretty good. We're not shitting on the scanlators. What if they're watching this, Leo? They're diehard Devilman fans. They watch every YouTube, and we just shit on them, even though they put their hard-earned time sweating. They didn't make any money from this, I'm assuming.
I sure hope not. That would be illegal, right? Yeah.
Start a Patreon or something. So we were up to Devilman Lady, I believe. On Manga-C, I was scrolling through it, and I saw one of the few ones that are actually on there. I think the other one is the next one we'll talk about that I'm not spoiling. It doesn't have as funny of a title, though. But Devilman Lady, I know the conceit is that a girl gets raped and then becomes Devilman Lady. I don't think that's because of it,
Wow.
but of course, part of her backstory is getting raped, EliteAri. You know this anime and manga stuff.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. Is Rio also a girl? Well, we know that he's kind of both, EliteAri. Now, isn't that
Yep.
crazy? But we'll get to that.
That would be. It would be really interesting. I doubt this is what he did, but just literally telling the exact same story, but with a female Devilman would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think it is very different. I have since like Googled images of shit, and shit does seem interesting. But yeah, I like iterations and stories and stuff, even though these seem a little goofy. I'm like, yeah, I want to read Devilman Lady and see like after 30 years of impact what he would like do to the ending. It kind of is just to get to the ending and see what the fuck the new iteration of it is.
Well, like who would
But he
be
also
the
just watched.
girl's Mickey, and like how does that all tie in?
Oh
Who-
yes, we need a
Yeah.
little pretty boy. Um, we're not talking about Mickey yet. I was going to
Yep.
say who's and then imply a characteristic, but we're not up to that. But yeah, all that's interesting. She's probably gay, huh? It's probably a pretty girl that she kisses.
Maybe.
She's on like a swim team or something. Oh, and I scrolled through this first chapter, just tits everywhere, bare tits
Oh
of the
no, that's
Devilman
terrible.
everywhere. I was
In a
like, oh,
shonen
we're in the
magazine. Oh my
90s
goodness.
now. I don't think that one was in a shonen magazine.
Sure.
I think by 1997 they'd figured that shit out. All right, One Piece started that year, for Christ's sake.
Mm.
Do you ever see boobs in One Piece? You do in Dragon Ball, but I don't think you ever seen any naked.
You do in
boobs.
Dragon Ball?
Yeah, Bulma's naked in like the second chapter in a
Oh,
shower.
I guess I haven't. Yeah, I've only seen the anime.
I own it physically. Yeah, it is different in the anime. But yeah, naked Bulma.
Crazy.
One of the first, I think maybe the first 2 volumes of physical manga I ever bought, Dragon Ball 1 and Dragon Ball 2, still the only ones I have. I was like 13, and Bulma was naked on the fucking second chapter.
God.
Let's go, EliteAri.
That's why we hate manga, right? Early 1990s.
Yeah.
Sexualizing women. Hate it. Terrible.
Well, this is the late 1990s, 1997, EliteAri.
Oh.
You do well to remember it.
That was the year I was born.
Oh my goodness. Terrible things were happening that year. Can you believe it? The next one, and this is the other one.
Go ahead.
What a cringe fact to know. See, I know the years of the Devilman manga. It's not a fucking Google. Something actually important. A cultural touchstone we can be proud of. Devilman Lady.
Sure.
The next one, which is the only other one on manga season, so that's why I put it second, is Devilman Saga from 2014. I think it ran till 2018, which is the same year Crybaby came out. Oh my goodness, so much Devilman happening that year. But yeah, I don't know much about this one at all. So I assume it's something. But 2014, we're doing an iteration on Devilman. I'm kind of curious. Then the next one is a little bit more interesting. Eamon, the Dark Side of Devilman, the Devilman, from 1999. I assume is about Eamon before he goes into Akira or something. Eamon's obviously the demon that Akira punks out and beats up for control.
Seems to have a big reputation that we just never see. Yeah.
Yes. Kind of like Chainsaw Man. We'll get to that later. And then Violence Jack. Now, this was one I was going to like, obviously, EliteAri's heard of this. It's like the most violent anime of all time. You watched those Watch Mojo lists when you were 12 and definitely
never.
saw images of like piles of bodies and raping happening everywhere. And that one Watch Mojo video with like 50 million views, that's like the top 10 goriest anime of all time. And the thumbnail's like a fat dude getting like mutilated or something. I watched that when I was like 12. That's honestly where most of my manga like series knowledge and visual knowledge comes from, is those early Watch Mojo videos. I learned everything about a weird obscure manga. Anime. But Violence Jack is also a manga. Violence Jack started in 1973. It is called a sequel series to Devilman, and it started like immediately after it ended. Now, as Devilman was going on, I think Cutie Honey and Mazinga Z were also going on, and he was doing literally like 3 weekly things at once. And this is like heralded as like one of the greatest achievements in manga. Imagine if you were doing 3 manga every week, 3 chapters, EliteAri.
I was just muted for a second. Yeah, I think that's impossible. How did he possibly do that? Jesus.
Yeah, that was part of the Wikipedia page. It was like there's only 2 other manga authors to have ever achieved something similar. And it was like some 2 blokes that I didn't know. I think actually one of them was a girl. But crazy. But then Violence Jack, and this one's like 20 volumes or something, and it goes into like the 80s. Violence Jack, we gotta read all of these, EliteAri, but Violence Jack. I know Akira and Rio are characters in it, but I think like they're dogs or something, like literally, and it's like a reference, but it's also a sequel series somehow. Because if you go on Mal, they are like featured as one of like the prominent characters, and it just has like images. But also, they're like
Mm.
images from a different manga. They're not from the 70s version because they look a little weird. So that's interesting. Also, I've heard a lot about Violence Jack, etc. Even if it's like a, what do you call it when it's not a direct sequel, but it's like a symbolic sequel? You know what I'm talking about,
A
Larry.
remake. I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
No,
Yes.
like a sequel series or a sibling series or something. But yeah, that'd be interesting. And it's also one of the most famous things. And it's supposed to have influenced Fist of the North Star. You thought that was the oldest anime of all time. Nope, EliteAri, things came before that. Go Nagai things. Um, but yeah, that's the one that invented post-apocalyptic, which seems like a very vague genre to invent, but apparently he did it. Wikipedia said so.
What, the
But
Violence
those are
Jack
the
one?
yes,
Huh.
invented
Okay.
post-apocalyptic manga and anime, the genre. Didn't you remember that from my intro? From the
Nope.
paragraph I read? Literally, it goes in one ear, out the other. Can you believe
True.
it? There's a quiz at the end of this. Then we've got
Great.
anime. Now, this is actually a very interesting part. There is a Devilman 1972 anime, Elite. You know anything about this?
How does that make any sense, Kyle? No, I
It is
haven't. But didn't this come out in
it is
1970 something?
it is famously a kids show that is completely different
Okay.
from the manga, where it's like literally a superhero thing. Like he literally has like Batman. What is Batman has those boomerang things, right? Where they're
Yep.
little bats. He literally has those, and he beats up bad guys with them. And
That's
he's
awesome.
green instead of like
He's
black and
green.
stuff.
I don't like
It's like
that.
he's like green and blue and bright colored because he's a fucking for kids elite Ari. You catching on?
Sure.
Um, so yeah, it's famously like they both came out at the same time. Like Gona Guy did like the character design. Actually, the backstory to this goes into the thing I'm keeping for last because it's interesting. So I'm kind of cucking myself here. Um, but yes, so there's simultaneously, and I think it only went for like 26 episodes, but I think lots of the cultural relevancy that Devilman has is because of this kids show. I think this might be the most popular Devilman related thing, but people really don't talk about it anymore. Like at the time, it was a very popular show.
Yep.
It's got 70s animation and stuff. Leader would hate it. I've only ever seen clips. I'm acting like I've seen this fucking show. In Crybaby, the ringtone of the Makimura household is the old Devilman 1972 theme song,
Hmm.
and the kid and Tare watches the TV show uh, of the old Devilman animated thing. And I think they tie that into the plot somehow that Devilman is like a thing in the universe as well,
Mm.
which they really didn't have to address, but I think they do in the show
I think
in
that's
some
great
sort of
because
like
his
brief
name kind
meta
of comes
thing.
out of nowhere in the manga, right?
Devilman?
Yeah, like out of nowhere. I was like, oh, I can't wait till he someone calls him Devilman, and then out of nowhere he's like, I'm Devilman or something. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
they do that a lot where like somehow Akira knows Sirene's name and it's like, how does he know that? That
Mm.
happens a few times where it's like, oh, we just skipped over making that make sense because we're in the 70s, Lamau.
Yep.
Um, there's that anime, and then there's two OVAs in 1987 and 1990 that I hear pretty faithfully and brilliantly, apparently, adapt the first two volumes, but they didn't get like they didn't do the rest of it because famously, EliteAri, now I know this from Digibro videos, the Japanese anime industry was doing great in the 80s, and they were making all these OVAs that are apparently the best looking pieces of animation ever to exist. Towards the late 80s, they made Angel's Egg and Ghost in the Shell was 95. EliteAri stopped lying to the audience. But a bunch
Right.
of these things that look really, really good and apparently are the greatest pieces of animation you've ever seen. And OVA originally meant that they just sold them on discs, EliteAri. Well, they probably had like, what do you call them? Tapes. And made a bunch of money that way. And that somehow was profitable because it's the 80s, Lamau. Um, they made a bunch of money. But then in the 90s, the economy in Japan crashed or something and everybody was miserable. So there was no money for anime and no money for buying anime. So the market crashed or something. And so they never continued old Devilman over here. But apparently these are the two greatest things of all time visually. Uh, and I pitched this to you. I don't know if you remember this, but we're going to do Madoka Magica, as we all know. Now, EliteAri thinks this Madoka Magica movie is great, so we might do it for a
Yes.
movie night to follow up from the thing. Now, I'm pretty sure I've heard everybody else say that this fucking movie sucks, EliteAri.
Yeah,
Have
because
you heard this
they're all
discourse?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay. It's an EliteAri opinion. I'm excited. But if we do this, I thought maybe we could bring this all together and tack on these two OVAs that are apparently both an hour long each onto this movie night, since I don't like just doing one thing for movie night anymore, even though I've only done one since I've changed the what do you call it? The dynamic, the system, the structure of movie night. So maybe we'll watch these two things, EliteAri. We'll talk about it more afterwards. Are you interested?
Sure.
Great animation, first two volumes. No ending. But we already know the ending. We read the fucking manga. And then, of course, in 2018, we had Devilman Crybaby. Oh, and also there's a live action movie from 2004. I went onto the letterbox
Oh,
and it literally had
awesome.
a 1.4
Oh,
rating and
that's
apparently is
awesome.
the worst thing of all time. So maybe we should watch that instead. There might not be subs for it though. Maybe that would help.
Mm.
Coming out of it, I assume you haven't had much time to think. Do you want to watch Devilman Crybaby again now, or these other things you're just learning about for the first time, so you probably don't have much interest in them? Uh, but anything to say about
Absolutely,
that?
I definitely want to watch Devilman Crybaby. Yeah, there's no question in that. The other things, I have no idea. You just brought them up now. Probably they all sound interesting. Um, Live action one depends how long it is, I guess. I don't know if I could sit through a whole
I don't know about
2 hour long
that.
bad movie. Yeah,
If we're choosing one thing, I want to do those fucking OVAs because I saw footage
yeah.
of them. I watched Hero. Is that his name? No, it's like Hyper. What the fuck is this prick's name? He made that Last of Us video and he made that Saw video I just watched. If we put in the YouTube search bar Devilman, your next favorite. Oh my god, it comes up because I just searched it to watch it. Hyper Bit Hero. See, I was right with the hyper and the hero part. I like this YouTuber. He's pretty cool. He was on Content one time talking about Pat Labor with Trixie and Nate. He made a video called Devilman, Your Next Favorite. That's like his little series, EliteAri. He calls it something, Your Next Favorite. Pat Labor, Your Next Favorite. I see it right
Mm.
here. I saw some footage of this fucking OVA in this goddamn thing, and it looked like the prettiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Now, I had watched that video back in the day, and I rewatched it today for preparation for this. All it showed me was that the OVA is cool, and he also said all the other mangas suck and not to read them, but I'm not listening to him. Devilman Lady is probably sick.
True.
But yes, so those OVAs look fucking sick. And shout out that video, I guess. It was pretty good. But the thing I've left for last, EliteAri, is that I learned this recently, and I would have talked about this on a stream you were probably watching, but you've completely forgotten it. That's okay, EliteAri, I forgive you. As a little anime, well, it is an anime later, but there is also a manga called Demon Lord Dante by Go Nagai from 1971. It's also called like Meow, like Moah, not Meow, like where back in Mushoku Tensei.
Mm.
Um, Meow Dante. It sounds like I'm saying meow. But that's not what I'm saying, EliteAri. It's like the prototype for Devilman. Apparently, it gets cancelled after 4 chapters or 4 volumes. Um, Apparently, it has very similar iconography. I think there is a Satan character called Rio who is a human for a little bit, but instead of Akira, it's Dante. Obviously, Dante's Inferno was referenced a lot in Devilman.
Mm.
Um, that's where the idea of the devils being in ice comes from, EliteAri. This is like I think they even give a biography about this in the first volume, though you probably don't remember all these little details. But Dante's Inferno is a thing. You've heard about that before, EliteAri, right?
Yep,
In
I've heard of
passing
it.
or something, or in
I
English
don't
class.
really know what it
Yeah,
is, but yeah, I think I did
it's a
actually hear
big
about it in
book.
English class. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a book from like the 1300s that like basically shaped how sort of hell was viewed in pop culture for a time. But yeah, Satan was submerged in ice or something, and then he was going to melt one day and come back, and it was scary. It was like this bloke going through like the 13 layers of hell. I watched a YouTube video recapping it. I didn't actually read it. And also, Don Draper is reading it in the first of season 5 or 6 of Mad Men. I think it's 6. It's 6. I know it, EliteAri. I brought up Mad Men. I'm a genius. But he's
Yeah.
reading it on a beach, and it's like, oh my god, the juxtaposition of him reading this very depressing book about hell while he's in heaven when he's in Hawaii on the beach with his sexy wife that he's just started cheating on again because he's bad after a season of not cheating on her after marrying her the season beforehand. That's his second wife, EliteAri. What drama! You love Mad Men, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to rewatch it one day.
Yes, Demon Lord Dante. So I really want to read this. This will probably be the thing I read next. I actually thought about trying to read it today, the whole thing, because it's only like 4 chapters or something, before this, so I could give more context on this part. But this fucking context thing has gone on for like half an hour, EliteAri. Why haven't you stopped me
True.
yet? Demon Lord Dante is apparently. I could totally make a video about this where I do like a few videos talking about Devilman and how everything is Devilman, and then I switch it up, EliteAri, on them and say, I bet you didn't know this, but Devilman is actually Demon Lord Dante. It's a big
Jeez.
switcheroo. The Devilman before Devilman that history forgot about or something. Yeah, I could spitball these titles all day. It'd probably be an informational video, and I'm not very good at that because I don't like doing research, despite how many Wikipedia pages, etc. I read for this.
Mm.
I think the last thing, the last thing is just influence the next thing we're going to be doing, which is Madoka Magica and also Berserk, Attack on Titan. He's in the first page of My Hero Academia, Evangelion, etc., etc. Did you know there's a silhouette of Devilman on that first page of My Hero Academia? I don't think it's literally the first page, but it's in the first chapter
Absolutely
where
not.
Deku is remembering heroes, and there's like a silhouette of Spider-Man there, and Devilman is also there. Because Devilman is a famous superhero because of that 1972 cartoon.
I wonder if it's all the same universe. All of Japan, all Japanese media. It all somehow comes together, you know? Love it.
Even Spider-Man, that famous Japanese media piece.
Yep.
Remember when Spider-Man fought Titans? Were you around for that, EliteAri?
I have no idea
know
what
what
you're
I'm
talking
talking
about. No.
There was like a short crossover, like 10-page comic and an official Marvel thing where the Avengers fought the Titans from Attack on Titan in like 2013. This is like
What
big
a
news.
great idea.
Yeah, they just like, I guess it was a crossover thing.
It's like
But yeah,
Vinland
the anime
Saga,
just
right?
came
When
out.
the Assassin's Creed guy
Assassin's
shows up
Creed
randomly.
thing, true. What a great reference, EliteAri.
Yeah.
Oh, I also have one last thing, which is the legacy part of the which is only a small paragraph of the Wikipedia page. Oh my god, my voice hurts, EliteAri. I've been talking so much. Haha. The character designer from SNK, which is like the big publishing company or the big anime publishing company. The company that makes all the anime or manga, it's one of them, admitted that Devilman was the influence on designing Kyo Kusanagi. Actually, I think I'm lying, and this is a video game company because that's a character from a video game. That's very famous. We're both at this moment supposed to go, oh, him. But you're not doing that,
I have
EliteAri.
no idea who that is. Okay.
He's from a fighting game.
Okay.
Manga writer Nanoshi Arakawa claimed that Devilman manga is the manga that shocked him the most as a child. You see, it's a shonen for children, EliteAri.
Yep.
Arakawa was eventually influenced by Devilman and to write X due to the themes employed in both mangas. Now, this X thing, I clicked on this page and it seemed cool. It was like 4 manga Kurt wrote it, but then it didn't get an ending or something. So I was like, I guess probably shouldn't read this one. It was some cool shit from like the 90s. But I think it was just like a gay romance thing. And by gay, I'm not insulting it as in saying bad. I think there were girls kissing. Most notably, the Armageddon. I should have read that end of the sentence. Neon Genesis Evangelion, you know that one, EliteAri.
Yep.
Director Hideaki Anno said that the Mecha Evangelion Unit 01, that's the purple one, EliteAri, was influenced by Devilman. Anno claims that Devilman's scary facial expressions were the basis for the mecha alongside Mazinga Z. You remember Mazinga Z? That's the manga that's the mecha show that he created that created mecha. And then this is like another fighting character thing, and then a Kamen Rider thing, which you don't care about, and I don't care about either. There was a source there about Evangelion. I guess I already went over that and didn't really have to read it out. But influential, EliteAri. I've made my case, right?
It's influential beyond what I was expecting. Yeah, I just thought it's like, oh yeah, you know, there's some works that, you know, every now and then it'll reference something, but no, apparently this guy's a big guy. You know, a lot of works, a lot more things other than Devilman. Created some genres.
He made
crazy.
wrestling real, EliteAri, or fake. But this is the part where I think we go into the chronological breakdown, perhaps, and I hopefully give my voice a rest while you have your one sentence recap for Volume 1 planned out.
My one sentence. Okay, Volume 1. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Volume 1. My summary here: meeting the characters and turning into Devilman. There we go. I think that's pretty much exactly what happens.
There's so much exposition in this. It's literally a whole volume of exposition, and I love it, EliteAri. It's so fucking... It's just like... It's Rio saying some crazy shit, Akira doing a facial expression, then Rio explaining it. And for whatever reason, I think it's great. Actually, we should probably start at the very beginning. Now, EliteAri, you have this manga up. There's a whole fucking battle with dinosaurs and shit. What were you thinking when you first read this part, EliteAri?
I was just wondering, how is this going to tie in? Like, is Devilman going to take place during this, like, I don't know, during this period of time? I was wondering why it was colored as well. I was like, oh no, is this like they added this later was this coming out when it was coming out? I got no idea.
Yeah, because the beginning part is colored. Yeah.
And it's like way more detailed art, at least what I talked about before. But yeah, I was like, this is really interesting. I like the lore implications of like these angels or devils, whatever, like coming down to the earth out of nowhere suddenly. It's really interesting.
So this is kind of the most confusing part, and I actually Googled it and still didn't get an answer because I think I know the answer, but we're going to speculate now, EliteAri. So
I think we have it now, right? Surely.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
So there's a bunch of angels living on... Well, we see dinosaurs, so we know it's like olden times. and then we see a bunch of like pretty angel things that look a lot like Rio, which you're like initially, what are these things? Are they fairies? But I think they're angels, EliteAri, because they
Mm.
look like Rio, and Rio's a Satan, and Satan, the Satan lore EliteAri, he used to be an angel, and then
Yep.
he was bad, and then they banished him. And there's that one painting of him crying, and it's like sympathetic to the devil, and the devil's really cool and actually the main character. Maybe like Devilman. Dun dun dun. That's what the Crybaby director said one time, that Rio was actually the main character.
Mm.
That's like a divisive thing. I'm bringing it up like you're going to go, I know that,
Yeah, I should
Kyle.
have
You're so
known.
funny and smart, but you don't know. A bunch of angels hanging out, and then we get the twist later. Where this is a no fucking happy shit. Oh, first of all, when I think of Devilman, I think of like high schoolers, which is funny. That you might not have even had context for that and
What
thought
does
that
that
we were going to
mean?
stick around in like prehistoric times.
Oh, sure.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah. No, I had no
yeah.
idea. I was expecting a very
I,
dark kind of story. Yeah. I had no idea.
yeah, I think of like Miki and not really in high school, Miki and Akira and Rio and like high school get-ups and stuff. The old Japanese high school get-ups, they're pretty cool, literally, when Akira's hanging out and he's all cool in his fucking outfit. But we're not up to that yet. So yeah, then a bunch of devils come out and start killing the fucking pretty fairy things, and that's just not nice, EliteAri. And they're all creepy and scary, and they look like berserk monsters, and you're like, aha, that's where they get that from.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, I'm trying to figure out what happens first. Rio shows up. You don't know him yet, but do you recollect that Rio was there at the beginning?
I do because
I'm
when
calling
at
your
right
mind
at
right
the
now.
end we got that reveal of what he looks like, I guess, and then I went back and I did read this
Yes.
because initially, I guess I should say, when I was reading this and I first like you see this like introductory sections with this big war thing going on, and then you go to Akira and Rio and all that. And initially my first thing was like, okay, so these two characters, the blonde haired guy and the black haired guy, clearly they are the like one of these blonde haired angels or whatever is the blonde guy, and then whoever that big other guy that shows up, the dark haired guy, I'm like, okay, maybe that's Devilman, and that's like the other black haired guy. But it doesn't end
Yeah.
up being that, I guess. But that's initially
Yeah.
what I
Well,
thought.
the thing I'm building up to here in the mystery is like, who the fuck was the other guy? Because it's not
Oh, I think it's pretty
Amon. It's
obvious.
not like it's God, right? I
Yeah, that's
guess.
well, I assume what's happening here is it's a fight between God and his angels, or one of representatives of God and his angels, versus the demons, like what they talked about with Rio 2 million years ago, or whatever.
Is that literally Jesus Christ, EliteAri?
Yeah,
No, he was
maybe. I
after the
mean,
dinosaurs.
well, yeah, it's,
Um,
who cares if it's after the dinosaurs? Doesn't matter.
The
I think
thing,
that
there
could be
might be a
cool.
thing in like Christian theology where there's like the warrior of God or something, and we're both just ignorant
Yeah,
of it,
maybe.
and it's like an obvious reference. But yeah, because initially, I remember the first time I tried to reread Devilman, and I think I actually tweeted about this, and it's probably because I don't tweet a lot with pictures. I bet if you went back, you could probably find this tweet pretty easily by going through my media thing. But I remember like asking on Twitter, like, who the fuck is this guy? I completely forgot about him.
Hmm.
And I guess it's God, which is cool, I guess, but I almost don't buy it. I'm like, is it something else? Because yeah, it's not Devilman because Amon is a demon. Um,
Well, yeah, if we put it in the context of the current story, Rio would be, or the angel thing here would be Devilman, and then the other person would be Satan, who is someone who has fallen from God's grace or something. So then,
yeah.
I got no idea.
The yeah, the imagery is cool because the collective of demons that Rio is sort of at the center at, and it's funny because he's like all bright and stuff because he's like a fallen angel and all the demons are dark. But it looks like a big like ship thing that's like
Sure.
attacking, and then all the good angels like coalesce towards the God Warrior dude.
Mm.
And it is like a cool little stand-up thing. The God Warrior dude has the coolest fucking sickest design I've ever seen in anything in my whole life. So it is kind of cool if it's God, but God can also just blow up the whole planet, I guess, in a second. So why does he need a warrior?
Yeah, it did feel. I guess the impression of God I got from the end of this, like Volume 6 or whatever, is that he feels like a very uncaring God. Where, like, he shows up, he
Yeah,
destroys Russia or whatever, and then he just leaves. And it's like, wow, alright.
it's either that or like he's a petty prick, and that Rio actually is the good guy. But
Sure,
we're not
maybe,
talking about
yeah.
the ending implications yet, EliteAri, all right? Calm down.
Yep.
But yeah, this part sort of still confused me. It's interesting. Like the implication that it is a god manifestation, or literally him, is fucking sick.
Mm.
I don't know if I buy it all the way though. It being Jesus Christ is also kind of
Yeah,
funny
I
too.
do like the Jesus thing.
Um,
I hope it is. That's
but
just
Jesus
great.
is like, you've read fucking Villain Saga, EliteAri. Jesus is weak, and that's the whole point. He can't fight.
Yeah, but in
Remember the
this one he
Vikings?
can.
They make fun of him. Maybe. Um, But yes, crazy stuff's happening there. And then we like also at the end they say that because I don't remember all it's not retconning, but it's like intentional retconning where we're changing the event of things. And not like the normal retconning where it's like the author changed his mind. At least I don't think so. Um where they're like, oh, the demons actually chose to go into the ice. So
Hmm.
I wonder if they pretend died to this fella because we cut away. So did they pretend die to this fella and then like sealed in ice? Because Satan was like, haha, we'll get him in 15 billion years. It's not that long, like 100,000 years or whatever.
2 million.
Yeah. Yeah, they say it specifically, huh? I got a
Yep.
good memory. Um, but yeah, they
I
get
think it is
sealed in
like
ice and
I
then
think they connect because there's that panel of like Rio or what are we Satan I guess have the tentacles like attached to his head or
my boy
whatever.
Rio.
I imagine he's controlling all of them. And he's
Yeah.
just decided we're gonna freeze now. Whatever, we're not gonna win this. We'll win later. Um, yeah,
How do you trick God though? I think Satan does that a lot. He tricks God, so I guess he can do it.
he's just a genius. That's
Um,
how. And I also had a thought. It could be the Holy Spirit. Okay, that could be what it is.
yeah, there's three of them, EliteAri. The God, the Christ, and the Holy Spirit. You know your theology.
Yep,
What a
yep.
smart young man.
Yeah, I went to a Catholic school.
Um,
Yep,
I didn't. I went to Devilman school, right? This is how I understand
nice.
theology and Evangelion. Any Dead Sea Scrolls in this? I wonder if EliteAri
No,
knows Ava enough to get that that's a funny
yeah,
joke.
of course, I
Um,
understand. I remember.
yes. Um, oh, I had a point. Oh, then we see them breaking out of the ice with the traveling dudes. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a cool scene. I remember that. It's like a famous thing. Them breaking out of the ice initially. Um, but it is weird that Crybaby puts that first scene, though it's not it's like way shorter and you just see like dinosaurs and then demons show up. They put that in the last episode rather than at the beginning, so it's like a weird. A big criticism is that they shoehorn all that stuff in at the end and it just feels weird. And now Rio's Satan and it comes out of nowhere a little bit.
Mm.
Um, I like the way the manga does it better. I think though I've only watched Crybaby once and that was 5 years ago. Maybe it's good.
I think it's
Um,
like this. I don't even know what the story would be like without this introductory stuff. Because to me, it framed my entire way I saw the story, where I did think that like these are the two sides of the conflict, and our two main characters are going to be the two sides of it. So I
What
don't know.
does Crybaby open on? I think it opens on a flashback of Rio and Kira as kids, which doesn't make any sense in the manga canon because Rio was like a different person 2 years ago. Like he became Rio 2 years
Sure.
ago, which is like right before the manga begins because we do a bunch of time skips that aren't directly clear. Um, which is funny. Now we're not too far away from this because at the very beginning, Akira says like, "Oh, Rio, you've changed so much," and his appearance
Mm.
has probably changed. And Akira just goes along with it, which is interesting because we do see pictures of the Rio that actually died in the car crash or whatever.
Yep.
Um, so it's like, oh, he literally became Satan like the second before the manga started. That's cool, especially in retrospect. Um,
Yep.
Breaking out of ice. Where are we up to? Oh, we were talking about where Crybaby starts. Oh, Crybaby starts with like Rio wanting to kill a little cat when he's like 8 years
No.
old, and Akira crying and saying, "Don't kill it." And it's supposed to be like Rio's evil, and Akira is very empathetic, so he cries a lot. And Devilman Crybaby, you get it, Elite
Yep. It was
Yeah, and they
cool when
call back
they
to that at
like
the end.
in the
Yeah.
manga they're like, "Oh, you're such a crybaby," and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's from the show. That's
Yes, that's the
gonna be a
thing.
big deal." Oh my god.
Yes. That is like a defining trait of Akira, I guess, that he's empathetic and stuff. And he cries when he
Well,
empathetically,
is it?
manly cries. That's
I
cool.
don't know. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think so. You said that earlier too. You were like, I don't know if I agree with that, but
well, we
yeah.
only I guess about Akira, we hardly get that side of him ever. We get one scene of it, and then from then onwards, he's literally Devilman, and he never goes back to it. He doesn't cry ever again. He's never weak ever again. We just have to
Oh well,
take
he
the word of
cries.
Miki that that's what he is.
Well, he does manly cry a bunch.
Does he? I don't even remember.
Like there was even that one panel I had in my thing where he had like a single tear, and I feel like that happens like once a volume at least, where he
Hmm.
like gets very passionate and he's like, "I must defend the people," and he cries or something.
Sure.
Um,
Okay. I guess that's not the type of crybaby I was expecting. Then. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. In Devilman Crybaby, he does Crybaby cry a lot as in literally in Devilman form as like people are dying around him and how much he doesn't like it. So they definitely heighten it
Hmm.
in the not remake, the fucking adaptation. But that's like the conceit change, so they probably should
Yeah.
hype it up or do a thingy. Um Devilman is about empathy, EliteAri. But we'll get into that. All right, so they break out of the ice, and then we get the Rio exposition thing. We take Akiro. Oh, I guess we should talk about the introductory. Oh, yes, we should talk about the introductory scene of EliteAri. We've got the introduction of the bullies, and we got the introduction of Miki.
Mm.
Great characters all around. I love them all.
Oh boy.
So the bullies are just like cartoonishly evil. They want to kill him and stab him and stuff. And then
Yep.
it's great when they come back and be good guys later. It's the greatest thing of all time. I don't know if there's much more to say about them. They're very interesting character designs. The little ball fella, the big tall one with the fucked up face that looks like Popeye, and the other one with like the hair thingy that dramatically changes over time and becomes like taller and
Hmm.
fiercer. But yeah, anything to say about them? They're pretty cool, right?
They're the most like generic bullies I've seen in my life. Yeah, I like. I like. They were fine. I didn't spend
Especially
any
at the
time
beginning.
thinking about them whatsoever. Yeah.
Not even when there's that one that's like defending the house for like 20 pages and he's shooting blokes and you went like, oh, this is fucking sick, bro.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's that guy. I like him. Cool.
It is funny because there is a fourth one I think that's added into there when they do the spider stuff, and it was confusing because initially I was like, because in my head I remembered them. I can't believe I didn't make this because the second greatest manga panel of all time that I completely forgot and I didn't include in my thing, which I remember when I was making it, thinking that I should include it, but is this silhouette shot when they're going to fuck up the spiders and they all
Mm.
walk outside of the front of the school. That's like my second favorite manga panel of all time, unironically. Do you even know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the coolest fucking thing. And it is the generic trope of like, oh, the like, it's like Team Rocket becoming good guys for a little bit, where it's like, oh, like the reoccurring goofy bad guys,
Mm.
who are like, especially in superpowered stories when they don't. I feel like this is in like Spider-Man: Homecoming, where like all the friend kids, like maybe Flash helps them win at the end or something, and it's like, oh, the sort of useless, just normal dudes that they're actually kind of strong because they're just normal dudes. For
Mm.
normal dudes, they're pretty strong and they're going to help us fight the fucking devils. And oh, it's just the coolest thing ever. They're gonna go fucking slit some spider throats.
Yep.
That was like Spider-Man. It all ties in. But yeah, so retcon that into the old beginning part where we talked about panels. So I like the bullies leader. You don't like them? Fuck you.
I think they're fine.
Um,
Perfectly
the
serviceable.
because that is one of my like biggest memories of reading it the first time is that silhouette panel of the like the squad rolling out. It's
Yep.
fucking sick, bro.
I guess for me,
Tune into the music too.
it's not in any way related, but to me, when I saw that scene, I was thinking of Mob Psycho 100. And anyone who's seen Mob
There's
Psycho is
definitely
like,
a bunch
why
of
is he
things
thinking
like
about that? Yeah, but it's like there's basically a scene where like the bullies are taking someone out of a school building, and it's like a complete reverse of what's going on here, where like the good guys are. I don't know. It's different, but it just made me think of that. Body Improvement Club for anyone listening. Anyway.
a bunch of hoodlums, Leo. You gotta get rid of them, except when
Yeah.
they help us because they're cool. Uh, One of them's literally like at the very end is dictating Devilman business. God, what a funny one! It's the Popeye one. What a fella. Um, Do we ever see him die?
I have
Because we
no
see the
idea.
other one get killed in the house.
To me, these three bullies are like they're just one person in my mind. I got no idea.
Yeah, there's four of them too, because there's one
Oh
more in
boy.
the spider scene. But I don't remember. Because in my head, I don't know if it's the third one from the beginning with the weird hair is the one that defends the house at the end, or if that's or if that's the fourth one added in later. I'm confused with the bullies a little bit, but I love them. Miki EliteAri, she's a red pillar's wet dream. Can you believe this? Were you thinking that when you were reading it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, where it
Well,
is
I guess a
like
red pillar's
she's
worst nightmare.
uh
Like she embodies all the negative traits they say women embody.
I
And it's funny
guess.
because she's like, man, my man Akira, he's a fucking pussy. I hate him. And then as soon as he shows any manliness, she decides to absolutely submit to him and remove all her personality. And she even like it has gags where she verbally over explains how she's totally not a tomboy and she's gonna be a submissive wife to him. And
Yeah.
don't think I'm a tomboy who likes knives and stuff. It's like the funniest thing ever. But she's cute and I love her.
I think I completely agree. Um yeah, it is she's a strange character, isn't she?
Yeah,
Like
because especially when it's a 70s thing, you're like, oh, this is going to be the generic sort of like, this is where the trope comes from. The generic doting, like, does nothing female love interest. But I think she kind of does nothing, but she's like mean and stuff, and it's funny.
yeah, there's a few aspects. I guess firstly the fact that she never at least to me it never feels like she's ever in any danger. And until the
Yeah,
end when she
really
dies, which
thing.
is like the big deal. Um
Yes.
I think that's one aspect. She feels very masculine. Um, Basically the entire way she behaves, like what you said, like she behaves masculine and wants she like demands Akira to be this way, basically. But then yeah, she retreats to like the ideal she has of being a woman when she like gets her way with Akira. She's like, oh, but now that you can do, now that you're masculine and everything, I can be the feminine person. It's cool.
Yeah.
Um, she's
This.
also like,
Yeah.
I have one line written for her. That's my entire character note for her, which is that I think it was her brother or something. The young kid, I would assume, is her brother. When she's like,
Sorry.
"Oh, Mickey will beat me up if I'm late," and I'm like, "Oh my god, she's a monster."
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. That's when they're talking about the dog thing with the one
Yeah,
friend that gets decapitated. What a scary scene. Comes right before the fucking fourth wall break. Oh my god, it's so fucking
yeah.
cool. Um, the but yes, Miki is a very it's almost an overstatement to say she's a very interesting character. Her portrayal and her like she's very basic, but her basicness is sort of
It's
the
weird.
interesting
Like,
part where
I guess to me, it doesn't feel like a character. I mean, I know it is a character, but to me, it's hard to describe it. But it feels like she's the placeholder for some idea. Um,
yeah. And because it's like 1972, it's like I think they are sort of embodying the red pill thing because they are the traditional period in which the red pill is kind of
yeah, possibly.
idolized kind of. Well, it's a little bit after. I think they like the 50s and the 60s. 70s is when things started going downhill. Um, but yeah, it is because I don't think it's like a commentary that Miki should be more masculine. I think it's just like it's like a description of like, yeah, women are like tomboys until they turn 16 and the men around them the boys around them become more masculine and then they just decide to be of a more female role. I think that is like it is embodying that traditional thing. It's not like a commentary on it.
Hmm.
Um, at least that's the vibe I was getting out of it. But even then, it's kind of interesting. But yeah, Miki.
And she's
Um,
also, I guess, kind of. I don't know if we've touched on this, but she also feels like she has Toon Force strength or whatever. Have you ever heard of that? Where it's like she feels like a cartoon character
no.
basically, where no one can hurt her. And whenever she's in a
Yes, a little
situation, I'm
bit.
worried for the other characters, like that she's gonna hurt them by accident or something. I don't know why I get that
Yeah.
vibe, but yeah.
There definitely is like the family household thing sort of feels very safe, and it is kind of an intrusion on that when the mob shows up and just destroys it and kills everybody.
Yeah.
Um, because there is like the scenes in like I think it's volume 4 where the initial like devil thing and you're just seeing carnage in like the city and then we cut to wherever they live and it's not really
Mm,
damaged that much. It's like, oh, the house is safe. We're fine here. Like these characters aren't going to die. Just random people are going to die.
yeah.
Um, but then it comes crashing down. I will say in Devilman Crybaby they do change Miki almost entirely and she is a like very empathetic, kind girl
I don't like that.
from the beginning. And she has like a whole speech towards the end about how people should learn to love each other, and it's like the big thematic thing it's like an episode. I think it's literally the speech that gets them to all go to her house because everybody's in it. She's like preaching empathy, and they're all like, "Oh
That's
no,
not my Mickey.
so
I
let's
don't
go
like
kill
it.
her."
There's nothing
Yes.
like that.
And she's also running around, and I don't know if her name is Miko in the manga. The first devil woman girl we see with like how her like whole chest and stuff is all deformed and stuff. Do you know the character I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, well, she's like a massive character in Crybaby 2, and she has like a whole rivalry, and they're on the track team with Miki because it's their names are both Miki, but she has to be Miko or something because our Miki here is more popular, and it's like they have a whole rivalry thing.
I
But
like
then
that.
she's also there, in the scene, where the house gets burnt down, and they kind of escape initially. That's actually kind of a cool twist because if you're watching Crybaby, you're like, oh, they're pussying out, and they're not going to kill Miki, they're going to have her get away because she like transforms into a spider thing, not Miki, but the other one
Hmm.
and like runs away, but then they chase her down anyway and kill her and do the same stab in the back thing with the same cool animation and then decapitate her, etc. We're not up
Hmm.
to that yet. But yeah, there are interesting changes in that, but it definitely feels like more, I guess, generic in Devilman Crybaby, where it's like, oh, the nice girl anime love interest is here. Um, but yeah, I think she even reforms the hoodlums by herself, and she's like,
Wow.
the hoodlums in Devilman Crybaby, they don't like try to kill him or anything. They just rap, because we're modernizing it. So hoodlums
Cool.
rap. Uh, the rap scenes I think are like things that people really like about Devilman Crybaby. I don't remember them that well, but yeah, I don't know why I'm bringing up so many changes. Miki's cool, EliteAri. What a wacky character.
I agree. She might be my favorite. I don't know. We'll see. I really like her a lot.
Yes. Oh, and also the big thing is like, oh, she's like we get a lot of sexualization of her, like we do with all these leads in these old anime. She's probably 15. Oh, she's pretty hot, bro.
I think I was surprised actually by how little sexualized she was, I guess, I would say. Like,
well, there's that. It's really all in volume 2, where she's having a bath, right?
sure, yeah. I guess the thing is, if she was a character in Berserk, I feel like we would have got a lot more sexualization. Whereas in this, it
Yes.
kind of feels like she's like, it doesn't feel like when she's having a shower to me, it doesn't feel like she's being sexualized. It just feels like, oh, she's having a shower and she's naked, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, there's even a demon in there with her. It's literally the bathwater, and there's no like she's gonna get raped by a
Yeah.
demon. And I'm like, yeah, we're just so much better than Berserk over here. We're devil manning out. Casca isn't getting nearly raped 50 times a chapter. Remember those trolls?
Yep.
But yeah, that's cool. Though they do sort of bring some potentially violent sexual imagery when she does get dyed and just, like her clothes get ripped off, and that's scary. So that kind of packs more punch there at
Yep.
the end. But yeah. A Gona guy likes butts. Every one of these girls, like Silene's a little sexualized too. They all got butts, and in anime manga, you don't get butts all the time, EliteAri, and I liked that. So that's cool.
All right. I
Right?
didn't notice. Okay, cool.
I noticed. She literally looks at her butt and goes, "I like the proportions," as she shakes her head. What a funny girl. But yes, I wanted to talk about those characters and their introductions. That's kind of, I guess, probably what we're going to talk about Miki throughout the whole thing, or all we're going to say. Probably a little bit more. But yeah, then we get the whole exposition thing. I guess part of this I want is like a EliteAri rundown of what he was thinking as he was watching all of this unfold.
Oh, boy.
So is there much more to remember unfolding in Volume 1? I guess your initial read on Ryu is probably an interesting point to go here. He shows up, he has a gun, he gets rid of the bullies, and then they go on a drive, and it's all... I love the
Yeah.
atmosphere of like the dark night drive and two fellas that know the secret of the world, and they have to stop it and fight the crime without letting everybody else know, and it's all dark, and especially when they go into the house and they turn back and they're in the car again and the first demon attacks them, and it's like, oh, and they got to turn back. I don't know, there's something about the atmosphere, and that all tied into with the exposition that I think is very interesting, that really drives this first volume through. Do you understand what I'm talking about with this feel of night drives are fun, EliteAri, even though I don't drive, isn't it? It's like spooky a little bit, but also cool.
Yeah, and the roads are empty. That's the best part of it. Yeah, I love a night drive. Way better than a busy day drive, right? Anyway.
True.
Okay, so yeah, I completely agree. I think this stuff with Miki and Rio by themselves is very interesting. Oh yeah, sorry. What did I even say? I don't even know what I said. Yeah, Akira and Rio. Or Akira and Asuka, right? That's Rio's last name, I think.
Yeah, crazy. You ever think of that one? Where
It
that
is
character's
crazy.
name come from?
Yeah.
I think Asuka is a pretty common Japanese name.
Probably, yeah. And I'm sure Akira is too.
There's a wrestler named Asuka too.
Anyway, I have an actual note here saying the captivating pace of the first chapter between Akira and Rio, which...
Oh, you didn't like the first volume.
I
know you say nice.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fine. I wasn't captivated by it, but I guess the captivating pace I'm talking about here is this particular scene with them, where you're getting... How do I even describe this? So you've got Akira's
melodramatic is the word we were looking for 40 minutes ago,
Melodramatic?
EliteAri, where we were talking about campy and
Sure,
that word.
sure.
Well, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Because in this, they're like grabbing each other's hands. It's like, we're going to do this. And they're both crying one single tear. And it's like, oh, cool. But yes, continue.
Okay, I feel like there's an interesting thing between the two perspectives we've got, where we're following Akira, we're suddenly running into this Rio guy who Akira is like familiar with and who's coming back into his life suddenly. And things are moving fast, and he's giving all this crazy exposition, and they're moving places in a fast car, and they're like quickly going into this mansion. And
he doesn't have a license for, and he doesn't
have a license for. He seems like the really cool friend who's like winning fights with a gun, and he's gonna like teach him the way of like how to be cool and everything. And he feels like he's a
big pussy at this point.
Yeah, he feels like he's gonna be a big influence on Akira, basically. Yeah, to like make him a better person or something, or a more well-rounded person. But at the same time, to me, it very much feels like things are moving so fast for Akira, because it feels like he's being pushed down a certain path in a very manipulative fashion, is kind of what I was feeling at this point. where I was like, I know now that I have more context, this isn't true, but what I was feeling like was that Rio isn't lying to him at all here, but it feels like the way that he's saying all this exposition and moving him so fast and pressuring him to do things feels like he's manipulating him through kind of not giving him enough chance to like think about things, I guess. And as a viewer, it's very captivating because I'm like, what is really going on here? All this exposition is interesting, and I'm kind of roped in with Akira, where I'm like, oh, I kind of want to see what's going to happen. I'm not getting a chance to really think about like what are the consequences of all of this. But,
yeah. There is a self-aware moment, because I was thinking that, like, on the second time too, I was like, man, he's very manipulative. He's not even giving him a chance to say no. But then there is a moment where Rio actually pauses and is like, I know this is a lot very quickly, and I'm putting my best friend through this, and you don't have to do this if this is the last point to turn back. So he gives him a few moments like that where you're like, oh, look at this Rio fella. He's all right. You know, we kind of like him. He's pretty cool. But yeah, obviously it's sort of like there's like a sixth sense to Rio, because we understand he's Satan, and him sort of leading through all of this because he sort of knows or is actualizing through instinct all of this to happen very quickly, which is interesting. Recontextualization for later, but yeah, initially it's like it's very brisk and it's very cool. And then we get to the nightclub, and Rio starts stabbing people. Oh, and he has a cigarette that's laced with drugs.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, wait, did he?
Drugs in Japanese media? Yeah, he's like, oh, yes, this is a cigarette laced in drugs, and it's obviously like weed or something.
Wow.
Great. Or probably not. It's probably like an LSD cigarette, right? I don't know much about drugs, EliteAri.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're having a big hippie party, because we're just coming off of the 60s, and this is the most evil thing in society, a big hippie orgy.
Yeah, this nightclub thing. It made me like I was so confused by what Devilman was, because I saw this introduction thing with all these demons and angels and stuff, and then we swapped to this like school like goofy art style, like getting the classical bullies bullying the nerd guy or whatever, and then we have this dark stuff with all the backstory of all these demons and all this stuff, and we had to go to my dad's house and he's like dead, and he tried to kill me and all this stuff, and
oh yeah, the dad stuff. We didn't even
then we go into
the dog.
Well, then they go into this dark place of like, oh, this is so evil and we can't see anything. And then it gets the reveal of the nightclub, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, has this all been a lie? And Devilman isn't about like devils and stuff, and it's more like a psychological journey of this man who's like becoming a man and going to nightclubs and doing drugs and stuff. And so I had no idea. I was like, have I been tricked by like the way Akira was tricked, and he's actually just taking him to a nightclub? I had no idea. So that was really interesting. I liked reading that.
Because, yeah, Akira even, like, is this a big fucking joke? Yeah. After they've done their big pledges and cried, and you do feel betrayed, and you're like, why is he doing this? And then he starts stabbing people, and the demons actually do come. Because there is a moment of, like, is any of this real, or is this a big fucking meme? But yeah, it's sort of offset by the first thing, the first scene we get.
Yep.
But yeah, it's cool.
Love it. Very engaging.
Then the demons show up, and Devilman becomes Devilman, and Rio doesn't get merged with the thing.
Yeah,
like,
so
why was that?
Okay, I guess I should ask you about this. So basically, a Devilman is made when a human abandons reason, okay, and they act on instinct or whatever.
No, a devil is a demon is made when that, yeah.
Wait, a demon? Wait, say it again?
Yeah, because they don't call them devils, right? Because they call them demons, but I made that mistake all throughout the video already, so.
No, I'm saying a Devilman is made when a human abandons reason.
Well, Devilman is made when a human still has reason and they overpower the...
Oh, is that what happens? Oh god, I just like misunderstood. So
yeah, because a demon takes over a person's body when they abandon all reason, and like it's basically they have the same sort of psychological state. So the demon comes in and just wins and takes possession of the body. That's how our friends at the dinner table were taken over. But a Devilman happens when they try to merge with somebody.
And they have like this strong
pure heart.
Yeah,
the strong will, and they overpower it. But if it sort of cancels each other out, then they just drop dead, both of them. Which we see later on.
I think that answers my question, because I was just trying to think of like, if it is humans abandoning reason lets you become a Devilman, what's the whole point here? Like, I don't get the message. But if it is like you fight back, that makes sense. I just forgot about that. Cool.
Because we don't even see that eternal conflict at all.
It is a weird thing to introduce, don't you think? Like, why? What is the larger message, I guess, being conveyed? Like, by this?
I wouldn't say Devilman is fleshed out particularly well mechanically.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
It's just an
Um,
interesting concept, I guess.
like Devilman has some weird fucking powers that you're just gonna go like, oh yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. Like he has flame fists and he can breathe fire sometimes, and then he can control his weird eyebrow things to win fights, and there's a bunch of weird
Yep.
powers going on here. So mechanically it's a little weird. Now I do actually want to bring this up at some point, and I think this might be the best point to bring it up, which is I in our Chainsaw Man discussions, a lot of the time you bring up like, oh, obviously the direction Chainsaw Man is going in is that we're going to find out that like the devils in Chainsaw Man, because in Devilman they call them devil, and in Chainsaw Man they call them devils, and Devilman they call them demons when they're literally like
Yeah.
around.
Sure.
Um, it's very confusing, you see. Um, but I think you've said multiple times in our Chainsaw Man videos that you think like, oh, obviously we have to have like a civil rights movement for the demons and
Yep.
or the devils and figure out that they're just like people.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I've always said like, no, it's gonna be like Devilman, and like that's going to be kind of in there, but it's not really the point. Like we do see like I think the whole point with Rio at the end is that he is kind of human and he has human emotions and stuff like that. And I think like we see
Hmm.
other devils like at certain points have like fear. Oh, with Sirene, what the fuck is her name?
I don't know.
And
Silent is what I
Keem
said.
or
Yeah.
Kane or whatever his name is, like they clearly like love each other, and that's kind of like Akira almost cries at that, I think, at the end of volume 2, and he's like, oh, it's a beautiful thing that even these demons had
Yeah.
love. But like the whole point at the end isn't that demons are good. Like we do have to kill them all. They're all bad. But
Well,
they're capable of these emotions, maybe.
I think the point.
So I
I guess
think
it
that's
is
what we're doing in
very.
Chainsaw Man too. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it was very similar
go
to
ahead, go
why.
ahead.
First, I should say that I didn't think of this at all when I was reading Devilman. Like, it didn't once cross my mind that okay, we're gonna actually get to this point where it's like, oh, devils, humans are all the same thing. Um, Whereas I did think
Yeah,
that when I was reading Chainsaw Man, and it didn't happen at the end of
I'm
Chainsaw
the
Man. Right? I
same.
think that is the point of Chainsaw Man. But I
I have
think
nothing to
yeah,
say about
I guess the point here, I think at the end is that idea that there are no differences. Like there is devils within humans, and there is humanity within the devils, right? Because like obviously by the end, well, like that panel I showed, like, one of my favorite panels, where it's like the humans are the devils in a certain lens.
it.
Um,
Yeah.
so I guess that's the
But I
point.
think that's more so the point than the other way around. I think it's that humans can be evil too. Um, Not that devils aren't evil. It is a weird,
Well,
like,
we get the story of Rio fighting God, right? Because God just hated these demons, and
yeah,
he
but
thought it was wrong to get
that's
rid of
like a
them.
food chain thing where it's like, oh, God created the devils and doesn't think like bad about killing them, and he just does it. And devils think humans are under them and have no regard for killing them, and humans think animals are below them and have no regard for killing them. And
Sure.
it's sort of like I don't know if it's just a like, well, that's the way things are type thing.
Well, I think
Um,
it. I think that firstly, I think that works. And it also obviously is a whole big volume 3 is all about that. But I think at the same time, that story also works to show that Satan, the most devil of devils, is also empathetic and very human-like, and he cares
yeah,
about these other people that, like, he cares about the life that he knew 2 million years ago, and he wants to bring it back. It's a very human thing, I think. Um,
yes, I agree. I guess I'm now arguing that thematically it's not the point, but it kind of is. But I don't think in Chainsaw Man we're going to have a similar thing
no, we've
where
done it. We've
we
done it
do
in
have.
Chainsaw Man, all right? We've had this
Yeah,
argument,
but
all
we've
right?
done it with like power, but yeah,
No, no,
and then
no.
we do
We've
it with
done it with
Rio.
no, no. We did it with Naito. It's already been resolved. I don't want to
Oh,
spoil
well, they're not
Chainsaw Man
actually
here,
devils,
right?
they're cute girls. That's a different thing.
No, boy. All right. No
But yeah,
spoilers for Chainsaw Man
I,
here. Well, no big ones like that.
fuck them. Read Chainsaw Man, you idiots.
True.
But yeah, there were other Chainsaw Man things that came up where I was like, man, Chainsaw Man is very Devilman sometimes, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. Maybe as we're going through, we'll think about them more.
Well, I guess
Um,
there's the other aspect of Chainsaw Man, which is that Denji is both a human and a devil, and in this case, it's Akira is both
yeah,
human and devil,
well,
literally. So it's like, huh, cool.
that goes without saying,
Of
EliteAri,
course, yeah.
obviously.
Devil Man, Chainsaw Man, yeah, makes sense.
Yes. There was something that iterated off that specific point though that I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember. Um, oh, I guess it's also the point that like, oh, Pachita has these legends about when he was in hell and he was
Oh,
fucking
sure.
shit up, and so does Amon. But we never get anything with Amon, and Amon is then juxtaposed as a cute little chainsaw thingy. Um,
Yep.
but I think I've said that in the past that we're not actually going to see Pachita like killing shit in hell. Um, and that was probably a Devilman thing. But anyway, I think we're up to the nightclub, right?
Yeah, I guess I only have one more note on Volume One, and it's related to the nightclub, which is about um, uh, what's his name? Rio has two tests of confidence, which I thought were interesting. Um, which is that firstly he says, or Akira is worried about like, oh, if the security is so tight and the walls are so thick, then the demons can't get in. Then how are we going to merge? And Rio's basically like, oh, if a demon can't get in here, then they're not strong enough to merge with us anyway. So what's the point, you know?
Yeah.
And then he
Well, they're not
says it
strong
again
enough to
later.
win the battle.
Yeah, sure, to win the battle. And then at the end, when they're actually fusing or whatever, he's like, "Oh, if we lose to all these demons, then they're not worthy of merging with anyway, because we're gonna lose overall."
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this just like ties in with the whole fast-paced, manipulative feeling of when I was reading this, where I'm like, "Huh," like your logic makes sense, but it kind of feels like you're manipulating me by kind of forcing me to think that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Small details, and it's
feels very
interesting that it happens
driven.
twice. Like if he only said this once, then I'd be like, okay, it's interesting. Like that's a good point. But the fact that he says it again, it's like, wow, this feels a bit manipulative here, in a cool way. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
it. It's all my notes, volume one.
Well, yeah. We get cool Devilman shots, and it's always like he's always, especially in the first two volumes, he's always the weird, like the lines are weirdly like I don't know, swirly is the right word. You know what I'm talking about, EliteAri, where
Yep.
it's like weirdly like
There's like light and
yeah, and
shadow and like
yeah,
weird. It's like, wait, you
bit
know what I'm thinking
crazy,
of? When
brother.
you have like a flame and you hold something in front of a flame, and the shadow it casts is
Yes,
kind of like moving around and stuff like that.
yeah, it's like that. Yeah, um, the also these fucking party people aren't doing anything wrong. And I feel like the manga is
They're
saying that they're
doing
doing stuff
drugs,
wrong
Kyle,
by,
right?
yeah, drugs and orgies and stuff,
Yeah.
and wilding out to music. It's like the Sabbath. He does throw a million fucking real world references. Like they mentioned the witch hunts at the beginning here and everything like that. You remember the witch hunts from the greatest movie of all
My
time, The
God,
Crucible,
we've had so many
Elite
witch
Ari, of
hunts
course.
coming. Yeah.
Yes, so topical. I planned all this out, where it's all an aroma doka magic was a plan to relate to this, to relate to the
Yep.
Crucible, to relate to Chainsaw Man. Oh, I'm just so smart. I
Yep.
just plan these things out. I'm playing 4D chess over here with EliteAri's little pea brain.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, they ain't doing nothing wrong, and then Rio starts killing people, and they start fighting back, and they're like, "What the fuck you doing, brother?" So that was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And then, yeah, we fight him and we kill a bunch of demons in there. There's a bloodbath everywhere. Apparently, Rio was filming this somehow. In Crybaby, he is very directly filming it because he might be filming it on a phone. Actually, I think he has a camera in Crybaby. So that's a
Mm.
funny thing where it comes out of kind of nowhere later, where it's like, and I have the film of Akira killing bitches
Yep.
at the very beginning, and they play on the TV. Um, I guess that was a big thing we had to make more clear in Crybaby. All right.
Sure.
But also, and then I think the final scene of Volume One is the bullies showing back up again, and Akira just beating them all up. Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's a whole scene where Miki's starting to notice that Akira is like super manly now. I think there's a scene at them in the house, which is kind of reminiscent of the Spider-Man 2002 when Peter wakes up and he's in the house and he flexes and he's all jacked and shit.
Yep.
For whatever reason, I'm thinking that it paralleled that. Spider-Man copied Devilman, obviously. And then he fucks up the bullies, and Miki is so happy that she's got a masculine man in her life, and she
Yeah.
can be a traditional housewife now, and it's so funny.
It is so
So
funny.
maybe not the right reason.
Miki, I guess I would say
Miki's
to
little
me, she's so
sides are always fun.
generic, but at the same time, she's the most unique character. I've never seen anyone like her.
Yeah,
I like her a lot. Anyway.
because in the old Digibro video, she says she calls like the Miki death thing at the end like it's like the traditional idol love interest girl being decapitated. You never see that. And it's like, oh, and that's part of the shock value, which is kind of true, but I kind of don't think that's true because she's not like she's the love interest and she is like the idol anime girl who obviously is the lead girl for all the boys reading it to be like, oh, I want Miki, I love Miki because she's hot and stuff. Um, and like all the fan art and body pillows would be made of if this existed in 30 years after the fact.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know. She is like a little bit
I
different.
I
I
never
don't know if
thought of her
all the
as a love
girls in
interest.
manga. Yeah, go
Like I don't know
ahead.
if Akira does Akira ever consider her like a love interest or anything? Do we? I
Yeah,
always just
towards
thought of
the
her
end,
as like a sister kind of thing.
no, they're definitely kissing and stuff. Um, it is interesting one-sided, which again is like the red pill thing about how she has to be way more into you than you are into her for the relationship to work, which might be a traditional thing, I guess. Um, in Crybaby, it's definitely more explicit, but a lot of the sex stuff is more explicit. Like Akira literally wakes up one day and he's had a wet dream and there's cum all over the roof because he came as Devilman,
Jeez.
unironically.
This just
There's a
sounds like the
lot of
greatest
very
anime.
sexy.
I gotta watch this. My god.
It's an interesting read and watch rather. I do. Maybe I'll rewatch it too later. Maybe it's only 10 episodes for Christ's sake. Um, so in that, it's and maybe that's just informing me. But towards the end, they're very clearly in love. But I think it is like an unsaid thing. Now, usually it's the opposite. When I did the movie night for 1001 Nights, it's funny because the girl is just in love with the main character out of nowhere. And it's like weird and bad in that movie. And I guess it is sort of a similar thing here, but switched, where it's like, I think it's just assumed that the whole audience, just because there is young girl and young boy like here, that like obviously they're love interest and you're just supposed to get it, even if it's never made explicit.
I
But
guess
yeah, I guess I don't know. I
the
always have the
way
vibe.
yeah, the vibe I would get, I guess, is now that I'm thinking about it, would be like these two are high schoolers. And you've got Mickey. Obviously, Mickey loves Akira, or is like obsessed with him or whatever, and wants him to be like this perfect man that she can fall in love with. At the same time, Akira is kind of okay with that, and he likes that, and he's like, okay, she can be my girlfriend or whatever. But I never got the sense that he was very serious about it. Whereas for Mickey, it kind of seems like she's really obsessed with him. She
Yeah,
wants it a lot. But to me, it's like Akira is more like, I like her as a friend, and if she wants to be more than that, I'm fine with it. And it's like, I like this is fun. But I never got anything more than that. But to me, it works at the end where it's like, this is obviously a very close friend,
yeah,
potentially
because
someone that he
she.
loves, that he's gone,
I
and
think
it's
it's
like, yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's cemented to me in the last panel they have together where they're like hugging in front of the TV. Though I guess you could
sure.
say that's a sister sibling moment. Though they've only been living together for like I think 2 weeks when the manga begins. I think it's
Oh
literally that
wow,
recent.
okay.
Yeah, because there is a line about that, and that was surprising to me. But also, we never get like a thing about Akira's parents. Akira's mum comes back and dies in Crybaby. She's actually the one that gets killed by the turtle, not just like some
Oh,
weird like old neighbor
oh
that she
my
had.
god,
So I love
yeah,
that little
okay.
girl. She's great.
She is the
Um,
greatest, my god. But she comes out of nowhere and disappears, and I'm like, what is this character that just?
yeah.
I had no idea, but she
Yeah,
was
it's
awesome.
literally the most manipulative, like, cute girl is here for 2 pages, then gets
Yeah,
killed off, so you feel sad. But it worked. She was great.
he
It's
did. She was
funny
so
because all the
funny.
girls in this are like that, huh? They're all like prickly and like funny and stuff. Anime
Yeah.
girls aren't like that. They're always fucking lame and love you or something.
Sure. This probably has
Um,
something to do with the male perspective or something. The author's like 1970s, you know.
yes.
I got no
And it's
idea.
also like it's that like, oh, they'll get domesticated when they get some dick, bro, when they're fucking 16, like Miki did. It's like that old fucking talking point. Um, so yeah.
The
It's
author
interesting.
it
They're all
was a
like
man, right? Whatever G, well,
who?
not G. What was his name?
Yeah, Gona guy is a
Gona
male,
guy.
yes.
Okay, yeah. Wait,
Um,
it's not like people have seen him before, right? It's not like one of those authors where it's like no one.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
He's got a
interesting.
picture. He's a handsome young man.
Sure.
On his Wikipedia page, etc. He was at that New Japan Pro Wrestling press conference afterwards when Liger retired and
Right.
congratulated him on a
True.
great
Yeah.
career and
Yeah.
how Liger made the character his own and it wasn't Gona Guy's anymore, it was his. And oh my god, it was just so precious, EliteAri. We've got to bring it back to wrestling.
Perfect.
But yes, that little girl, she was great. We'll get to her later.
Yeah.
The volume's over. What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about the decapitation, and I was bringing up the old Digibro video talking about how it's effective because the idol, like the lead anime girl who
Mm.
we've seen in everything, gets decapitated, and that's fucking crazy and subversive and stuff like that.
Yep.
Which I kind of guess is the point. But Miki is cool. We've talked about it more than I expected, and I like that. So yeah, actually, the very final scene of Volume One is like a creepy bat thing that I assume works for Silene, peeping Akira Fudo and being like, he is the one that took over Amon's body, and he flies into the moon. This moon
Mm.
symbolism is in it a bunch, Alita. Are you catch on to that?
Yeah, and it reminds me of something. I'm sure whatever it is, I'm sure they're
In
taking it from
Berserk, they
Devilman.
do it a lot
Oh,
too.
maybe. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of
Um,
Zod from all the shots we get of him in
yes,
Golden Age.
yes, there is a bunch of odd stuff. I didn't actually go over this earlier, the Berserk references, but there are two very specific panels that everybody brings up. But I guess we'll do them at the end.
Okay.
Um, But yes, there's a bunch of Moon and Skull Knight Moon stuff as well. I
Mm.
think the Moon, and I think in like it might not be Christianity and something the devil the the moon is the devil thing, and the sun is the god thing. So I think it's just like, oh, the demon bat flies off into the moon here, and the moon, like in the final scene, like the moon gets covered and then it comes out again.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I think that might be what we're doing, and I think that might be what we're doing in Berserk. But
sure,
also like I think in Berserk it's like, oh, the tides of fate in because the moon controls
sure.
the tides, EliteAri, so that ties into it.
That's crazy.
Um, but also from a scientific thing, the moon used to be part of Earth, but then it broke off from an asteroid, so it's like Satan going from being one of the angels and then going to be his own thing over here with the devils. See how that tied in? That was
That's
pretty smart, huh?
awesome. Yeah.
So we're doing moon shit, but yeah, flies off into the moon. Anything else to say about Volume 1, EliteAri?
I don't know if you know this. Do you have any idea how close together these volumes came out, or chapters? I guess
I
did
have
it
no
all come
idea
out in like
how the
a
chapters
year
even
or
came out.
so? Yeah.
No, I think no, it goes from 72 to 74 or the end of 73, I think. It takes about 2 years for it all to come out. Now, when you get
Okay.
into volume 3, there's like chapter things that sort of end. Like it'll say like when the turtle thing ends, it says like
Yeah.
Demon German ends or something. Oh, because the spider shit is before that too. And I think it has a little end thing for that too. So I assume those were broken up into chapters. I don't know if anything in the first volume was broken up into chapters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no idea specifically about the release schedule or
Yeah.
how things came out.
But I was just
Uh,
wondering, as like what you said, like if it 2 3 years, something like that, it's interesting because I could imagine something like this taking a very long time. Even like if you took breaks or something, it could be like a 10 15 year, kind of project. But yeah,
no, it was like 2 years maybe.
cool. What a guy.
Because Violence Jack here we've got as 1973 and Devilman is 1972, and Violence Jack starts after Devilman finishes. So it's like a year and a half, 2 years maybe.
Cool. All right. That's it. Volume
Crazy.
1 done. Now volume 2. You want me to give the summary?
Yes.
All right.
Silene fight now.
I think you just did it. There we go. Volume 2, fighting. I said Silent, but Silene. That probably makes more sense. Fighting Silene, then slash devils aren't inherently evil is my other thing I put for the summary.
Yes. And we kind of already talked about all this. I'm
But yeah, before
cheating
okay,
and
let
reading
me
this
just
chapter.
let me say before we say anything is that I am thoroughly I hardly remember this volume and I'm just confused by it. Like I think I would have to reread
Okay.
this again because I like because out of
What's
because
confusing
okay
you?
because Lust the first volume is very straightforward. We're like going to the devil, we're becoming a devil basically.
And this is the most straightforward
Well,
one.
maybe that's what's confusing me because out of nowhere suddenly we get this demon that shows up. They have a name. Then they're mentioning Amon and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't. This is all coming out of nowhere? I don't remember any of this. And it feels like Akira is familiar with this demon in a certain way.
Yes, that
And
is
I'm
an
just
odd
like,
thing.
I'm just very confused by it. And then it's just basically one big fight for this volume, and it ends on a weird note where it's like suddenly Akira is seeing this demon as beautiful, and I'm like, this is coming out of nowhere.
Huh.
It was a
See, I
strange
like the
volume,
beautiful.
basically. Yeah.
And actually, an interesting thing because I brought it up is that they repeat like the last 20 chapters, not
Oh
chapters, but
yeah,
pages of
yeah.
the last volume in that one. That was interesting.
That was
At an
cool. I
hour
like
length.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, I
go
could
ahead.
scroll down quickly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, true. The progress bar makes it seem like you've done more. I guess this opens with Akira having a dream that's supposedly an Amon dream about being scared of. Oh, Zenon is this one because then there's
Yeah.
Zan, who is the one beneath him that's literally on screen for like 3 pages.
It is funny because
And
every
I don't.
time we got a reveal of like a layer higher in the hierarchy or whatever, I was like, oh my god, that's Rio right there. Until eventually it's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's Satan. Okay, makes sense.
yeah, that is cool. It's like fucking Satan's gonna show up, and we don't explicitly know it's Rio yet. And then later, but on a
Yep.
reread, you're like, oh my god, Rio! We're finally getting the reveal. Now I
Mm.
thought Rio figured it out in like volume 3, but not until the very beginning of volume 5. So I was a
Mm.
little off. Um, but it is funny because the Xenon dude has 3 faces, and one of them does look like Rio. Um, you know
Sure.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and
Well,
then we also
yeah.
have like Miki screaming, like, oh, she's in trouble, but it's actually her waking him up, and then that's a little bit of foreshadowing, EliteAri. Look at how she's caressing him when he wakes up. They're fucking EliteAri. What are you talking about, siblings? Uh,
True.
um,
Well, I think
but
she
yeah, this
wants to,
dream is just like, yeah,
Go
it's
ahead. Go
interesting.
ahead.
Amon it was scared of this dude, so he's not as strong as him. Uh, not that we ever get a specific fight between them, even later on. Um, But yeah, Zenon ends up becoming a little bit of an interesting character where he's like arguing with Rio and basically calling him a big like lovesick puppy and being like, "Oh, I lost all my best soldiers and even Amon just so you could do this fucking tango with Acura just because you want to kiss him." But that's at the very end. I don't know if we should talk about that yet.
Yeah, it is an interesting dynamic. I mean, obviously, maybe we'll talk about this later, but what's it, Zenon, whatever his name was. He
Yeah.
very much feels like a void in Berserk, like the top of this, like the god hand, like the powerful hierarchy of devils. He appears during the
Yeah.
eclipse. He's like covering the moon. Kind of feels like that.
I didn't even think about that.
And then it feels like when you get Satan, I was expecting that would be like the idea of evil or whatever, like some crazy powerful thing. But he's more human than you expect, and you can talk to him, and
But
it
it's
sounds
just
like
Griffith, bro.
yeah, kind of. I guess it would be Griffith. That would be an interesting parallel. Where
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
this
yeah,
I guess this is the biggest influence thing that I didn't even bring up at the beginning, but like the meme dynamic about the black-haired dude that's like devil, but he's
oh
actually the
sure,
good guy, and the white-haired dude that's actually Satan and the bad guy that looks pretty. Obviously, Canute and Thorfinn kind of fit this, and Spike and Vicious from Cowboy Bebop, and
sure,
the two dudes from Psycho Pass whose names I don't remember because that show sucks. And obviously the Berserk example, even Shinji and Karu, they have like a gay thing going on and they love each other. And turns out Karu is literally an angel in one of the things, but he's actually
mm.
empathy and Shinji's sad about it, etc., etc. Yeah,
Wow,
every
maybe.
time.
Oh my goodness! Now that I think about it, that Evangelion thing might be the. I think I was thinking about that. Um, like
Yeah.
when they're on the beach or whatever at the in that
Yes,
scene.
they're even on the
Yeah,
beach at the end. And there's like an
man.
idol and everything hanging out of the water. Crazy.
Anyway,
We love Evangelion. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing. Oh, well, the other thing I was because we're talking about Berserk, I may as well do these Berserk references. So I'm going to
go
copy these
ahead.
images and hope it works because I copied them from my thingy. Maybe you'll edit these in. Oh my God, look at Jushin Thunder Liger. But actually, Zenon is Zod. You fucking idiot. He's not Void. But this is just them writing. I remember when. Wait, no, I was going to say I remember when this Griffith, but this is from way beforehand. But we got the fucking Rio rides the fucking big thing, so Zod is actually
Sure.
Zenon, bro. But this one's
Yeah,
more
makes
important. This one's
sense.
just a visual motif, but this is like a very famous one. It's the most direct Devilman Berserk parallel. But this is one of the last panels of Acura. I think it's right as
Yeah.
his final fight. It's the similar layout, except it's retreating, and
Yep.
the Berserk thing cuts off the side of it, but it's Guts seeing Griffith reborn for the first time at the Tower of Conviction. He's very mad, and his anger is slowly dissipated because Casca is over here in her we don't say the R word around here, EliteAri, potato form, in her Lane form, and she's like reaching out for Guts, but is she reaching out for Griffith? Oh, that's scary. But she quells his anger because he realizes he's got to protect Casca and not just fight Griffith, and that's a big character changing point. You remember
Mm.
Berserk? It's pretty good. But yeah, it's kind of the opposite of that, but it's the same sort of visual motif, and it's pretty cool. But those are the two Berserk references. That's most of my notes now done.
I guess my biggest one, which I was thinking, oh, not my biggest visual one was what I just said about Void and the Eclipse. Like that kind of, the Xenon appearance kind of very much felt like an Eclipse moment.
Yes, when he like you're talking about when he comes over all the cities in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just blocking all the light, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
cool.
my actual, like, the thing that reminded me of Berserk, which obviously Berserk takes from this, I would say, is that during the golden age of Berserk, it feels like otherworldly creatures has like slowly come out of hiding, and it becomes more and more normal to see
Yeah,
these kind of demon things. And in this, it feels the same way, where like we start off in a very normal world, and over time, more and more like crazy stuff happens.
yeah, and it's pretty cool, bro.
Yep.
So yeah, we get the ice thing. Amon's scared of Zenon. Zenon's a powerful man. We should keep an eye on. And then we go and see Rio in the hospital, which is cute. And he's healed quickly. Oh my God, that's if ever there's an indication that somebody's evil, it's that one. And when Aaron's tooth grew back quickly, and then he became Satan. My
Yeah.
goodness. Oh, and then we get a scene of a little girl just walking down the thing, and this is like, oh, scary stuff is happening. She trips on a pool of blood, and then sees a dude
Oh
getting
yeah.
eaten, and then she probably gets killed by this fucking demon too. This demon's kind of scary. He's got sharp teeth. And this comes to my last note I have here, EliteAri, which is there's a lot of kid killing in this, bro. You don't see that in your
Mm.
average everyday manga. But yeah, lots of kids going. Obviously, Tari gets fucking decapitated. We'll get to that. His friend gets decapitated too. This little girl gets killed. The little girl that we were just talking about is so cute.
Yeah.
She gets killed, ripped apart apparently by the turtle dude. Um, but yeah, a lot of kid killing EliteAri. You notice that?
I did definitely. And it was very refreshing to see. Like it's
Yes, I fucking hate these kids. You know, we gotta kill them.
well, I hate when a lot of stories will protect them because it's like, okay, kids, whatever. I think it is more effective to not shy away from it, I guess. Like, does kids even die in Berserk? I'm trying to think. I guess we get one death.
Well, yeah, the a lot of little girls get raped, especially that one.
Oh, I
She's
don't
like
remember
14,
that.
the wild one. I'm not saying
Oh,
she's
I don't know.
wild,
I've
but
only
the one
seen the
that wild
anime.
raped and
I mean,
killed.
I haven't seen the manga in a long
Yeah.
time, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess
Okay.
that one
I'll have to
Griffith
reread it, you
one
know?
kid got killed. There aren't that many though. I do get what you're saying. But yeah, I always think of there was like a famous video game example where GTA lets you beat up women, but like in this one open world game, if you like you
Skyrim.
could beat up all the men on the street or something. Yeah, you couldn't beat
Yeah.
up the women or the kids, and it's like, oh, this isn't cool like GTA, and it's not cool like Devilman where we kill kids.
I guess I should. Yeah,
Um,
it's used effectively. I guess I would say in Devilman. It's like you
yeah.
said. I think there really are 3 times where it happens. And all
I
three of
counted
those
4,
times,
by the way.
or maybe 4. Okay, I'm thinking of what was it? There was the girl on the bike or
Tare,
whatever, not near the bike. The young brother.
yes,
And the what's his
the
name?
girl we like.
The little girl, and I guess there are. I was thinking of also the guy. What's his name? The parents are dog people.
Yes, yes.
Scary.
I don't
Yes.
remember his name, but yes, we remember the one you're talking
Yeah.
about. Tare's friend, Akira's friend, and then this random little girl here.
Yeah.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3,
All
4.
very effective
Then we
deaths.
get these fucking 2 dudes just hanging out on the road for
Love
some
'em.
reason, and they run
Yeah.
into a thing. It was fucking great. I assume this is like a tale in Japan that we're supposed to culturally be aware of,
Probably. Yeah.
and then they actually see it, and it's scary and stuff, and then the demons fucking laugh, and he's like, got this dude, and then his eyes turn into a moon. Crazy. Oh, and then we get our first scene of the family hanging out. We're introduced to the Makimura family. They're all being chill and stuff, and this is obviously where the beginning part of the Silene fight happens.
Mm.
And then we get into there's this water dude and this other dude. I forget his power. We beat them both up. I think the tension, and this I was teased bringing this up before, but the tension is so good in particular moments. I think in this volume, in the house bit, we're constantly cutting back between like, now Mickey's gonna figure out there's a demon in a room, and it like you cut away like 4 times and it
Yeah.
doesn't actually happen. And I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. This is like the most generic, dare I say, like way to ramp up tension, but it's doing it so well. This happens especially at that Mickey household thing again, the final volume where everybody's getting killed. We cut to Devilman at the complex or whatever, the crazy human lab thing, and we're cutting back and forth, and yeah, it's a big tension builder. Devilman's very good at tension.
Yep, I agree.
So is there anything you want to bring up specifically?
Let
Rio
me
running
see.
out of hospital with a gun and then shooting Silene out of the air to save Akira because she's got iron claws or something that reduce electricity or some crazy shit. That's why Akira couldn't transform, and then he finally can transform afterwards. That was pretty cool. That's all I gotta say.
I guess also the because at the end of the fight, it seems that they fused Silene and whatever this other bull guy, they fused together. Akira passes out,
Whatever.
and then Rio shows up, and it's kind of like, what happened here? Did Rio kind of kill them, or did they just like die of natural causes? What do you think happened there?
No, I don't.
Or did I
think
like
so,
misinterpret
but
that?
yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, this is the other big thing that I forgot about, but I have to bring up, which is the Silene thing. So remind me to get back to that. This is all expanded upon in Crybaby a lot, I think. Silene definitely is. She's in like 2 or 3 episodes.
Good.
Her
It felt like she came out of nowhere.
Akira. Yeah. Well, I don't think they do anything about that. She's like got a pretty human form and stuff, and her and Akira have like sex a bunch of times, and then Akira rapes her as she's killing her in the air or something.
Oh my god.
It's crazy and stuff. Akira, like, part of the thing is like Akira can't control he wants to kill people, and he can't control that he wants to fuck everything. And that's a big problem when he's living with Miki and stuff like that. That's why it's explicit that he likes her in that show.
Yeah, it's
I'm
interesting.
making Devilman Crybaby sound
yeah,
like
the way you're
thing in the world,
describing, to me, it sounds like
pretty
it's
fucking
more.
wild.
It sounds like more of a coming of age story than this manga ever felt like.
Yeah, it definitely
It
is.
feels like Akira learns or becomes a man straight away in this, where it's like once he's transformed, he has that new face, he's different, and to me, it doesn't feel like he learns
Yeah.
anything beyond that. But anime sounds interesting.
Yeah, not really. But yeah, the oh, so yeah, that should change because Keem is fleshed out a little bit more too. They like have a meeting beforehand about how they're going to take out, and Silene's like, "Get away from me, you're annoying." And then obviously they fuse at the end, even though she was mean to him, and it's like he really loved her. Um,
Hmm.
and I think Silene is like in love and used to be lovers with Amon. Besides just like in here, she's like vaguely afraid of him, but wants to kill him and stuff.
Hmm.
The point about Silene generally, why I think the ending works and why it's like, oh, is that a lot of the fight is actually told from Silene's perspective, which is really interesting because Akira is just sort of sitting ominously in the room and he's slowly trying, like, think bad things are happening around the house. And you're like, Akira, get up and fucking save him, you idiot. And he's just sitting there looking
Hmm.
all cool. I know that's also a very comfy, cool, creepy aesthetic thing, like driving around at night, just like sitting there at night looking out the fucking like you can hear the family in the background and they're doing stuff and you're just looking out the window being like
Yeah.
life and stuff. That's cozy. So Kira's doing that. Yeah, he's slowly figuring it out. But yeah, Silene, there's like an empathy for Silene, I think, throughout where we see sort of that she's a little bit scared, but she's still going through with it. Now, it's also undercut a lot by like her ruthless devilness. And you're like, oh, that's bad. Don't do that, Silene. So you don't like her, but you kind of like empathize with her a little bit. And I think even towards the end, there's like, it's not overriding your want for Akira to win, but there's sort of a like, maybe Silene can win here, type
Hmm.
thing that was happening with me. And then that really factors into the end of like, oh, because you're like, oh, she's just gonna lose and Akira's gonna kill her, and even when Akira, there's something about his like arrogance at the end that sort of rubs you the wrong way a little bit, um, and so it's kind of cool when like her and Keem fuse and they fucking impale him and it looks like they're totally gonna win and then they lose by like happenstance because they both run out of blood or life energy or however they constructed the scene. And it's like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
She kind of she kind of won in the end. She was smiling because she thought she was going to win, and that's kind of cool. And so it's beautiful and stuff. So I don't know. I think the chapter ending really worked for me this time. I remember, by the way, the first time going through it, like dividing Devilman in two, which was the cool stuff, and then the episodic stuff where it was like Demon of the Weeks thing with like Silene and then the spiders and then the turtle dude, where it's like, oh, we're getting through the slog of sort of the Demon of the Week like it's almost like the Black Swordsman part, even though that also only had two parts, where it was the Snake Baron and the Count. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and like the stuff at the end, the crazy apocalyptic stuff is all the cool stuff. But this time I really enjoyed Volume 2. I thought it was sick, and so that was my defense of the beauty
Perfect.
thingy at the end.
Yeah, Silene, a brutal devil, a frightening devil, however, a form that should have been ugly and frightening was beautiful to me, unspeakably beautiful. Hmm. Cool. I
Yes,
like it.
touched my heart.
But I was
Yes, and
also I
they
have
have
one other
they
thing about this. Not about
yeah,
that
go
though.
ahead.
About the volume two, which is another parallel. The most direct parallel that crossed my mind when I was reading this is um, Silene and Akira fighting in a forest, just like Annie and Eren Yeager fighting in a forest in season
Ugh.
one of the anime. Right? It's almost a direct parallel. Right? I saw it. There's even a
Oh, they
fidget
did
spinner
kick
like
through
spinning thing,
I
and
did think this. Yes, I
his
remember
arm
now.
comes
They
off,
kicked
and
through the tree.
yeah, it's
Yeah, the
very. I was directly thinking about it. But I don't know if it's
I
any.
did be
I
like,
doubt Izayama thought about this, but it's like
yeah.
uncanny.
I was like, there's no way. But I think it was in that reread, that one of the volume extras for the reread we did, where he did say like, I like Mura and I like Devilman. So he's
Well, there
definitely
we go. All
seen it
right,
because
perfect.
I did include it in the It's even a female. My goodness. Um.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Is that
Devilman also kind of looks like the Attack Titan in certain positions and stuff. It's interesting.
maybe? But yeah, classic reference.
Yeah,
Um. Is that all we got for volume 2?
that's it. The worst of the volumes. Yep.
Yeah, maybe, probably, maybe. Um, but yeah, because it ends. I actually was thinking this, like every time a part would end, it would have a really good ending, and it reminded me of One Piece, which has like really great climaxes, and like the last pages and stuff are always like really good. I know One Piece is fucking. Sometimes you like shitting on it because Miller likes it, and you're like, fuck Miller.
Mm.
But then you're like, man. Like the last bits of every arc of One Piece is like the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it was Devilman over here was reminding me. Like the last shot of even the turtle thing where it's like the mask is off and he always has like something poetic to wrap it up that Akira says or thinks, which is cool.
Hmm.
Actually, this is something we didn't mention in Volume 1, but there is a moment where we sort of do break the fourth wall, like not really, where it's like Akira from the future speaking as like at this moment I didn't know I was entering hell or something.
Sure.
Um
Yeah.
that was a
I guess we
cool
get a
thing.
similar thing in Volume 2 with that final page where he's talking
Yes,
about the
I think
beauty.
so.
Yeah.
Probably what, yeah, subconsciously remind me of it to bring it up. But yes, the that was what I was building up to talk about, the beauty thing and him monologuing about seeing them like petrified, I guess, or whatever happened as they died. That was cool.
Yep.
But yeah, that was volume 2.
All right, so let's go into volume 3 and my summary here. Ecosystems slash food chain slash predators. That's basically what this whole volume was
Yes.
about. Yeah.
This fucking dork at the beginning, he's fucking giving a monologue about the world and how we're overpopulated and stuff, my favorite myth. And how it was just a bunch of fucking memes and he was annoying. And Akira's like it's one of those like melodramatic hokey things where it's like Akira's thinking like, that is really smart. I gotta think about this when it
True.
comes to the thematic core of the series a little bit. But I don't know, it's like directness is kind of cute. Um but yeah, and then there's also because I'm scrolling here, I'm wasting battery
Uh-oh.
and being bad, EliteAri. You should discipline me. But we've got strange homicides all over Japan and a little leaflet here. Um, and yeah, we're getting a bunch of accurate thingies about the natural limit, the natural law. This is maybe natural and natural and natural and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it is an interesting opening. I'd completely forgotten about this scene. So it was kind of funny. Do you have anything directly to say about this one?
The only note I have is I said that predators, basically the idea they're conveying is that predators are an alternative to war for population control and famine prevention. Um, it's a very weird idea. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting
I feel
idea to
like
bring
this is
up.
something
It works in the
that
context of the
people
story. Yeah, go ahead.
I think this is something people think without thinking. I could totally see myself at 15 thinking. And then my conception of most other people is that they just never found the internet to give them the correct answers. So they just still think the things I thought when I was 15.
All right, wait, just to
Uh,
clarify. So when you're saying the correct answers, is it the fact that the more people there are, the more people there are working towards solutions and the solutions will solve the problem? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, you got more people, you just make more farms, you fucking idiots. You're
Yeah.
not gonna all die out. There's not a limited amount of space, you dumb fucks. But it seems like something that sort of intuitively makes sense if you don't think about it. Like, yeah, there's only like 3 farms, and there's fucking more people having babies, and we're all gonna die. I don't know. It feels like something like, yeah, that is a big problem, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's not. Kind
True.
of obviously. EliteAri was just smart his whole life, so he never had this phase where he was stupid. And what I'm saying, EliteAri, is everybody's still stupid because they didn't find Destiny to tell them the answers.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. Is this a Destiny? Does he talk about this? The
no, I'm
I'm
that's
sure
just
he
the
has
go-to
probably at some
example I
point.
always have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
it is interesting because this, I guess, they bring it up as like a idea, but it is the whole point of the ending of this story, I guess, or it's like a big deal in the end of
yeah.
this story. So I don't know what it is. Weird to think about the message because I don't know if there is a message. It's weird, you know. Like
Yeah, I don't want to talk
watching a
about the
story.
message and stuff.
Imagine, yeah, like imagine reading a story and then knowing that there is no message and then reading it anyway. Um, it's a weird experience, which maybe there is. I don't know. We'll get to this. We'll talk about this.
Yes,
It's
there's
a
a little
strange
tie-in at the
sensation.
end. Um, the I because again, this is something, and I feel like I bring this up every time we talk about anything somehow. But this was the old thing me and Minty used to talk about with Isayama. Like, is he smart or is he a fucking idiot? And he actually just thinks there is no good and bad, and like, because that's another like 15-year-old thing where you're just stupid and you think that like, yeah, like people are just like you just sort of go off intuition and don't think about anything. I don't know. It's a weird mind state of like it does, Isam, I think the deepest idea of all time is that everybody can do good and bad things, and like he's going to pretend that this is the great thematic revelation and present it so in like the final chapters, or is he read an ethics textbook or something and knows a little bit more? Um,
Hmm.
I guess this is just a problem of like, do you think the idea the story has is dumb, and do you think you're smarter than them, and therefore you're going to think worse when the story highlights it? Um,
It is interesting how, for me, I don't know if I said this to you or Bacon or someone else, but whenever religion is brought up in a story, it completely turns me off the story because I'm very anti-religious,
yeah,
I'm a big atheist, and whenever the idea is that like some spiritual thing will save us or some anything like that,
yeah,
I hate it. Turns me off the story. I hate it completely. So I'm sure there are ideas like that where I feel like in this case where they're talking about predators or whatever, solving the overpopulation thing, it doesn't bother me in this context, but there are other contexts like religion or whatever where I'm like, I understand, like this would be like, I'm not smarter than the story, but this is the story is embracing something that I don't think is true, so therefore it's like ruining the story for me. Um,
yeah. I
yeah.
think because I think that is very like similar to what I'm describing, but it's not exactly.
Okay.
I You have stupid family members, EliteAri, and do you ever just listen to them talk and be like, I guess I kind of bring this up when I talk about like my brother, hearing him talk about like film criticism and how he tries to talk to it like my mother, and he'll be like, "Well, I heard the character development is bad in this movie," and he's like using terms wrong. I feel like I listen to my aunt and uncles talk about like even like Donald Trump or something, and clearly one of
Sure.
them is like up on Facebook memes and like really likes Donald Trump and hates Joe Biden, and like my other aunt like hates Donald Trump
Yeah, I
because
know what you mean.
she's always hated Donald Trump her whole life, not for any like political reasons, like she's a big lefty or something, but like Donald Trump's a fucking idiot. Look at his hair, like that type of thing, and they'll just sort of go back and forth, and it's like it's not a political argument. It's just like a very surface level, but they've clearly heard somebody talk about it
Yeah.
in detail, and if pushed, they could maybe reiterate some talking points, but they've never actually thought about it. Or even if they have internally, they can't express it. And it's just like and as somebody watching it who's like heard this on like this argument a million times on higher levels or something, you just sort of sit there and you're like, oh, like what a bunch of idiots. Um, this
Yep, I
ties
know
into
what you
this
mean.
somehow where it's like you think the author is kind of doing that now, and he's sort of having a dialogue with himself where he thinks he's clever with these characters that represent things, and you're just like, this is some fucking layer one shit. Not in Minty's 3 layers, but just literally, you're like, now I don't I don't think Gonagai is doing that, and if he is doing it, I think that's kind of part of the appeal here, the hokiness.
Yeah, I
So it's
agree.
definitely not an issue with me and old Devilman here. But I also think, and I think you might relate to this, is that like there's almost and I think I've almost killed this in myself, but there is a part of me that like, oh, it's just old, and old is dumb. Do you have that like default in you a little bit?
Um, yes, I guess. I would say it never crossed my mind reading this. I think the bigger thing that crossed my mind was I don't think it was here, but I think it was when the actual outbreak of the like that 5 minute attack, first 5 minute attack from the demons came. And straight away there was like a nuclear warhead launched and something, and I'm like that. I just it feels more like the context of which this story was made in affects the story rather than
Yes.
the actual ideas. I guess I don't know.
Because yeah, we kind of talked about that with Miki a little bit, right? But yeah, with Miki and like the what's being portrayed there, and sort of like this is 1972, they could have some crazy ideas about women. But yeah, the nuclear warheads being like such a thing in like the conscious mind of people, especially in Japan in fucking the
Yeah.
70s, um,
Well, and
et
during
cetera, et cetera.
like
But yeah,
it's like like what 10 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis as well, I think, which is like a big deal.
yes, 1962 or three, season two of Mad Men,
Yeah,
1962. Um, but yeah. And fuck that. They got literally bombed 30 years before, well, less
yeah,
than
yeah,
like
true.
25 years beforehand.
Yeah,
And I think they bring up Hiroshima at some point or something. Or was
they
that
say
something else
after
that I
the
was?
reconstruction of the city or something. I think it was Osaka they were talking
Yeah,
about or something. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know where they actually are on a map. Actually, I think I do. I watched Japan's Longest Day.
nice.
Um, another thing is like 1972. You can't just look up a fucking thing. Like, how do you know
Yeah,
any of this shit? You got to read an article, and maybe an article was misleading, and then
that
everybody
is
thinks that
crazy,
because of
isn't
a
it?
misleading article, and it's like, man, like you got to go to like the library, I guess, to look some fucking shit up about population control and
It is.
why
It's a wild
how
idea, isn't it,
things
Kyle? How
function.
did anyone know
Yes, it
anything
is.
back then?
Like
Like
I could literally
Jesus.
tab over and figure out everything.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, there is a striking thing, and I bring up Revenge, the TV show example of this, where that show came out in 2011, it went till 2015, and it looks completely modern until somebody brings out a cell phone, and like in the first season of
Huh.
that, they literally have flip phones, and like everything else looks identical to today. Like even the laptops don't really look that old.
Hmm.
And I don't think there's like any desktop PCs or something in it. But then like a flip phone comes out. And I think it was like 7 episodes into season one or something. I
Hmm.
remember it's like the big season mid-season thing. It's like a revenge thing. You wouldn't know EliteAri. But yeah, like somebody has a flip phone there. And it's like, man, like visually nothing has changed. And I get that a little bit the same feeling watching Devilman. But there's not a lot of like TV shots of like old TVs in this where everything looks relatively ambiguously like modern.
Yeah.
Besides like when you're made to think about things like that. Like, it's interesting how, like, I guess fundamentally, since like 1920 or so, like society relatively looks similar. Like, if you saw like a shot of a city, like it wouldn't look
Yeah.
too
I
different
guess, yeah, the
today.
thing is, once
Um,
cities were built, the architecture of cities hasn't drastically changed. Like, you
yeah,
will see if you go to, I mean, my only example is like if you go to Sydney, which is a relatively new kind of place, obviously.
yeah,
You will see some areas of the city that have this old looking like English architecture or whatever, like
yes,
sandstone or
yes.
whatever. But most of the
See that in
city,
Brisbane as
like,
well.
yeah, it relatively blends in with the rest of the city, and it's like, they're somewhat similar. So I don't know.
Yeah, but even that architecture looks like modern for like
Yeah,
the 20s or 30s, and it's like, oh, that's like cool. There are no castles in Australia or something like
yeah,
if you're
exactly.
roaming around fucking England or some shit. Um, which is interesting. Um, but yeah, like you could see like in Times Square they have those big screens, and I guess that would be like, oh, well, they couldn't have that in 1970. Well, they had that in like the 70s, maybe, probably not. That's probably like an 80s, 90s thing.
Yeah, I
But
don't
like
know.
they couldn't have that in like the 20s or something. Um, but yeah, so that's a slight difference. But yeah, outside of that, they kind of look similar. And even like the classrooms, like they don't have computers. But when I think of classrooms, they didn't really have computers in them. They had the laptop thing in the back, but you couldn't really see it from a general sense. But yeah, it is interesting where it's like 70s isn't that different. But like if you existed in the 70s, like you're 77, like old Gona guy over here, he was like
Mm,
23 or 4 when he made this fucking thing.
yeah,
Um, it's insane that those people are fucking dead.
yep,
But yeah, that's a time thingy, and me and Elite Ari were just so young and
yeah,
fertile, and
yep.
um,
Our
something
ideas are
funny
so
else.
good. They're completely tested,
Yes.
and they'll never be challenged. It's great.
And Gona Guy is an idiot who thinks population control or something.
Yeah, and he's afraid of nuclear
Um,
weapons. What a coward.
yes, I don't fucking sweat nuclear weapons one day in
Yeah, if
my
it happens, it
life.
happens, right?
Yeah. Hallelujah. Release me, Lamau. That's
Yep.
that's another difference. We like suicide, and I guess the Japanese kind of like suicide, huh? Miki makes a suicide joke. She's like, if I got beat up like that, I would cut my stomach. And I know that from Japan's longest day, Elitari. They commit sempoku or something. That means
Seppuku.
like suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Not senku. That's a different
Oh
fella.
my god. Yeah.
Um, Yes, and then we were up to that scene, and then we have a Rio scene. Oh yeah, then he goes and he tells Rio this idea, and Rio's like, "That is a good idea." So that was funny.
Mm.
Um, and then we're cutting to and it's people being afraid of the dark is brought up somehow here. It's like something about that, and then yes, they have this like scene in the coffee thing that's for whatever reason is like ingrained in my mind. I thought they did this like multiple times and they were important each time, but they really weren't. Um,
Just
oh,
these
I
two
guess this
goofy
brings me.
demons.
Yes. Oh no, not even that part. Just Rio
Oh,
and
okay.
we do cut to them at like a steakhouse.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, yes, okay. I know what you mean.
you later. But I have another thing to paste to you, which is one of my only other notes, which is that Chainsaw Man, not Chainsaw Man, Devilman has some unique paneling sometimes, and this is one of the instances of it where there's the little panel at like the bottom of like a
Huh.
big panel thing. This is like because this is a transition from our previous Rio and Akira scene to the two devils talking about how much they love eating humans. Do you know what I'm
Mm.
talking about? Did you notice this?
No. Um, what I
Really? They
see.
do this like 10 times.
No, I don't know. The
I
only
had
interesting
another
panel
example in
thing
my Word
I
document.
that came to me was like when he cracked his face, Rio, and like the panel cracks. But other than that, nothing really.
Yes.
Nothing
I have
stood out.
one more example here. How do I fucking copy this thing? Fucking control C. Control V over here. This is an. Why did it open a tab or something? Why
Oh
did
no.
Firefox just open, you fucking moron? But now I'm pasting it to you.
Oh,
EliteAri. See, they did it
that's
again.
cool. I like it. Yeah.
How did you not notice this? They
I
did
don't
this like
know.
5 or 6 times. But I have another paneling thing, which is I don't remember the context of this exactly. Acura is like a bit disorientated, and the whole panel gets wavy and shit. The page gets wavy. Uh, Here we go. We're pasting it to EliteAri. It's processing dot
Oh,
dot
that's
dot.
awesome. I don't know how I forgot
Remember
about all
this?
this.
This
No,
is
I don't
cool.
remember
I've
this.
actually
This is
forgot the
awesome.
context for this. So yeah. But this happened at some point, and I copied it into my Word document. There's another part where like they will sometimes do the panel, but it's shaped as like a star. But not really. Like the lines come in. I'm describing this terribly, and you're probably like,
Hmm.
"What the fuck are you talking about?" But it's cool. They do this fucking star thing with the
I think I
paneling.
do.
There's
I
some cool paneling.
vaguely. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like I'm remembering one with Acura. No, one with Rio and one with Miki. Um, but yeah, there's some cool paneling things in this. Uh, which is cool. You'd think that would be like a new postmodern
Yeah.
fucking thing where we're doing weird things with the form of the media, but fucking Devilman's doing it. It's funny because I've never seen this mini small panel like sort of intruding
Yeah.
on the bigger panel at the end thing before. So I don't know if we read other Go Nagai shit, he's gonna do it a bunch, or why it didn't click on or whatever the fuck. But yeah, these two dudes, you like them when they're talking about how much they like eating people.
Yep. That's
Nothing more to
literally all
say.
they do. I don't. Do they ever come back? I don't remember. I don't think so.
It's funny because well, no, because this dude gets killed. Well, this dude gets
Sure.
something by Rio. But it is like a weird thing where they're sort of blending into society so much that they like hate their bosses or whatever, and they're
Yeah.
like under the thing, and they like their like weekly talks. Like me and Ari and
Yeah.
Minty do our weekly talk sometimes. We're just
True.
like them, EliteAri. Um,
Well, then
yeah, so
when
it's like
Akira confronts him, he's very committed to the bit. Like he doesn't really
yeah,
reveal
Rio,
his
you mean
identity
you
or
fucking
anything.
idiot.
Oh, Rio, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is another part where we get like the moon shadowed. Oh, and I guess we haven't talked about this yet, but Rio constantly gets like the craziest faces and gets silhouetted in either black or white completely, and his face looks
He's
all
always
demonic. I
sweating.
wonder why that is. Yeah, he's crazy. He's scared of stuff. And why would he confront a demon when he's just a little weak human? He's obviously gonna die here, EliteAri. No, he's not. But yeah, he is very committed to the bit. This other fella, and it's really good, and I like it. But he like hired a private investigator to investigate a bunch of things. It's like Rio, man, you're leaving like a trail of things of like people could pick up on what you're doing if they were actually paying attention. It was interesting.
Yeah, but he's smart.
Um, but yeah, this I think the other demon slowly figures out who Rio is, and he doesn't know immediately, which is kind of interesting. So this scene, especially in retrospect, is fascinating. Um, but yeah, then he just like imprints into the ground or something because Rio killed him with his Satan powers. Crazy, huh?
Hmm.
There's also this panel that I'm pasting you now because I was scrolling, but it's like got the light thing coming off of Rio here when his dark silhouette when he's sweating a bunch because he's Satan. You see, it's like the wings.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I peeped that when I was going through it, and I was like, man, that's so fucking cool. But yeah, this dude's shadow is in the ground. It's crazy. I like that shot. I nearly made it one of my favorite shots.
Hmm.
Um, and then he recollects this to Akira, and like before they can actually talk about it in any great depth, Miki interrupts him again, like she always does, and then is following him around. She's carrying his bags now.
Yeah.
Literally crazy. Um, I'm gonna close this fucking thing, EliteAri. Why am I opening this? All right, you wasting my battery. Then we got spider stuff, right, EliteAri?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, because there's a time skip at some point here because the bullies look a little different. Um, because yeah,
Well,
it's like
I
two
could not
years
tell
from
you.
chapter 1 to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, at some point they say that later. So we're getting periodic time skips a little bit of Akira's been fighting demons in the background. Off screen, presumably, and getting their reputation. But yeah, Spider Dude shows up. Well, initially it's a girl. Then he puts the bullies as superpowered, and Akira just beats him up. But he doesn't kill them because he doesn't want to because he's empathetic.
Yep.
And then he takes the spiders off their heads. The spider thing is goofy as fuck, but I like it.
Yep.
Literally spiders on the head that controls you. And then like the basketball team and the something team outside,
Yep. The
they're all
baseball
spidered
team.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, we gotta fuck them up real quick with our homies, the bullies. We roll out. We were in silhouetted, there's a whole page before that of Miki saying how cool they all look together, and she's also in the squad as they all run out. Oh, it's so cool. Imagine you're surrounded with your boys and you're going out to fight people and stuff. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And your one girlfriend's there to watch you do it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they fight them, and then the conclusion to that is like they disappear, and then somehow Akira knows that the General Zen or something is trying to intimidate him or something.
Hmm.
And this dude will be on screen for one shot after they knock out Devilman and take him to Rio for a second or something later. So that was weird.
I got nothing
Yeah,
to say
that was
about
the
the spider
spider.
bit. Yeah, it was cool. I
I
liked
thought it
it.
was sick because it was I don't know, I like the boys, all right?
I agree,
Not the
and I just
television
thought of
show,
Mob
that show
Psycho the whole
sucks.
time.
Yes.
No, the boys is great.
Not he's talking about the Devilman characters, not the show. Fuck.
Then we get to
Oh,
the
I had
little
one other
girl,
thing to say.
who
Yes, but hold
apparently is
on, I'm thinking about.
Sachiko. I don't know.
Yes, that was her name. It was a long name that started with S.
Yeah.
Um, Fuck.
What are you
One more
thinking
thing I
about?
had to say about this goddamn
Spiders.
fucking spiders, idiots.
He looks like
Um.
Aku from Samurai Jack.
Oh, this is no, I don't know what that is. Shut up. They. Oh yeah, they do. I know who you're talking about now. And then he floats into the air and stuff. It's like a Ganishka, bro.
Yep.
Remember him? There's a. Did you feel this where you felt like, oh, we were going to get into like a rhythm of sort of villain of the week stuff here? Because the spider is sort of the second part, and then
Sure. Yeah, I
the
did. Yeah.
yeah, and then did you? Because I remember the first time I used to always talk about Devilman's identity issues, which was just a clever way of me saying that like, oh, it switches tacks halfway through and sort of becomes a different story. And rereading it, I didn't think like that it was very drastic at all, and sort of was a natural progression. Did you feel like a big, like, oh, like obviously the author thought it was going to be a boring monster of the week thing for a million volumes, and then he changed it or something? Do you have any thoughts about any of this?
Um, it's weird. I think the volume 2 thing, I think I just need to reread it, because to me it feels like that feels like a monster of the week kind of thing, where Sirene comes in, comes out of nowhere, and that gets resolved. And then from then onwards, I'm like, okay, this kind of weird monster came out of nowhere. Maybe we'll get more of them. And then the spider thing comes out of nowhere, and that gets resolved. So then I guess at that
What do you
point, I'm
mean by
like,
comes
okay.
out of nowhere? Because I guess it does, but it's like a demon.
Well,
Like
it's
obviously
like
we're
there's
fighting demons. The
no,
demons are going to show up.
we're fighting demons, but why is there suddenly a spider at the school? Like,
Yeah, I guess it's just like
it's like a strange
coincidence,
thing. It's not like
obviously,
someone sees
for the
Akira and
story
it's
to
like, oh,
happen.
it's Akira. Let's go attack him. Like I guess the
Well,
Silene one made more sense in that regard.
well, I guess maybe you could say that like, oh, all the demons are in cahoots because they say that a bunch of times, and like that one bat went to tell all the demons that Akira Fudo is Devilman and we should go after him one after another, but he's scary because he's a mon, so not everybody gangs up on him at once because they all know they'll get fucked up. So they just send the strong ones,
Sure.
which is the spider and Silene. So I guess that makes sense. I was
Yeah.
just writing it off as dumb coincidence things that I don't care about. But I guess it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Maybe it is
Also,
just
there's
the
the cheat code of like Rio wanted it to work in his plan, Lamau. So subconsciously, the demons do what he wants.
yeah. Okay, maybe it just is the goofy nature of this the spider on the head.
Yeah,
Because it does very feel like a monster of the week kind of thing. I guess to
yeah.
answer
So
your
it feels like an
question,
idea.
it doesn't. It feels like the story changes up, but that one panel of Akira coming in and telling us things are going to change up,
Yes.
does a good job at making it feel very natural. So I don't have it didn't feel jarring or anything. It felt like, oh, this is like all coming together somehow.
Yeah, I think my original like thought process, and I think it was just projecting Berserk onto it, where like that's what people say about the Black Swordsman arc of like, oh, we're doing Monster of the Week, and then with the count thing, he kind of fleshed it out and realized that was fun, and then he was going to do the flashback, and then he did the flashback, and Berserk basically changes from a Monster of the Week thing into like a anthology, not an anthology story, the anthology of Guts' life. I think that makes sense. Where it's like, oh, Guts is a real character now, Lamau. And it's like, oh, clearly there was a change, and Muri's even said in interviews there was a change and what he was going to do, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think I might have been projecting that onto it.
Something I just thought of is that when I think back on this story, and maybe it also, I don't think it applies to Berserk, but maybe, thinking back to Silene and thinking back to this spider, and also I guess thinking back to this turtle guy, I think like
Yeah.
what was the point of this fight? Like it was somewhat interesting to watch, but I didn't feel anything emotionally from it. It was kind of like why
For the
I guess it
spider
kind of
one specifically, we
well for
talking.
all three I'm talking about here. I guess I can see I just the Silene one I didn't feel emotionally. The spider one it feels very small scale and kind of feels like
Yeah.
you could have cut it out and it wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. And then also the turtle one, it feels like it's just I feel like they work together to create the tone of the show getting increasingly darker, but on their own they don't stand as fights that are particularly interesting, is I guess what I would say.
No, not really.
But I like them.
I mean, I feel like I care emotionally vaguely, like again with the boys showing out, and then I was kind of with Silene, and
Sure.
then obviously with the turtle dude, you want him to get fucking killed. So I felt emotionally invested in those in that way, I guess. But it is very different, obviously, than later.
Yeah.
Um, it is Monster of the Week esque. I just I feel like I felt like oh it didn't work and like it's like two completely different stories and them being thrown together as part of the hokiness and like part of the appeal, I guess. But I guess now I am more of the like it is kind of a cohesive thing and you have a little section where it gets Monster of the Weekish to sort of establish things and go through the motions and flesh things out a little bit and then you move on. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I don't know if we're disagreeing that much here.
No.
Um, but yeah, were we done with the spiders yet?
Yep. Let's move on to the little girl who shows up out of nowhere, just like Silene and the
And
spiders. Is
that's
like
how we got here. Yes,
yeah, stealing
uh,
Mickey, stealing Akira from
Mickey's
Mickey. It's
man, and she's
crazy.
so mad. And who is
Yep.
this brat?
It's
Come
so
out,
funny. Yep.
so good.
And
But
she's
yeah,
like,
and then
it's
she
so
literally
weird
gets on a
because
train.
she gets on a train by herself. Like, and Akira's like, oh, don't come by yourself next time or whatever. It's like an adult in like a human in a child's body or something. Like, what is this? Like, what is going
Yeah,
on here? Like,
I
is
don't
she a
know.
demon? Like,
My
obviously
parents
not.
do
But
tell stories about how they were like 5 years old and they were just catching the trains to
that's
places because it
crazy.
was so safe back in those days. And nowadays, and like my mother's the biggest helicopter parent in the whole world, that she would never let an 18-year-old catch the bus by themselves or some shit.
Hmm.
Paranoia, contradictory, hypocrite stuff. Um, but yeah, so I guess I kind of buy that. In the 70s, that's just what kids did, right?
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, and this girl could be like 8, even if she looks like 5. We could round her up a little bit.
Sure.
She's so small too. But yeah, it literally is just an emotional hook of like, you're gonna like this little girl, and we're gonna kill her in 4 pages, and you're gonna feel a little sad. And it's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just so it's so like it's like the kicking the dog moment or shooting the dog or whatever. It's like a very easy emotional investment. Little girl,
Yep.
you'll like her. She's funny.
It's
Or she's
I
dead.
was scrolling through it. It's just so funny when like even when Akira's saying goodbye, he like waves goodbye and shakes her hand. Like they don't hug or anything. It's like this like business
It is
relationship
cool.
kind of. It's really funny.
They're equals, all right.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny also because she doesn't have a reaction. Maybe her perception of Akira has always been the same, that he's like older and responsible, so she doesn't note his like change at all.
Sure.
That's a cool implication.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is I think Devilman is a little scary, EliteAri.
Mm.
I think this is the scariest part. Now this turtle, there's a Pokemon that's based completely off this turtle, which is funny. But I assume this turtle is also based off a Japanese folklore thing. In fact, I think I've seen like old Japanese paintings with that thing like this turtle in it. So Pokemon is also Devilman, but actually it's just a
Wow.
big older thing. Everything isn't Devilman, everything is old Japanese mythology. Um, but yeah, so that's notable. I always think about that creepy turtle from Pokemon Sun and Moon when I think about this thing, which would have been, they came out like 2016, which is very similar. This turtle is also in Devilman Crybaby. I don't
Mm.
think I think the spiders got cut from Devilman Crybaby. Silene's in it for a whole bunch. The turtle gets an episode, but no spider, I don't think. And then there's like a camera dude who's like he's like makes Miki do nude modeling for him or something.
Oh my
I
god.
got these bitches naked in Devilman Crybaby, right?
Excellent.
Rio lives in like a penthouse with like a pool and stuff. Crazy. And his room number, guess what it is, EliteAri? Oh my god, it's 666.
Oh, that's
Oh,
crazy.
oh.
What are the
But you
odds?
don't see it until like episode 7 when you're slowly putting things together. Oh, and he has the Makima painting on the wall. Remember when I brought that up one
Yep.
time?
Oh, like the same
Um,
one? Or like just a
I think
similar
it's
kind
something
of.
like that. It's a Satan thing where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. I think it
I
might
like
literally
it.
be the same one. Um, Nonetheless, what the fuck are we talking about? Oh, the
The
turtle
turtle.
man. Oh, how he's scary. The them still talking but being dead, and like the little girl saying like, "No, I'm dead."
Yeah.
That's like a weird. There's something about that that fucks with like your perception of mortality, which is sort of what Akira goes through. Oh, and it's also so interesting that he immediately buys that she's dead, and even as an audience member, you're like, "Ah, she's not dead. We'll save her or something." Even on a reread, I was like, "I don't think she dies that quickly, or if she
Mm.
dies at all." Obviously, everybody dies in the end, but maybe it happens off screen. But yeah, also, I think this is a crybaby thing. I think it like the fight happens in the train too, or like at a bus thing. I think it's a bus thing instead of a train thing in Crybaby.
Mm.
But in this, it's like in the park and it's like dark and it's secluded. And yeah, the atmosphere of Akira walking up there, and I think this is one of the moment where he has a manly cry. The atmosphere here was cool, EliteAri. I've said that a million times, huh?
Yep, I agree.
Then he fucking beats up that turtle real easy because he's a
Or
big
he
pussy
kills
and he's
someone.
talking shit
The
the whole
first
time.
human he's ever killed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was already dead, EliteAri. It was a trick.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah.
But
If you
yeah.
can't tell
And
if
then he
something's dead, is
punches
it
through
really
it.
dead?
Uh,
Question for the
I don't
philosophers, right?
have the yes. Fuck philosophy. That's what Gona Guy says, and that's what we say.
Yeah.
Um, punches through it eventually, and then he closes the eyes of the little girl, and you're like, what a man.
So now for all my
He
Doctor
also
Who fans out there, all right, Love and Monsters, the most hated episode of early Doctor Who, which I love, great episode, stars the amazing Absorbaloff, which whenever he can absorb people into his body and their heads are sticking out of their body. So that's what I was thinking of when I saw this turtle. All right, great thing.
is he a turtle?
No, he's like this weird fat thing. He kind of is. He doesn't really look similar, but the fact that faces are coming out of him and he's kind of big, I guess, it's like reminding me of it.
Yeah, it ripped off
And the
Devilman,
fact
bro.
that everyone hates it, and I love it, so I just got to say that every time I get a chance. All right.
Yes. I guess I'll co-sign this Doctor Who episode for you, EliteAri, since you like Devilman so
Thank you.
much. The also we get an ending thing here where the mask is on the ground and he says something poetic about a death mask or something.
Yeah.
And it's sad and something like that. And after this, unless you have something else to say, we go right into the Tare, that's his name. I've been saying it right all day. And the friend thing, right? Or is there something in
Yeah.
the
I
middle?
have
You'll
one
scroll. I
note,
closed it.
but I'm
Go
not
ahead.
sure if this is before or after that. There was a scene where I think it is actually this, maybe the crying scene or something, but Akira tells Mickey not to look at his face right now. Do you remember what I'm talking about? There
Oh
was a
yeah.
small scene.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bring this up is that that's a trope which I've seen in like a million stories before.
Yes.
And I wonder if it
I
started
just thought of
here
it
or if it's
now.
like a like a common thing.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's in Berserk when Ganishka doesn't want somebody to look at his face, maybe with its
Mm,
or it's Charlotte doesn't want to look at his face or something.
possibly, I don't
Um,
remember.
there's something about that, but yes, it is a thing in other things too. But I can't think of them right now, EliteAri.
Yeah, neither can I.
Um,
But it's a thing, all right?
don't
Trust me,
look at me
audience.
right now. But yes, I agree with everything you're saying. Um,
Yep. So now the kid
where are we up
with
to?
the abusive parents.
Yes, it's a crazy scene. Again, they're walking together at night, and they're all happy because they're walking together, and they're not scared, or at least Tare is. Um, I always go to say Taru. I think is my problem.
Right.
But yeah, and then he's like, it's almost another Akira situation where you think it's like a bait and switch at the end, where it's like, oh, he's not actually getting abused, and he admits to it or whatever,
Yeah.
but then he totally is. And there's a dog and stuff, and it's yeah.
I
don't
love
know, I
it.
feel like
I
we're
thought this
gonna
was
go this
very
scene. It's
engaging.
great.
No, I just the when he goes in and his mum is like turning around and he's actually a devil or a demon, and then he runs to his dad and the dad is also a demon. It's like this is hopeless. I really felt that. Yeah, that was really
It's so
great.
good. Yeah, it is the kid thing
And
of
even
like remembering you're a
the
kid.
like the subtle thing of like when he runs into the mum outside and she's like walking the dog and the dog is initially growling, and then when the mum like commands the dog kind of like acts nice and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like that.
everything about this was fucking cool. They're sitting at the sandpit. They don't want to go home. It's like, oh. And he's
Yeah.
got like a whole coat on and he looks cool. And then there's just his decapitated head. And then that leads into the greatest manga panel of all time, EliteAri. I'm scrolling up. I'm going to find it and I'm going to read it. Oh, my goodness. The greatest fourth wall break of all time. My dear readers, up until now, you had fun reading my adventures. You read of how, after arriving at the gate of Rio Asuka's home, I began my journey across hell together with you. Up until now, you've read the story of Akira Fudo. You thought you had nothing to do with it. You thought you had nothing to do with the story. However, from now on, you too will start traveling through hell. From now on, hell won't just be my personal drama. All of mankind will be involved in this tragedy, and you are no exception. Hell is awaiting for you too, and you'll be dot dot dot.
And
And then
then
the next page is
vanishes
him
into the
slowly fading
darkness.
out of focus. Oh my goodness, EliteAri, this is the greatest fucking thing you've ever seen in your fucking life.
It
A
is
warning
really
that the
cool.
ending is gonna fuck you up real quick. Why is our boy, our comfort food, Akira Fudo, the one telling us this right now? It's
Yeah,
so creepy. Why would he do this? This is not in Devilman Crybaby anywhere, by the way. Big fucking
right.
disappointment. No fourth wall break like this.
Yeah.
But apparently it isn't a Mazinga Z thing. It's not Akira doing it, but a character does give this exact monologue.
Hmm.
Um, which is one of his other things, but it's in one of the anime episodes. I remember on the original video I made about this panel, where I talked about how great it was. I remember it was like a 4-minute video, EliteAri. Can you believe I made one?
I can't.
That's an EliteAri size video. I remember there was a comment on that that said it actually, in a Mazinga Z thing, because I probably said, Crybaby sucks, bro. It didn't even do it. And he said in a Mazinga Z episode 39, but it was like Mazinga Z Zytops or something. It was one of the subheading shows. It's not the original show. It's one of the remakes from like 2005 or something. I kind of remember the context here. Yeah, they did it, and I watched that scene. I was like, "Oh, this is fucking sick, bro. I wonder what Mazinga Z is about."
Hmm.
But yeah, there's something about it being accurate too, because Rio could have done that scene, but it hits home that like your safety blanket, Akira over here, who's here to protect you, is reveling in your coming misery in this weird fourth wall break where he addresses the readership and warns you that the ending is going to be fucked up. It's crazy, and it's like
Yeah.
right as things are ramping up with this little kid getting decapitated. Uh,
And I think in addition, like there's that page, and then him fading out, I think also just adds to it.
Yes. And he doesn't finish his sentence. Like, why did
Yeah.
he stop? What is that ending bit? It's
Yeah.
crazy
It is great. I
and
really like
cool.
this. It was very, yeah, like when it happens, I mean, as like a first time reader, I'm like, firstly, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, is this guy from the future or something? Like, what is this? Then he's addressing me, and then it's like, I wonder what he means. Like, what's gonna happen? Because I have no idea at this point. Oh, is the story gonna get darker? Is it gonna be like this whole
Yes.
human scale thing? Like, what does it mean? It's gonna infect me. But then slowly you find out. It's really cool.
He's also wearing white, EliteAri, and black is his color,
Oh,
and white is
sure.
the color of the devil. I'm pretty sure I made that point in that video. It's pretty fucking smart. I'm sure I have that. No, I probably don't have that script somewhere. It was probably on the old laptop before I had my
It's in
PC.
your brain.
Oh, no, it's gone forever. It could be on the old website, unironically. Things for later to think about.
Yep.
So I guess this is a good point. At this point, to speculate what you were thinking, were you noticing the slow dark turn? What did you expect? Did you expect anything? Did you have enough context to expect anything at this point, EliteAri?
I guess up till this point, I had been feeling the Berserk kind of golden age where more and more demons seems to be coming. Like it seems like when when the little kid's parents were demons, I'm like, wow, they've really infiltrated like everything here.
Yeah.
But
It's
when
ramping
this
up.
reveal happened, I didn't immediately feel like, oh, okay, so now Xenon's gonna come down and destroy the world, and nuclear weapons are gonna fly. I had no idea about that. I guess I just assumed that maybe Akira some really dark stuff will happen to him personally, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
And he's talking
Do you
about his
remember what you
personal
thought the first
dramas and
time?
stuff. Well, no,
Well, I guess
because
you
I'd
would
already
have read
seen
it
Crybaby
after. Yeah.
beforehand, yeah. And honestly, it was just fuel for like, whoa, this ending's gonna be fucking crazy. First, we had the Digibro video hyping it up. Now, fucking Akira is doing it himself. The world's gonna end. I know that much. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yep.
It was cool. But yeah, I don't have the fucking thing open. So where do we go from here?
Let me look at my volume 3 notes. Oh, we run into the devil lady person with the stuff attached to her.
Oh
But that's
yes,
more of an
and we
introduction.
get
We
the
get her later.
yeah, we get the female version of the three weird looking blokes, the three weirdest looking women you
Yeah,
ever seen, and they're
sure.
stealing stuff. It was kind of funny. And yeah, and then she gets captured, though we don't really see it. But yeah,
Yeah.
she gets exposed. Uh,
It was
yeah,
that was the first
that,
very unsettling moment where you find out that she has been captured and she's tied up and they're experimenting on her. That like I was like, wow,
yeah,
the humans are there's something they're a bit crazy here. Because obviously she looks very human. And she is human.
yeah, from the outset, yeah.
Yeah.
The fuck. Oh yeah. Does it say her name in anything you're looking at right now?
No, but maybe I just
Because yeah, I
didn't see it
wonder if her name
immediately.
is Miki or Miko or whatever. Because yeah, she's a big character in Crybaby, from like the second episode or maybe even the first episode.
Yeah,
Because
Miko.
we do
Yeah,
see
it
her
says it.
before she gets. Okay, it is Miko. Um, the but yeah, because I think she's in the first episode because we do see her as like a normal person. Oh, maybe that's just in flashbacks. I don't know. She's in this fucking show quite a bit. Um, she's on the track team and she's second to Miki on it.
Crazy.
They do relay races and stuff. But yeah,
All right. So next up,
is that
basically Demon King Xenon, his appearance.
in volume 3?
Yep, the end of volume 3. Uh, Very cool. We see all these cities like in Chainsaw Man with the Gun Devil. They're all
Yes.
seeing this guy. Everyone's freaking out. But the
No
amazing
Australia
thing,
again,
Kyle.
EliteAri.
Yeah, because
My
it didn't
goodness.
exist back in
They
the
left out.
1970s, all right?
True.
Do you think the average Japanese person knew that Australia was a country back then, Kyle? We barely existed,
Yeah,
right?
they were trying to invade us 25 years beforehand, probably.
Yeah, but they forgave us and
Um,
they forgot about us in the collective consciousness.
yes.
5 minutes, Kyle. He's like, we're gonna attack in 5 minutes, and I'm like, Jesus,
Oh yes.
that's crazy. Like, I was on the edge of my seat, Kyle. I was like, what's gonna happen? Let me keep reading, because if it was like, 5 hours or something, I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't care that much. But 5 minutes, it could happen in this volume. Oh my god.
What do? You gotta hunker down. You gotta.
Yeah, like everyone's running. It looks like the
find a
military's
weapon.
assembling. Oh my god, it's so
Yes,
cool. I really
that's
liked it.
cool too. It's like, oh, people are actually like getting in position to try and do something. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
Maybe the humanity has a chance.
Yep.
It didn't seem like it though. And then the devils were in the army, EliteAri. My goodness, especially that Russian army. You can't trust those Russians.
Yep.
I don't know
True.
if we're up to that yet.
All right. Well, let's go.
Yeah,
Volume
is that
4. And my description here is
yeah?
Witch
Because hold
Trials
on,
and the
volume
Destruction
3
of the
ends.
Society. Yep.
Yeah, volume 3 ends with the with Rio like being like, look outside or whatever. Oh, that's a cool moment where Akira has to run outside to see it. And yeah, it is like the
Yeah.
world being confronted. Like this is the first like we've infiltrated a lot of places. There are homicides everywhere, but this is the first like demons exist, bro, to the general populace. It's like, oh shit.
Yep.
This plot's ramping up. Volume 4.
Volume 4. Yeah.
A lot
Witch
of destruction
Trials,
in this
Society
thing.
destroyed. So
The interestingly enough, the first 3 volumes I think are all about 220 or so pages. Though the second one did have a lot of repeat pages at the beginning. The last 2 are both shorter, and I think they're both just about 200 pages. Just thought I'd acknowledge that. So yeah, this
Thank
one
you.
is definitely. I feel like I remembered like nearly none of this volume. So it was interesting.
Yeah. I honestly don't have many notes for this. For some reason, I wrote that Satan and God are characters, so I guess they get introduced in this volume, probably, which is
Yeah, because I
interesting.
think this is probably where Rio and Akira have the conversation about how like the Devilman are God's warriors or something, which maybe means that like that was a Devilman at the beginning.
Sure, yeah.
Because there's like a Bible story that they tell each other or something, and it's like and Satan with his demonic army, and then this one dude and these ones stood against him or something.
Could be a devil angel, maybe. Be interesting.
Maybe. Not me yawning.
Yeah. Fire and brimstone.
But yeah, you're gonna have to give me the rundown.
Did you catch that line when they mentioned it?
Wait, what did they say?
Fire and brimstone. And I was like, Kyle said that the
yes.
other day. Yeah. Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yes.
So let's see. Basically, there's a lot of chaos. Everyone's dying. The demons are attacking. They're coming from the sky. They're spreading out. Everyone's trying to go into hiding, and there's tanks and fights. And let me keep scrolling. There's the Americans accidentally launch a nuke basically at Russia, and then the Russians pick up and they're like, "We're gonna fight. We're sending all of our missiles. We're destroying everything." And then they hang up, and
but those were actually demons.
demons.
And
yeah.
I think it might be before this that Russia nukes itself, right? Moscow gets
Oh
nuked
yeah,
by
yeah.
another
That's the
Russian thing.
first like yeah, and it's calling back
Yeah,
directly to what like Rio was saying before. I think Rio was saying before about like oh humans would destroy
yeah,
themselves out of fear and which to me is the most
yeah.
unbelievable
Because
part of this. I think because it
I
that
wondered if that's what you
immediately
were talking
feels
about all the
yeah
way at
to
the
me it
beginning.
immediately feels like okay this is the 70s, this is where everyone was afraid of like imminent nuclear war. Like today the first resort wouldn't be okay we're afraid of nuclear weapons. It'd be something more like technological or something like disease or like viruses or something. I think
Yeah.
I don't think nukes
The
would be.
the there is the because it is demons doing it. Because
Sure.
the
Yeah.
demons are in the Russian army and they're like, oh, they're being unreasonable on the phone. And the Americans are trying to figure out like why, but it's obviously because they're demons and they're doing a thingy. Um. Oh, the first panel. Fuck me.
Bless you.
The double page spread of the explosion going off, Rio and Oscar reacting to it is really good, and Rio is like terrified, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just like a cute little. It's one of I nearly chose it as one of my images. I've said that like 7 times because I had a bunch of images open
Yep.
EliteAri. Um, but yeah, it's fucking sick, bro. A nuke actually went off, and the TV thing with the updates in the corner of it, fucking sick.
Yep. True. Let's keep going. Yeah. Then God shows up. Kyle, isn't that crazy?
Yes, over Russia.
I think that's the coolest, maybe the coolest part of this whole story. Kyle, he's just God as a
It's
character
so
just shows
cool,
up and
yeah.
he just wipes out all of life in
It's like,
Russia.
nope, this is too fucked up.
Yep.
You're shutting this shit down. Because
Yep.
initially you're like, oh, is it like you think he might be like an ally, but he doesn't care about these
No.
Peasley fucking things that are happening. He's just sick of this shit. He's petty and he's mad,
It's like he
and he's
saw the
over it.
Earth and he saw that bad stuff was happening. He just like smacked it and then he went away and it was like
Yeah,
okay. It was great. I really liked
and
it.
they're turning into salt and stuff, and that's like a Bible callback. I remember that from
Yeah.
something else.
Yep.
Um, And like I like how they do like they sort of do represent the scientific method a little bit where they're like investigating it and like we're sending some planes in to see what happens and then we slowly follow them as it because this is something that's actually done pretty well in Crybaby where like suddenly I think it is Russia and there's like a big thing and I think there's a cool shot of the plane specifically going into it. And it's like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Especially when they truncate like a lot of the Satan stuff at the end, it almost comes out of nowhere. And I watched Semblance of Sanity react to it at least. And I
Wow.
remember them being like freaked out and like, what the fuck is going on here with this fucking ball of light? Who knows?
Hmm.
Made some predictions and they went right. It was just fucking God, bro. Figure it out. But yeah, it's a cool fucking mystery.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What did I think? I guess initially I thought, oh, it's a
Yeah, because
nuclear weapon and the demons aren't getting affected by it or something, is what I initially thought. But
then we see the
then,
demons getting very affected.
yeah, and then at some point before they said it was God, I did put together. I was like, it's probably God, right? If we're talking about Satan. Um, so
Yeah,
I'm a
because they
genius,
both of the reveals are sort of done similarly, where it's like a character figuring it out, but then they die beforehand. Um,
Yeah.
or we cut away before, like it's said, it's like, oh, it must be, and especially the salt thing. I think there's like a dude on the because one of the planes makes it back to one of the ships, and one of the dudes on the ships is like, he's turned into salt, and he licks it or whatever, and he's like, it can't be. Dot, dot, dot,
Mm,
cut away to a different scene. And the same thing happens with the Satan thing of like, you must be. Dot, dot, dot. It's like, oh, this is fucking sick. Satan
yep.
and God being introduced. It is because I think in my in that Attack on Titan video that I linked you that you didn't watch because you're a bad friend.
Yep. Well, you said don't watch
Even though
it.
I
Yeah.
told you
Yeah.
not to watch it.
Good.
Yes. I think even in I saying that like as my selling point, I'm like, and then fucking God shows up and Satan shows up or something when I'm describing
Mm.
the ending to that's how cool it is, EliteAri. That
It
that
is
you
very
just say that
cool.
out of
I don't
context
think
and
I've
it's
ever
like,
seen another story where God just shows up and
no,
it's just great.
it's crazy. Yeah.
But then I think
He's like,
another really cool thing is like how they're learning about the light over Russia and Rio like freaks out. And it's like
yeah, that's
Satan
a
is like hearing
visceral
about
like
God is here. And it's like, oh my god.
yeah, when he's exposed to like the God's light or something and he can't repel it. That's like a Christian thingy. I feel like I've seen that in something else. Um, but yeah,
Yep.
it's fucking super cool, especially when you have the
Absolutely.
context for it. I don't know. There's other moments like that, separating it from the God thing that's similar to something else, where like, uh, I don't know. There's got to be an example of something where something like directly starts to affect like the really strong character in the. I guess it might even be like a Rujid thing where he's freaking out when the snow
That is what I
dude
was
walks
thinking. Yeah.
past. but there's a different example.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Naruto thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, I
It's
can't
something
think
I'm
of it
thinking
now.
of.
What do you say?
I know it. Yeah. Mm. Piccolo seeing Supreme Kai and being like, "Oh my god, it's Supreme Kai," and that's like the reaction he kind of has, similar to what Rio has to God,
Yeah, I
but
feel like
not
the example I'm
exactly.
thinking of is Pain. I think it might be a
I don't
Spider-Man
know.
thing, like Venom, but then that would be like him hearing like a sonic wave or something, and it's when Venom is fighting with Spider-Man in the '90s cartoon
Sure.
against the bad guys. Um, but yeah,
Anyway,
I don't know.
so then yeah, okay. Rest of Volume 4, we run into Miko getting tortured and experimented on. It's basically the introduction of the humans doing research on the devils and
The evil scientist man.
yeah, which is like I wonder if like it is they come to the wrong conclusion. Which is a
Yeah,
terribly evil conclusion if you know what the actual truth is, but I don't know if they do know the truth. But
I don't think so.
man, it's terrible because obviously for all these people who maybe no one's seen Devilman and they're wondering what the truth is, but demons they can merge with devils, but the scientists claim that basically anyone can turn into a demon basically.
The devil at any
Um,
time, and it's gonna happen constantly and all around you.
yeah, but don't worry, they can detect them and they can kill them.
Yes.
They're not to
And the
fear.
big meme is that Rio says at this point, and Akira figures it out too, that all the actual devils have all retreated at this point. So it's literally doing
Yeah,
nothing. Um, it's just a paranoia, mass hysteria thing, just like the Crucible EliteAri. And we get the witch hunt thingy as
true.
well, where people are just so suspicious of each other, they kill each other uh, stupidly.
Yep. Yo, and we get that one page where they're talking about it's just a bunch of speech bubbles basically, and they're talking about how the Jews
Yes,
and
I nearly.
the black people and like all these
The
things,
Jews
and I'm
didn't
like, oh
forget
man,
they were going to turn into devils and fuck us up.
yeah,
Yeah, it's great. I nearly chose that as one of my panels because some of the text is upside down. And I thought that was cool.
it is. Yeah, I turned my
Um,
phone upside down when I was reading it. Got to do that.
oh my god, you read it on your phone, you
Hey,
fucking
I read
ass.
parts of it on my phone. All right, some was on my computer, but yeah,
He was sick, all right, everybody. We
yeah,
gotta
I was
forgive
lying
him for that.
down.
Speaking of my
Um,
phone, I got the chapter up on my phone right now, Leori. This is how you live, you fucking
nice.
whore.
Yep, it's pretty
Let's
great,
scroll
isn't
through
it?
this shit.
It takes so long to scroll, and it consumes your battery and all that. It's great.
Yes,
But yeah,
my
so
voice hurts and I'm out of water, but I'm now going to draw this out for another hour by
yep,
pointing out every little idiosyncrasy. It's
we're
going to be
almost
great.
at the end. Don't you worry. Volume 4 basically ends with the Council of Devil Men assembling. Unless I
Yes.
misinterpreted
Do the
that. Is that
Buddha
how you
guys
took
show
that?
up or not? Huh?
It's just, would you say all these people are a bunch of devil men? Is that what you would say?
Yes, I think so.
Perfect. All right. But who shows
Wait, we
up?
forgot about the part. Oh, the Buddha dudes. I don't know if they're actually Buddha
Oh,
dudes or if
the
I'm being
monk
racist,
looking
but that's the
people.
next. That's the
Yeah.
next volume. Yes,
No, that's
monks.
in
That's a
there.
better
That's in
thing.
volume 4. I see it right here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm scrolling through it now, and I'm seeing that we forgot to talk about the first time the Mickey Mora house gets invaded with the snake dude, but they fight it off. Um,
True.
I think the bully dudes show up again, and they're fucking saving people because they're the bros.
Yep.
So that's all cool and stuff. Oh, and we forget the big head psychic girl show up for the first time. She's fucking crazy. What a character design.
That was a
Um,
candidate for one of my panels, I think, when we see her. I don't know if it was in this
yeah,
volume or another one, but yeah.
it's probably the beginning of the next one when she confronts Rio.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, her character design reminds me so much of like an old toy my grandma had at her place, like her grandkids. So maybe it was like a satanic idol or something, and
Yeah,
nobody knew about it. I was
maybe.
like, man.
That's awesome.
But we also see the General Zan dude for the three images he's in here, where he says nobody's allowed to hurt Devilman, and it's like it came from above Xenon
Yeah.
or something. And yeah, we get the cool shot of Devilman asleep here. It's kind of cool. But yeah, everybody's turned into salt. Oh, this is where we get the weird panel with the weird page with the paneling as Akira is like
Yep.
doing a thing. And he wakes up and he's with Rio again. How convenient, maybe they took him there. Rio probably came to save him.
Yeah.
Now, what's Rio and Akira's conversation here?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think Rio's just saying that we can't do anything and to give up or something. Oh, and this is where they say the legions of God or something. And we also get the this is when Rio name drops Satan for the first time. Uh
Mm,
uh and he doesn't realize he's Satan at this point, and that's where we get the Berserk panel meme.
yep.
Yeah. Oh, and then that's where we get the him freaking out as he sees God's light and he's fucking crazy and shit, bro. But yeah.
Yep.
How does the volume end, you were gonna say?
The Council of Devilmen, basically. It's like a time skip, I would assume,
Oh
after
yeah.
the formation of this human hunting thing. And they're all
Yes.
sitting at a table, and Devilman seems to be the head of the Devilmen people. It's great.
Yeah.
Does the guy
demon
ever come
hunters-
back with the kid? Now that I think about it, they were like, "Oh yeah, I'll bring back this devil kid." I guess that he doesn't, does he?
No, I don't think so,
Yeah.
huh? But the anti-demon corpse things look very 70s. The like weird outfits they have and stuff, it's funny.
Sure. Yeah.
Also there's oh, the Makimuras are all very excited about the Devilman corpse thingies or the anti-demon corpse. A bunch of idiots, they're gonna get killed.
Mm.
But yes, this scientist dude is the evilest dude of all time. I remembered a scene of him being regretful that never happened, so maybe that's in Crybaby, or maybe I made that up. Where him and I feel like I remembered in the final thing where Akira goes there at the end while Mickey's house is being invaded. There was a moment between them. Also, there's a lamb girl that's like Akira's second in command here, and that's like a Jesus thing. He's like the lamb. Remember that?
The lamb? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they describe Jesus as like a lamb. He's like an innocent
Oh, the
as a
Lamb of
lamb or
God.
something, and he's a
Sure. Yeah.
shepherd. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, don't act like you didn't get it and then get it better than me, you fucking prick.
Oh,
Um,
my religious education.
these fucking I tweet about this. Hopefully you didn't see it, EliteAri, but I tweeted out the image of these fucking Buddha dudes, these monks, and I was like, man, Devilman's fucking crazy, bro. Because I completely had forgotten about these, and when I saw them, I remembered them, and they're only in it for like 3 pages, and they never come back. It's
Yep.
so cool that like yeah, like sometimes he's thought of the most intricate, like realistic thing of like yeah, these monks they like train their minds and stuff. So obviously, when devils tried to merge with them, they like overpowered them easily. Like what a
Yep.
weird little detail, and it's so good. And they're literally just here to like bring all the devilmen together to somehow explain that. But yeah, then the Makimuras are hiding out of their families, and Akira's gone. I love this little panel of him saving Miko or whatever, and like holding her in his arms. That's
Yeah.
cute.
True. Yeah. He's like,
And
he
then
will be
yeah,
the savior of the Devilmen, right?
yes, it's what a cute little fella. He's just so empathetic and great, EliteAri, unlike what you said earlier.
It is,
And
now
then
that I think about it, it is interesting how I wonder if his characterization is poorly done from my perspective, or if it is good and I've just missed stuff. I wonder. It's a tough thing.
It could be because yeah, that's like the stuff that's leaned into quite a bit in Crybaby, so it could be that stuff influencing me again. Because obviously the crying thing is supposed to be his empathy representation.
I also wonder if it could be in the nature that I read it, which is that I read it very quickly and I read it as volumes rather than chapters. Because sometimes the chapter
Maybe.
break can kind of make you think about it's like a new chapter in
Yeah.
someone's life in a way.
Yeah. But yes,
It's
we
great
end on
nonetheless.
the crazy Rio. This enigma is about to be solved. He can feel himself getting close to it, but he's about to get his mind blown, brother.
Yep. All right, so volume 5, my great summary here is a human's demonic nature. That's basically what this whole volume is about. Like
Yes.
things get crazy, everyone is witch hunting, people are dying. It's crazy. So the society is destroyed.
Yes.
But before
Literally
all that,
all the humans die.
the Rio Uska, we had a bunch of time with him basically.
Before even that EliteAri, we get the coolest title page of all time where Devilman's like in the background throwing his arms up and Akira's down low.
Oh
and
yeah,
he's being
true. Like a JoJo's character. Yeah, I love it.
No, we hate JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We love Devilman. Akira returning to the place where it all began at the beginning of the final volume. Is there anything better than that? Is that everything's fake? The mask was fake, and it was telepathic powers, and
Yep.
he throws the thing down and it cracks, and there was one of my images, EliteAri, of all the devils swarming on the top, and him going through all the things, and it doesn't there, and he's got an old family book, and that's not his face, and that's his death, and that's who
Yeah.
was his father, and what the
This
fuck.
is all really
He's
great
freaking
stuff.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another one of those tension moments where the demons are slowly getting in. Did you think he was going to die, EliteAri? You think he was at risk? This was the end of his... No, you figured out that he was
No,
Satan, right?
by this point, I'm like at this point, I'm 100% confident that he is someone evil, and I don't remember exactly when I figured out he was Satan, but some place near this.
When they all surrounded him at this point, you're like, oh, he's these are his boys right here.
Yeah, well, when they didn't, yeah, when we cut away or whatever, I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he's fine.
He didn't fall for the potential death fake out.
No, I feel like no one would. Like, at this point, it's like a big revelation. No. Yeah. Let me see if I've got actual notes on this.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, no, this is just like we figure out his Satan, but more important, we figure out that Satan loves Akira. Crazy.
Yes, because he became a human. Oh, I guess this is later. He gives this exposition, so we'll wait for that.
Yeah.
Then we got the family talking, and then we get the TV thingy about Akira is very excited for Rio to be on TV. He's going to tell the truth, but then Rio doesn't tell the truth. He fucks everything up even way worse and doubles down on that. Your brother could be a demon. Your sister could be a demon. Don't trust him. And then they even all doubt Akira for a second. And show footage and stuff. Crazy.
It is crazy. This is the last scene we get of them before they're flayed and upside down and losing arms and stuff. Crazy. Yes.
There's another tear shot, My Human Heart. He cries all the time, unlike EliteAri tried to gaslight me into thinking he didn't. And then we do get a Miki Akira hug, and she even says I feel like this is the last time I'm ever gonna see you thingy, and it was EliteAri. Did you see that one coming?
That's crazy. I actually didn't. I was like, okay, this is the type where they subvert it, right? But I should have known this is the 70s.
Yeah, it's an obvious thing that they say so it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then we start to getting these Rio silhouette shots, but it's inverted and he's all white with the black eyes instead of the other way around. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, then the one bully dude is going to protect the house. He has a confrontation with Rio as he's walking up to him, and now we've got the sun in the background, and that's interesting.
Yeah, that was really cool imagery. I really like that. And when I was scrolling through Volume 2 with Silent, I think there was also a very paralleled shot of Rio with the sun there as well, which I didn't notice the first time.
Interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, there's sun and moon shit going on we should be paying attention to, but I didn't. Well, I did a little bit. Also, while this is happening, we're doing another cut back and forth thing where the father and mother are getting arrested. Lamau.
True. I just, for the rest of this is, I just have a bunch of quotes, I guess. I don't really have much.
Okay, read out a quote or two.
All right. This place is a true hell, a hell built by humans. When he goes to rescue the parents.
This is way later. No,
yeah, well, I don't have anything else before that. Yeah, go ahead.
Rio and Asuka are talking, and Rio and Asuka. No, that's a crazy thought. Rio and Akira are talking. There's a great panel that I nearly chose of Akira saying, and this is something else that's happened in other things, where he's like, your answer will decide whether or not I kill you or not. It's always when the best friend becomes evil that they have this conversation. Akira came in hot, and he's got his Devilman behind him in sort of a wispy fashion, and he's like, you better fucking explain yourself, bro. And Ryu doesn't, and then he explains that he doesn't say he's Satan. As he goes into the sunlight, Akira figures it out. It's pretty cool. And the lamb is right there, Jesus over here. So maybe if this fucking thing is Jesus, then which one is Akira? Is he the Holy Ghost or is he God? He's the Holy Ghost, EliteAri, and that's who he was in the beginning.
Perfect. It's all coming together.
And God is God.
Who's this lamb? What are you referring to with the lamb?
Jesus, because the lamb.
No, I know Jesus, but what in this context? What's the lamb? I don't remember a lamb.
Her hair looks like a lamb, and I'm pretty sure she transforms into a lamb later. But her hair is lamb-like.
I'll take
I
it.
didn't make that up.
Wouldn't it be easier to make it look like Jesus rather than a lamb?
Well, it's probably not actually Jesus. That was just a funny bit. But it looks like a lamb.
Wouldn't it be cool if it was Jesus, though? Wouldn't that be really cool?
Yes.
All right, so it's Jesus. Let's just take that. All right. Now that I am looking at it, I kind of see what you mean.
I feel like I'm gonna fucking find this fucking thing where she transforms into a lamb demon. Right? You're gonna be fucking shocked.
Yeah, I will be. All right, I'll read.
Yes,
Oh,
the
no, I can't read
devil.
another quote. That's later.
I'm now up to the big demon fighting HQ thing. They got some weird science shit going on here, and the demon Devilman souls come out, and Akira's riding on this snake dude, and it's pretty cool, bro. I
Yep.
think your quotes might be around this point, huh?
Yeah, they'll be
Oh,
coming
we are
up.
cutting back and forth at this point. So yeah, we get your favorite panel of the mob starting to get crazy and shit.
Yep.
Um, they want to save her because she's cute initially, but then they don't want to do that.
Yep. I guess at this point, I still had hope, where I was like, oh yeah, Mickey survived everything, right? She had that demon try and grab her in the shower or whatever, and she kept running, or kept walking without knowing or whatever. She can survive this mob, and then she gets these Molotovs and she's killing them, and I'm like, okay, this is great, she'll be fine. But not at all.
So when did you think she was dead? When she got stabbed in the back, were you like, oh, she can survive that?
I didn't think she was dead until I saw the head. Because when she got stabbed, I'm like, yeah, she's fine. But when you get that panel of her like splitting into two or whatever,
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
And her
something's
clothes got
happened.
ripped
I
off
was
and
like, oh,
shit.
maybe she's been turned into a demon or something. I didn't think she was dead.
That's
Until I
interesting. So
guess
the
I
head
guess
could have that effect.
yeah, the moment I thought I guess I was the moment I thought she was dead is when I saw the head. But before that, the one scene of like Akira having lost complete faith in everything, but then he's like, okay, what about Miki? There's always still Miki. I can go back to her.
Yes.
As
The
soon as that
Mikasa moment.
happens, and he starts running, I was like, oh, this is like bad. Like even if she isn't dead, maybe something worse has happened. Like no matter whatever happens next is going to be terrible. And it was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The it was a Mikasa moment, right? You remember that?
I'm trying to think of what you're saying. The Mikasa moment with
Mikasa is like, Aaron, as long as you're alive, I can continue on. But then Aaron actually was alive.
sure,
Fucking cowardly Yama nonsense.
yeah.
But yeah, so it does start as we already talked about this a little bit. But Akira runs in on the wife, and she's all naked and fucked up. And then the father's over here, and and he's like, he said something like Miki or something, and
Yeah.
Tare or something to save him. And also the obviously the little brother runs upstairs, and he gets decapitated. EliteAri, but you didn't see that one coming.
Yep. I certainly
Crazy.
didn't. That's what I would say. Yeah.
But his little body runs down the stairs, and it just fucking pops there. Also, we get he kills the other scientist, and Devilman gets really mad. That was one of my images. The shaky hand thing with the knife is crazy. It's pretty cool. You know what I'm talking about?
I actually don't. Is it the person stabbing
Miki, yeah, in the
Miki?
back, where it's like the front, the first shot is like of the hand shaking, and the knife is like 4 times, and then it's like building up the tension of, oh, did he stab her or didn't he?
Sure.
This is something because
yeah.
they changed the context of this in Crybaby a little bit because again they run away and she almost gets away, but it is the same thing of like the knife in the back just getting to her. So that's pretty effective. He's got a crazy face going on. But yeah, he sort of retreats, and then there is a brief glimmer of hope of like she runs away, and then she sees the bully dude who's still like standing fighting, but he's actually dead. It's like the Pippin thing, where Pippin like appears in front of Guts, but he's actually stabbed, and they like ram him. And it's like, oh no, he's dead. That's not very safety. And then Tara's body comes rolling down. There's no head, and then she freaks the fuck out. And then here comes the prick with the head, and he holds it up all demonically and stuff. And then yeah, their clothes get ripped off, and her getting all ripped up. Yep. And then just a big thing that says "ah!" exclamation point, exclamation point. That's crazy. And then just a Devilman face. It's like, oh, tension is building. Crazy shit. And then Devilman is all sad, and the lamb. It is a fucking lamb, EliteAri. Look at that.
All right. It kind of looks like a lamb. I see what you mean.
Lambs and Jesus and stuff. But yeah, then everything happens. He's running home, and it's all bright and stuff. And then he just sees the head. So this is the moment you realize that okay, so that's good because this is supposed to be the big
head is
moment.
very effective. Because Miki has felt so invincible up to this point, at least in my reading of it. Yeah.
the head didn't affect me that much this time. And I don't know why. So I'm glad that it affected you. I was like, maybe
Yeah.
this is not as effective as I thought. But yeah, I think Digibro said it's ingrained into everybody's retinas forever is the Mickey face. They do
Yeah.
have the headshot in Crybaby a little bit, but there's sort of like a close up of like the mouth and then like the eyes, and then you don't really see the full thing, and then it's like like you see her body and torso and stuff. I know it's kind of scary in Devilman
Mm.
Crybaby too, I guess, but it's a bit different. But yeah, there's also the other dude's head and everything, and yeah, and Akira runs in, he's freaking the fuck out, he's grabbing things, and then he flames them all, and he's just grabbing Mickey's fucking decapitated head. I definitely
Yep.
made a reference to this in chapter 138 review.
Oh wow.
Remember when
Right.
Mika did this?
Yeah.
Everything about this ending bit is a Mikasa reference, huh?
Yeah, but none of this crossed my mind when I was reading. But yeah, it makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, when I reread it, I didn't think about the Mikasa thing until this very moment. So, um, but yeah, there is an interesting conflict of motivation here that I don't know if it figures itself out. But he literally has that whole monologue about as long as Miki's alive, I'll have something to fight for. And then Miki dies immediately, like he finds out Miki's dead immediately. But then he's still like, I'm gonna
Yeah, he has
fight
another
Rio.
another
Yeah, it's
motivation.
kind of
It's great.
interesting.
Yeah.
And he cries again. Yeah, fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you know what? At this point,
there's
I
two
understand if
tears
he cries.
too.
All right. This point is fine because he's at the end of his arc. All right.
I can't believe we've switched places and EliteAri hates crying. But then we get the cool Zenon Rio conversation. I think is this the first time we see Rio in full form and they're like bickering
Yep.
about things and it isn't very happy. And this is when Rio says like, oh, part of the plan was to become a human to understand their fears so we can manipulate them into the whole thing that happened. And it's like, oh, but in becoming human, he also found out about not just fear, EliteAri. Finish the sentence.
Say it again. So the not just fear.
He didn't just learn about fear, EliteAri, he learned
Learned
about
about
love
love.
too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And he loves Akira. He's a hermaphrodite too. That's like a thingy where he's like the gender bending thing, just like Griffith. He kind of looks like a girl, and it kind of looks like a girl.
Right.
That's the whole thingy. And also Satan is supposed to just be a hermaphrodite, I think, because fucking with gender is evil, EliteAri, according to these
Right.
traditional values.
True.
Then we got a 20-year time skip, EliteAri. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. That was great. I love getting epilogues where you get like a wrap up to everything. You know.
Yeah, it feels like yeah, Acker is like dedicated himself to this battle, even though we didn't see it. There is something that does a time skip very similarly, where it has the same effect of like it seems like we are rushing, not rushing, but we are sprinting towards an ending, and we throw a 20-year time skip in it, but not really much has changed that we need to be aware of. It's not like a time skip, like a mid-series time skip where you do the big time skip and we're now in the Mali arc, or we're now in Shippuden, or we're now in the future in One
Yeah.
Piece, where like we're gonna get a bunch of flashbacks and learn a bunch of crazy shit that happened in the last 20 years. Nothing happened. We got two armies and we're gonna fight.
Well, God has left the
It's also
world. That's one thing that happened. Because you
yes.
get that
Well,
panel of the light leaving.
the light is retreating up to blow it up, right? Kind of. That's my reading.
The light is reaching
I
up to blow up
guess
the Earth. Is that how you took it?
yeah. Well, I guess this is actually a big change in Crybaby, because in Crybaby we see the world blowing up at the end, whereas in the end of the manga it's just implied because we just see like the big
Huh.
angels
That's a
thingy. But
big
yeah,
deal. That changes my reading
yeah.
of God as a character
But
entirely.
everybody says that, yeah, yeah, because I guess I've been calling him petty and stuff like that the whole time, and we really haven't talked about it yet. So I guess this makes sense that it hasn't come up till yet. But yeah, everybody, even in articles and stuff that predate Devilman Crybaby, they talk about how God blows up the world at the end. So, or at least resets the world at the end. But yeah, when I was reading it, actually, I was like, man, that's not made too explicit. But just before we talk about that in greater detail, they do these things where they do double page spreads, but one of the pages is just completely black, which is interesting. Is another thing that I've never seen before. You know what I'm talking about with that?
I'm actually looking through it. I don't think so.
It's
What do you mean?
right before the light retreats from the world,
Let
or
me have a
from
look.
Russia and goes up.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see it because of the way it's. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's used like I think two other times.
Right.
One other time in volume 5, and maybe a different one. Yeah, it's crazy and stuff.
That's
All
great.
right, so we have a battle here, and Rio unknowingly kills Akira, and he's sort of delusionally talking about how much he loves him and how much he regrets it and stuff, and he's sad. And then we see a big light, and there's a bunch of angels that looks like clock type things that are happening over here, and it goes clink, 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 clink. So
Yeah.
what do you think the ending was, EliteAri? Let's get to it.
So, well, I mean, what's his name is sad, good old Satan, because his person he loved is dead. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I saw it
So what?
more of like the light in the background is God, and it's like you're seeing like you would see the moon in the sky, you're seeing God in the background with his angels or something, like leaving. But I guess you could also take this as God coming down, sending his angels here and destroying everything.
Yeah, because I guess it's expanding, right? Because it's coming, so it's like going to do what it did to Russia, I guess.
Sure, yeah. I guess that makes more sense than the way I was reading it. Um, hmm.
God leaving is kind of cool. Rio just gets to live down here, all sad, all and all by completely by himself. Doesn't Acura have a line about how even if he's like the only person left or something, or does he say that that would suck if he was the only person left or something, and Rio has to live that now?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Um,
I feel like that's a thing. Yeah.
yeah, one of them said something like that. But the implication here, and I think this is in this too, is that it's cyclical. This is like a big thing in Devilman ending discourse, is that it's all a big cycle and like the world is resetting here and we're going to do it all over again. And it's sort of a tale of like humanity's like will just do this to itself over and over because it's like their nature.
Hmm.
Um, which is an interesting sort of thing. I don't remember if that's fleshed out in Crybaby either. Because I think in Crybaby you definitely see an external shot from space of like the world getting totally engulfed or blown up or something.
Hmm.
Um, that's the final shot. Um,
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I'm just looking at it. It's interesting. Um, so you get the God thing is on, say, Russia still. It leaves, but then why
it
does
like
it come
goes up.
back? I guess it
Well, because it's like winding up for a big punch. That's what I kind of get, like kinetically.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that. There's also the fact that they're looking at the moon at the same time rather than looking at God. Um,
Yeah, and it very much looks like a moon when it like in
yeah.
those shots, right? Um,
What's the
because
clinging,
I
you
guess you
think?
could think
Like
it's
the
like,
chiming of the angels coming down or something?
well, yeah, I guess I think it's a clock sound just because they're circles. I think that's
I
the
hear like
sound
bells
that it
in my
makes in
head.
Crybaby 2. Yeah. Well, again, the because it's kind of like that ties into the cyclical thing of like, oh, we're rewinding again and we're gonna
Yeah,
do it all
sure.
again. But there's like a few readings because the cyclical reading usually comes attached with like next time they might actually do something different because Satan kind of remembers the previous things. There's like hints to that at some point, and maybe that is another thing in Crybaby too. But I feel like it was in here somewhere. Where it's like, oh, Satan still remembers. He chose to like forget through the psychic thing, and he still remembers like the first time, implying that basically what we saw at the beginning of the first chapter was one of the cycles, and sort of God reset
Sure.
it. And that's why he had humans. And then this is another one. So like Satan will remember that he loved somebody last time, and next time maybe he will understand and do things differently.
Mm.
Um, so it is sort of a happy ending for the next iteration. Um, my video about it was going to be the descriptive view of the Devilman ending and the prescriptive view of the Devilman ending. It's going to be called like descriptive versus prescriptive, and analysis
Mm.
of Devilman's ending or something. Where the descriptive one is just like reveling in like describing how humanity is and that they're evil and they will just kill each other like we see, and like nothing good happens and everything is because the ending is sad and bad and everybody dies and then God resets the world. It's just sort of like a humans suck, they're going to kill each other. It's like reveling in the nihilism of it all and being like cool because Devilman is the only thing with the balls to do this ending. So back when I was talking about the Devilman ending and the Attack on Titan stuff, that was definitely the reading I had of like, is Attack on Titan, are we just going to rumble the world and everybody, and then the Alliance is going to kill Eren and they're going to die in the same thing and literally everybody
Mm.
dies and somehow Paradis gets destroyed too. So it's like, oh, nihilism, Lamau, Devilman ending.
Yeah.
Now, the reading I sort of have of it now, which is the prescriptive, is sort of that it's like a warning. of like, don't turn on your neighbors in a situation like this, or you're gonna end up like Devilman and like Akira and Rio and only realize too late that you shouldn't have done it or something. Which that sort of ties into the cyclical thing of like next time, because of this and because of experiencing this, just like we did, Rio will in his next incarnation will remember this and strive for a better ending and highlight love rather than fear or something.
Hmm. I think I like
What do
that
you think
one.
about all that
Yeah,
nonsense?
it is interesting. This
Yeah,
whole
I
time,
think
I'm
that's
just thinking
definitely.
about like what's going on. Yeah, I like that.
That one is kind
The
of
thing,
backed up by
yeah.
Go to Guy shit because he said that the point of Devilman is to be anti-war, which is interesting and kind of very
Mm.
focused, um, and kind of stupid. But it's sort of being about like how conflict is bad and like I guess fear breeds war or something. It's like an old message like that. Um,
Well, it's certainly an anti. It's like a love over everything kind of message because obviously Satan's sad at the end because he's lost the person he loved. Um,
yeah,
and it kind of frames God in a very negative kind of light for being uncaring.
yeah.
The thing that I'm like tripped up on trying to figure out is, do you think his like what makes you think it's a reset here and not a either destruction of Rio, like killing him and the world, um, or a destruction of the world and leaving Rio alone by himself? Like what leads to the idea of going back or resetting things?
Um, I don't know. Um,
Okay.
I think the resetting things would be the case even if everything here was destroyed and like Rio doesn't remember, but it's just like, well, God will just try again because what the fuck else is he gonna do? And the same sort of archetypes will appear. It's sort of that general
Sure.
because I think my video essay knowledge has taught me that this is a big thing in Japanese religion. Is that sort of everything is a cycle and
Mm,
everything? It's like the what do you call it? Rebirth or reincarnation thing. The world will reincarnate, and these same archetypes will appear to take us on
yeah.
the same journey. And so I guess that influences this thing. I think there is something more, and I can't remember if it's just crybaby nonsense
Well, there
or
is
it's just what
like
everybody else says, so I've
Satan was
incorporated it,
talking about
or
God like being a cycle where he's like, "Oh, now I'm in the position of God or whatever." Like it there's the cycle in that aspect. Whereas like
when does he
God
say
wiped
this?
out or he's like God wiped out the demons because he thought they were destroying his world and now I'm wiping out the humans because I thought I was destroying the world. The humans were destroying the world. Um
Yeah.
there's that aspect of the
I do
cycle.
remember like completely having forgotten this speech beforehand. Now I remembered that obviously the Akira thing and he's not listening because he's dead, which has definitely been in a million things since.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember the part all of the dialogue before that, not really remembering. Because Akira does have a thing where like his last thing is like him looking sad and saying the moon, and then Rio takes
Yeah.
over, and by the time we cut back, he's dead. Um, Rio says, so beautiful. It's the only thing that hasn't changed in all these millions of years. Back then, the Earth was much more beautiful. This microcosm, now this, the story is a microcosm of don't be mass hysteria, EliteAri.
Mm.
It was built by my father, which is interesting. The one you humans call God. Um, which I don't think. I guess God is the heavenly Father or something. He's
Yeah.
not directly Satan's father, like he is. Wait, isn't he? Yeah, I think he is directly Satan's father, just like he is Jesus's, right? Because aren't Jesus and Satan brothers or something? When they're on
I
that
have
mountain, they
no
talk to each
idea.
other or something.
Jesus.
The audience is agreeing with me now, thinking I'm a genius.
Right.
Jockey Bacon's nodding along.
Yep.
After creating it, he planted his seed, and from that day, countless life forms grew on Earth. And then, after hundreds of millions of years, God came back to see what he created. Like he's coming back every couple of 100 million years. And he noticed some creatures he didn't plan to create, the demons. Um, Demons are just rebels, bro. You just don't understand them.
Right.
God hated them, those horrible beings, those abortions of nature,
Wow.
those bloodthirsty monsters. So God decided to destroy this microcosm, fixing his error in creating all of this, which is, I guess, is what's about to happen. However, I opposed him. God created this, but he didn't have any right to destroy it. This is kind of the funny like irony of all of the God shit, and especially like because obviously this is drawing from real life folklore, is like, isn't Satan always the good guy? Like he's
Mm,
breaking away from this fucking prick trying to tell him what to do and live his own life and shit. These
yeah.
Christians don't think that way, EliteAri, but that's the painting where Satan's really he's in pain. He has the one red tear, and he looks so determined and hurt. And you know that painting, right? It's like the most famous painting of
Yep.
all time. Well, I don't think EliteAri knows it, but that
I do. The
makes you
one turning
feel
is.
for
I know
Satan.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sometimes he says yeah like that, and he's sarcastic, and it makes me angry.
Yeah. True.
Uh, but yes, you got to be on Satan's side, EliteAri. Be a Satanist. Demons weren't born by their own will, and they were still living beings. So you shouldn't kill them, EliteAri, you fucking prick.
True.
Beings that fought each day to survive. I decided to join with the demons to fight God. Oh yeah, this is also interesting that like Satan didn't spawn the demons, but like he decided to side with them because he saw an injustice from God.
Yeah.
Uh, just like you who fought to protect mankind. I fought alongside the demons to defend their beautiful earth, and then I won. To prepare ourselves for the final fight with God, we decided to hibernate for 2 million years. Satan wasn't imprisoned in ice by God. I decided to lock myself on my own. However, when I woke up, Earth had changed. This beautiful Earth ruined by the new kind of living of the human beings, or new living, this could be maybe this whole shit is just about nature and about how humans ruin nature. The Japanese love to talk about that.
Yeah. That
Uh,
absolutely is. Yeah.
I couldn't forgive them. This earth I fought for with all my might, ruined by those beasts. I decided to exterminate them, but then I realized that what I did to the humans was the same thing God did to demons. The strong ones think they have the right to kill the weaklings. Forgive me, Akira. I was an idiot. Akira. And then he's
Yep.
fucking torsoed up. You fell
Cling.
asleep,
Cling.
huh?
Cling.
In eternal slumber. Dot dot dot. Cling, 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 cling.
And then he
It's
just
getting louder.
sits there with his hand on his leg, looking at Akira as angels either descend or leave the earth.
Maybe this is God's knowing, looking down, and being like, "See, idiot,"
That
or
is
something
kind of
like
what
that.
I like. What I'm thinking, but I don't know now. I need to rethink about this. But like in my mind, it's like God is watching from the moon, like he's far away like that, and you can see his angels like looking at them. I guess I don't know, but it could also very well be he's coming down to wipe out everything and reset it. It's
Maybe
interesting.
Ryu's going to go back and join them now. He's going to fly over there and become one of them, and because he
No,
understands now.
He will never like God. He
Yes,
will.
true. We're on his side. Fuck God.
Yep. True. All right. Let me look at my notes then. Oh boy. Okay, so I have one quote. I may look like a demon, but my heart is still human. You, on the other hand, are devils with a human face. True.
Yes, and then he
That's
flames them, bro. Literally, he just
yep.
flamed him on the microphone, and now he's flaming them IRL.
Yep. Actually, that's my only thing. My only other quote was from that speech, I think. But then I realized that what I did to humans was the same thing God did to demons. Oh my god, crazy.
Crazy, crazy.
So now, what other things do I have? Oh, I had some random theory. I don't know if I brought this up, but way early on when Rio is talking about his dad, maybe I did bring this up, I don't know. But he said how his dad tried to kill him. And my first theory was how maybe his dad knows about some hopeless fate that's coming for all humans and he wanted to save his son, so he like tried to kill his son.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. But yeah, my only other notes are about some very big headings about larger things. So the vibe of the story, we talked about that. Then there's a few larger themes. So humanity versus nature, which we briefly just mentioned, which I feel like is a big deal. Like talking about
Yeah.
nukes and humans and demons, and how demons are just an amalgamation of all these different natural things on Earth, and how humans are opposing that. And yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if there is a conclusion to this, because at the end we do side with the humanity, like aspect of loving someone. So I'm not sure what wins out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, and everything is destroyed by God anyway. Apparently. Then there's witch hunts. That's a big deal. We talked about that, and human cruelty. That's also a big aspect of this. I would say
Yes.
maybe this is the best story I've ever seen for tackling the idea of humans being inherently evil. like the witch hunts and that aspect, I think it's done very well in this. Where I like
Yeah.
my favorite panel, which is like the humans looking like demons. Was very effective on me. But,
I think the
yeah,
Sopranos and Mad Men are better because they do it in such a mundane way, and that's really how people are evil, when they're mean and undermining. Because they're not going to
right.
kill you, EliteAri. They're just going to undermine all your success and betray you.
Yeah. No, I prefer it when they put Mickey's head on a spike. Right. That's the way I like
Yeah, he
my
needs
evilness.
viscerality.
Yep. But that's that. That's Devilman, the manga.
Hold on.
Oh no, go ahead.
We didn't talk about the cute after ones.
Oh yeah,
But we're on a
true.
beat.
So there's two I don't even know what you'd call it, volume bonuses, I would assume.
Yeah, something like that.
So one of them is the characters on a beach. I would assume both of these are just
A beach
non-canon
episode.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Rio is very directly jealous of Miki and Akira being in love here.
Yeah.
This is the argument against your that Akira doesn't love Miki thing, because he's all over in this one.
Yeah, it's not
And
canon.
we get
Whatever, yeah.
yes, we get more explicit. I assume this might have been written later because we get more rapey stuff where this
Yeah, definitely.
lizard dude is literally licking the clitoris over here. EliteAri, can you believe that?
Yeah.
Akira butt here. But yeah, he like walks away. It's very Casca and Guts here, where they're like embracing naked, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. And Rio's over here getting cucked. He'll get him back for that later. Griffith eyes. But yeah, a Devilman just fucks up this sea serpent real quick. He has Piccolo's clothes beam, EliteAri. Did you see that? My goodness.
No, I didn't. That's great. Yeah, now I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an old DBZ abridged joke. We love it.
Yep.
And yeah, the sun sets as they're in the thing. I remember reading this immediately after finishing it and being like, man, it kind of is like a melancholic, sweet sort of like. Remember Miki and Akira together? They never got to be together. That's sad. And that final shot of them like silhouetted in the sunset darkness. It's like, man, what could have been but wasn't. So I thought that was effective. And the one afterwards is literally Rio having an ice dream about himself melting out of the ice and seeing the old earth and shit and stuff, and then waking up. It's literally nothing. So,
literally nothing.
Anything to say about it?
At the end, he says, was that really a dream? What does it all mean? And now we're meant to think about, like, what does it mean, Kyle?
Well, I think this is just like you figured this out.
Oh,
like,
so is this? So
this
Kyle,
is a scene from like earlier,
no.
yeah.
Kyle, no, this is after God has reset the Earth, all right, and he's woken up, and he's seeing the new Earth that is being created by God, all right.
I think some of the sequel memes might tie into the ending thing, where it is a reset thing, because I think I heard somebody say that Devilman Lady has a more explicitly happy ending.
Cool.
So yeah, that's interesting. We gotta read those things, EliteAri, one day.
True. But that is Devilman. 1970
I think so.
Something. Devilman.
1972. We read something so old, EliteAri. What are you giving it out of 10?
It's so short. I'm leaning towards 9. It's definitely at least a 9.
I thought you were going to say 8. So.
No, I really, like, the thing is, like I said at the beginning, my joy in reading it is much less than my joy looking back on it. I really like it a lot looking back on it. So maybe, like, if I reread it again.
Entail?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
In a few years, crazy.
Like, there is, now in my mind, there is a distinct vibe of Devilman, which I think is it's not very, like I watch a lot of animes that are, I think I said this somewhere, but I watch a lot of animes that are very generic, and they will stay in my mind, but I won't ever think about them again. Devilman does feel like something I will think about, and I will, when I see things in the future, I'll think about how, yeah, this reminds me of Devilman.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, I did like it a lot. So yeah. 9,
yeah, I got
probably.
the best recommendations, bro. You know.
True.
Fuck, there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, how long have we gone, EliteAri?
3 hours and 50 minutes. Perfect.
Fuck you. We didn't even get the 4-hour mark.
Yeah, it's no Bishoku Tensei, but it's pretty good. But that's it. So farewell, everyone.
Goodbye.